Hey, welcome back to the Crash Space. Oh, am I too hot on the microphone? It looked like a peak there. How's everyone doing? Welcome to a Sunday stream, a really exciting Sunday stream because this box just came out yesterday. This is the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Deluxe campaign box. It came out a couple weeks ago in the States. Apparently it's not really out in Canada, but my local game store had it just yesterday, and so I grabbed it. And while I've technically opened it, I haven't played through it yet. All I did yesterday is I opened it up and sleeved it up. And today we're going to jump into it. Now, very clearly on this channel, hold on, I really am peeking. Give me 1 second to make sure that this is... Oh no, my audio is probably all sorts of messed up. Why does it have every single filter? Brendan, how's it going? It's the space. Okay, so this has every single filter on it. I'm gonna work on it in real time. Give me 1 second. Noise gate, gain should be last. Why is it like this? I think I copy pasted the filters on this. Uh-oh. Hold on, this is definitely live. Yo, Shadow the Sixth, how's it going? Welcome to stream. Sound is fine. It is really strange on my side. It is really strange on my side. I don't think I can get it to be perfect. I think I just copy pasted the filters twice. So if that's the case, I'm just going to disable a bunch of these. Give me 1 second. Compressor, noise gate, suppression, EQ, gain gate. So compressor, noise gate, noise suppression, Reaper, gain gate. Okay, I think we're good now. This is how it should be. Nerd Rage, how's it going? Welcome to stream. This is how I should sound. Yeah, this sounds better. Hopefully it sounds noticeably better. On my side, it looks better. Anyways, normally what we do on the stream is we pull up all the card art so that you can see all the cards. I just want to say off the top, because this box is relatively new, while I have all the player cards in this box, I don't have any of the encounter cards. So any of the villains and stuff like that, we'll just kind of hold them up to the camera. It's the best we got. I'm going to be reading a lot of stuff for the first time today as well, so we'll figure it out together, but this is our first ever playthrough of this. Now, normally when I do my first playthroughs of Marvel Champions stuff, I almost always play the pre-con decks, and I'll show you that Marvel Champions, one of the cool things about this game that makes it super approachable is that whenever you buy like a deluxe box or even a standalone hero pack, it comes with a pre-constructed deck. So if you're not a deck builder, you can grab the deck, you can just shuffle it up and you can immediately play, and it'll be a legal deck. Now, they're not very powerful and they're not very great decks. They also use those decks as a way to distribute new cards. So for instance, in this deck that will show Maria Hill, there's almost every card is a 3 of, which is the most you can play of a single card. So the idea is that we have 3 copies of Command Team. We have 3 copies of name your card here, right? And that's because it is a product, so that once you want to do some deck building, you have a full play set of command teams no matter what you do with them. So these decks are going to be inefficient. They're not going to be great. They're meant to be like released in a playable state. They can probably beat the campaign on standard difficulty, but they're not going to be so super well oiled. They're not going to be hyper powerful. This box comes with 2 heroes. We have Maria Hill there on the table. We also have Nick Fury. From my understanding, I have mostly been avoiding spoilers for this box. So while this box has been out for a while, I haven't been watching playthroughs. I haven't seen really much of what's going on inside this box. But what I have heard is that I haven't heard much about Nick Fury, but Maria Hill apparently is just busto. Just massively powerful, pretty linear, just meant to be incredibly, incredibly, incredibly strong. One of the strongest heroes in the whole box, or in the whole game, excuse me. I think we're going to start with Maria today because I think she was the one I was the most excited to build. Nick Fury plays like a super spy with like a stealth suit, and you kind of like weave in and out of the shadows, and it looks awesome. I think we're going to start on Maria because I think Maria is more unique, arguably, because she's not a very powerful person on her own, but she commands all these supports and uses shield supports to do all her bidding. There's some like 6 cost cards in her deck, which is the most expensive card I think we've ever seen in the history of the game, and she can get them down pretty consistently, and they just totally warp the game. She's all about moving shields, counters around things, because all her supports use counters, and it's about that sort of economy system, and apparently that's really quite good. So we're going to start there, see how it goes. We're not going to modify the decks as much as it's relatively easy, even by just like breaking apart the Nick Fury deck and adding some cards in. We're just going to start here, so we'll dive in. All I did yesterday is sleeve things up, so I haven't played anything. There's also this interesting like side kind of game of Clue going on if you play the campaign mode, where you get a couple envelopes, and at the beginning of the campaign you put 3 cards hidden in one envelope and the other 6 cards in this envelope, and if you do successful things you get to reveal cards in here, and by elimination you can figure out what's in this little envelope. If I'm not mistaken, the narrative is about there's a mole in your organization in S.H.I.E.L.D. and you have to distinguish who the mole is, why they're the mole, like their motive, the way they're communicating. And at the final scenario, you're meant to make an accusation and guess what's in here. And if you're correct, good things happen to you. If you're bad, if you're not correct, bad things happen to you. So we'll set this up, but this is not something you have to use. This is one of the campaign mechanics, because every scenario or every box has had their own bespoke campaign mechanics. Man, I've been away from Marvel for so long, I can't remember what M.O.D.O.K stands for other than murder. Oh, I'm not 100% sure. M.O.D.O.K's in this box. Fun enough, there was an encounter set in the original Marvel Champions core set that had M.O.D.O.K on it. And they actually put out an official errata so that the name of the M.O.D.O.K card in the original core set is now M.O.D.O.K, which is correct. They went back and they errated it, which is really funny. And I think that's because it technically can interact with some of the cards from this set, is my guess. But it stands for like machine. What is it? Machine something for death and killing. Like it has a really goofy name, but I'm not sure. Yeah, it's an official errata. M.O.D.O.K is now M.O.D.O.K. I'm like, okay, cool. Good for you, I guess. But I think that's quite funny. I like charming flavor erratas if they come up. These are more campaign cards, and I'll show you the 2 pre-constructed decks. Again, all I did is I sleeved these up. So we have 2 decks here. 1 second. They're both the pre-con decks, so they're legal decks, but they're not pretty good. I doubt that they're very great. First one, this is Nick Fury. So Nick Fury is a Justice deck, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise. Hold on, let me pull up Nick Fury. So he comes in with this idea of this suit. It's a stealth suit or an assault suit. And when you're in the stealth side, sorry, you're not gonna be able to read that text that well. You basically, when the hero can't attack you. So when you're in stealth mode, whenever the villain can attack you, whenever the villain would attack, it thwarts instead, and some of the thwart goes on the stealth suit. And then the idea is that every once in a while, when you attack, you come out of the stealth suit and you do extra damage for how much threat you put on the suit. So you're meant to weave in and out, but technically when you're in a stealth suit, you're almost unkillable. The problem is everyone's going to be thwarting all the time. And then you have a whole bunch of like really cool spy stuff. Like you have an EM shield. It's this sort of like watch that gives you protection. You have an eye patch camera, and you have a lot of these sort of like preparations or items and techs and cards that do super agent stuff, which seems great. A lot of his cards are like super down to earth, like Concentrated Fire is just him on a rooftop with a sniper rifle. Covert Surveillance is him taking photos of stuff. And a lot of this has benefits of whether you're in stealth or outside of stealth. So it seems relatively straightforward. I think the Sooth mechanic is going to be a bit like maybe a bit much for some, potentially. The allies are really cool. There's a lot of really good neutral allies that have shield. Shield synergy. So a bunch of these cards say like if you're shield, they come down for 2 resources less, which is a really big deal. And these seem like really nice resource generators or alter ego effects too. There's a lot of reprints in this, and I think that's something we're going to see more even in the future. A lot of the older Marvel Champion stuff is just not getting reprinted, and so they do not hesitate to reprint old cards in the new products. So we've seen this before, mind you, this is not a new thing, but Agent Coulson has been around since, I want to say the core set or nearly the core set, but direct reprint here. Same with Quake. Again, we played a Hawkeye Shield and we played all these. Global Logistics, these are all reprints, which in some ways is good because I believe Global Logistics came out in a thing that is out of print and it's a really strong Shield card. So it's good that it's in here because people can play with it. Now there's still new cards, but a bunch of these cards are direct reprints. Like Under Surveillance has been out for about, I think 4 or 5 years. Very, very good card if you're playing solo. And then a bunch of new stuff as well, of course. The version of Nick Fury is the only good thing for Marvel Mike Miller ever did. This version, like the version in the game, because I'm not too familiar with Nick Fury. I know actually very little about S.H.I.E.L.D. Like I know they did like a TV show and stuff like that, but I don't. It's definitely a spot I know very little about when it comes to Marvel lore. Now the other deck is Maria Hill, and Maria Hill, again, from what I've heard, is a bit busto. It's all about S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, notably, Maria's other side has some setup text that I think is actually, or deck building text that I'm kind of confused what it exactly means. So Maria Hill says, you may include the maximum number of copies of 3 S.H.I.E.L.D. supports in your deck from aspects other than your chosen aspect. I think that sentence is a bit of a reading comprehension problem. Like I don't know fully what it means. I think we can pick 3 different S.H.I.E.L.D. supports that are not, mind you, we're playing leadership, so not blue. And then each of those S.H.I.E.L.D. supports that we pick, we can play the maximum copy of them. Notably in this game, the maximum copy of a single card is 3. So you see here we have 3 of these Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. cards in our deck, which we shouldn't have. That's a really bad card to have 3 of because it's a limit 1 per player, but that's how the precons go. But unique cards like this card, which is a 6 cost support, has a little diamond next to it, which makes it a unique card. And that means the maximum copies of that card we can have in our deck is 1. So if I'm not mistaken, Maria Hill's text can mean you can add as few as no cards. You can add up to like 3 cards, but technically you can add 12 cards to your deck out of faction, I think. I think that's how it works. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And the way this deck is structured is that it has these 6-cost versions of basically this what's it called? Sky Destroyer? I forget the name of this in the Marvel world. But we have 6 versions of these giant airships, and they're unique, and there's one for each what's it called, aspect. And so the leadership one basically just cheats out allies for free from your hand. It seems busted. I think you can do it on anyone. Yeah, choose a player. That player puts an ally into play from their hand for free. Like, that's a busted effect, but this is also a 6-cost card. And every aspect has a 6-cost helicarrier. I think that's what they're called. That does something ridiculous. This one does damage. This one does a lot of threat stuff. And the green one gives you tough statuses to other people too. So I think that's a lot of times what you do with Maria Hill is you set up quickly and put down really expensive shield supports. And because these have relatively, limited counters, this thing only has 2 counters. That's where Maria Hill comes into play, because she can move counters around. So Maria Hill's text is also maybe a bit confusing. Move 1 all-purpose counter from a shield support to another shield support. Now, all-purpose counters don't actually get used in the game. There's no card that says load this with 2 all-purpose counters. It basically, when you buy Marvel Champions, it comes with these tokens that are all-purpose tokens that you're meant to use to mark uses. Just like the way that some people use resources in Arkham Horror to mark like ammo or secrets. And so it's basically just saying move 1 counter from one thing to one thing. I don't think it's particularly complex. The wording is just a bit more verbose so that it can cover a lot of use cases, but that's all she does. And apparently she's really good. So we're going to start with her for sure, because I think playing big expensive stuff is kind of my jam. Nick used to be a generic grizzled white dude with a cigar in his mouth until Miller did Ultimate, where it was just Samuel L. Jackson and it was much improved. Oh shit, I have no idea. I'm assuming that's why this guy exists, right? Because he comes in the thing. This is Nick Fury Sr., which might resemble more the original Nick Fury. I have no idea who this guy is, but I see like Dum Dum Dugan is in the back, who's another S.H.I.E.L.D. character. But this guy exists so that Nick Fury can play his own Nick Fury, and Nick Fury is, mind you, one of the most busted neutral cards in the whole game. This one seems a lot worse to me, honestly, like by a mile, but that's no surprise when you're compared to like one of the most busted cards in the game. I don't know how they would print a better version. Okay, with that, I think we're gonna dive in. Everything's sleeved up. I've not played this, so I'm stoked. I'm genuinely really looking forward to this. It's rare that we get new content. And for what it's worth, I want to be very clear. As a player of Marvel Champions, I'm not more excited for heroes. I'm more excited for new villains and the new campaign. There's a lot of heroes in this game. There's like 60 heroes or something. I don't have not enough heroes. I have way too many heroes, honestly. And the options you can do in deck building are pretty generous in this game. There's a lot of things I still haven't explored. However, new villains, and villains being new challenges, and you have to approach them in certain ways, and new stories and new campaign modes, that to me is so much more exciting than new heroes. So luckily we get 5 new villains, and some of them are modular and replayable, as not that they weren't in the first place replayable, but we also get 2 heroes. I'm more excited about the villains, I'll be honest. Cool. Gotta go make breakfast. Good luck with the most omelets. Don't obfuscate. Get me. Brennan, enjoy your breakfast on. Thanks for dropping by. All right, let's dive in. So, featured items, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think we can, if I zoom in the problems like the clarity of it's actually kind of readable, honestly. Mind you, we're streaming in 1440p, so this might be relatively clear. I think I'll do that. So feature items, find and tuck. I don't think we're gonna be surprised with what those means. There's a bunch of keywords that are featured. I don't think any of these are totally new. Insight, hinder, piercing, range, setup, stalwart, steady, team of victory, villainous, vulnerable. Vulnerable is a new one. So vulnerable is a new status. It says when a character with vulnerable becomes stunned or confused, that character is immediately discarded. That character is not considered defeated even if it simultaneously dealt enough damage to defeat it. That's actually really sick. So again, minions who are vulnerable, as soon as they get stunned or confused, they are just discarded. Discarded is not defeated, which actually does matter. Certain cards care about defeated, but I also know specifically this campaign cares about defeated. There's a couple scenarios that say whenever you defeat a minion, something bad happens. The alarm level goes up. So that's a nice way to deal with things. Now, I think that's great because honestly, one of the problems I run into, what's a card that does it? Maybe this card does it? No, but the short of the long is I can't come up with a good example. Maybe Eros? Yes. Confusing and stunning minions in this game is not very good. More often than not, if you can stun or confuse, you'll stun and confuse the villain because that prevents their activation, and their activation hits really, really hard. More often than not, minions, you can just tank the damage or you can just defeat them because they don't have a lot of health. So this game hasn't had a really good reason for you to stun and confuse minions, and vulnerable is a keyword inherently, which encourages you to do that, I think is sick, and it opens up the design space. I think that's really, really quite cool. Okay, it talks about all-purpose counters, amplify icon, attacks against allies. So this is cool that's clarifying this because this can be a problem for some. So some effects cause a villain or minion to attack an ally directly. When this occurs, any undefended damage from the attack is placed on that ally that was attacked. Any boost abilities that refer to you refer to the player who controls the ally. Abilities that trigger when attacking enemy attacks you do not trigger. Okay, so if the ability says when it attacks you, it's attacking your ally, that doesn't trigger. I think that's strange. Players may defend these attacks as normal, and if the attack is overkill and defeats an ally, any excess damage will go to the identity of the player controlling the ally. So not too surprising. It talks about non-scaling villain HP, and anytime it talks about the final scenario in this box, it seems to redact the text, so you don't actually know who the final scenario is. I can't show that too easily because I have to flip the box. But on the back of all the boxes, they show you who the villains are, but whoever is the final villain in the box, they always keep that as a secret, so we don't technically know who the 5th villain in this box is. Normally there's 5 scenarios in every deluxe box we've seen so far. Okay. Campaign mode rules, fine. And then S.H.I.E.L.D. executive board. So this is this thing here with these cards. And if I'm not mistaken, so these S.H.I.E.L.D. executives, these are going to be showing up in every game, and they give us things that we have to do and costs. So each of them are going to come in with secret counters, and they each have text that we can use to get counters off of them. I think I have these. Chief? No, apparently I don't have these cards. Oh, I thought I did. That's a bummer. So I don't have these cards to show, excuse me. But they all are kind of symmetrical. They all have setup text. Hold on, maybe I can show. They all have setup text. And then either if they have 4 secret counters or 3 secret counters on here, this card gets flipped. And when it's flipped, the backside is bad. Notably, not only does it have text, but it is, in fact, it attaches to the villain and gives the villain +1 attack, and it's permanent. So when these flip over, that's really bad for us. So these are meant to be, I believe, moles or something in our organization that we need to deal with. Now the front side gives us an ability, generally a hero action, to spend some amount of resources to remove a secret counter from here, and then heal 1 damage from a friendly character. The Justice one says remove 2 threat from a scheme, and the red coded aggression one says deal 2 damage to an enemy. So it gives us an expensive way to get counters off of this to do a small thing. If I'm not mistaken, at the end of a scenario, if we've got all the counters off of one of these, we can get a bit more information about what's in the secret envelope. But these things are bad if you don't deal with them, and if you deal with them, you get benefits. This is the campaign thing. If I'm not mistaken, these are going to be in play every game, which adds a bit of a crowd on the table. I think that might be the case. But these are things that we have to deal with, because on standard, if they ever get 4 counters, a bad thing's going to happen to us, and we don't want that to happen. Otherwise, what we have here, in this envelope, I randomly pick 3. Obviously, we're going to redo this. And there's 3 piles of cards. 1 pile of card, and you can tell the backs are the same, are means, so why there is a mole and how the mole did the mole stuff. The other one is the motive, why the mole in our organization was the mole. And then finally, we have the opportunity, which is whatever you imagine opportunity could mean in this scenario. What we're meant to do is we're meant to randomly pick one of these, and then we put 1 of each face down in the secret envelope, and then we put the other 6 without looking at their backsides into the other envelope. And we're basically playing Clue, where if we do something good, like interact with these, we can pull 1 of these out of the good envelope, which will obviously mean that it's not in the bad envelope if we've seen it already. And then eventually in the final scenario, we're meant to make a guess, from my understanding. So step 1, separate the 9 evidence cards by their card backs into 3 sets of 3 cards. Shuffle each set of the 3 cards separately and put 1 of them into the aim envelope without looking at them. 1 of each set. So I'll just roll a die. This will be 1, 2, 5, 6, and so forth. So we'll take the middle one here. We'll take the last one. We'll take the first one. So without looking at them, we'll put these into the AIM envelope. AIM is an acronym, just like S.H.I.E.L.D. is. I don't know what it stands for, but it's we'll find out together. And it has this little reticle. And we'll put these in here without looking at them. Cool. Our guess, or our aim, is by the end of the campaign to guess what's in here. I'll just put this aside for now. Now these other ones, we can just shuffle these together. And they go into the S.H.I.E.L.D. envelope. And every once in a while, if we're good at what we do, we'll be able to pull one of these cards out of the deck, which will give us information by process of elimination what's in the AIM envelope. So those will go out here, and those go into this envelope. That's it. And we're off. Gathering evidence. In order to determine the mole's means, motive, and opportunity, in doing so, discover the identity of the mole, the players must eliminate the other means, motives, and opportunities by gaining the evidence cards that were placed in the S.H.I.E.L.D. envelope. To gain evidence, I'm not reading all of this, mind you, the players uncover the secrets of each board member. Each is represented by an environment card that begins each scenario in play with a certain number of secret counters on it, representing dirt that AIM is using to blackmail that board member. During the scenario, players can use the abilities on the board members to investigate them. Each time a player uncovers a board member's secret, that board member is compelled to provide assistance to that player. In addition to these immediate benefits, if at least one of the board members has no secret counters on them, so at least one has no counters on them when the scenario ends, the players gain evidence card from the S.H.I.E.L.D, gain unevidence card from the S.H.I.E.L.D. envelope. Evidence cards are not added to any deck once gained. Instead, they provide the players with information about the mole, as well as a setup ability that is resolved by the campaign setup instructions for each subsequent scenario. So apparently these cards, not only are they process of elimination, but the backsides of them have a setup thing that we'll get to use for the rest of the campaign. So these are actually also good cards to help us like do good Marvel champions. Now, board member betrayal. AIM constantly hunts for more dirt on the board members or opportunities to fabricate it. The AIM interference cards represent these efforts to add additional secrets to each board member when revealed. If the players are not careful, a board member can be turned from a passive obstacle into an active threat. If a board member ever has 4 secrets on it, or 3 secrets on it if you're playing in expert mode, we're going to start on standard. That board member permanently turns against the heroes, flipping to its attachment side to empower the villain and punish the players each time a secret is placed on it. In campaign mode, secrets placed on board members carry over from one scenario to the next. Because of this, once a board member flips to its attachment side, it remains an attachment for the rest of the campaign. Oh shit. That's a really big deal. So if we ever fuck this up as soon as like campaign 1, these could be attached to every single villain going forward, and that seems bad. It would add 2 attack, 1 thwart, and these all have text when they get counters on it. And there'll be cards in the counter deck like these that will add counter text to them, which is kind of rough. Yo, Jai, how's it going? Hey, Mr. Crash, hey, chat. Starting on my elevation card reviews on my YouTube channel blog now. What? We don't have them. Oh, on the old ones, like the ones that we know so far. That's sick. My elevation card reviews on my YouTube channel blog now. I'll check that out for sure, Jai. How you doing? Hopefully your Sunday's been going well. We just got some new Marvel Champions today, and we're trying to do a stream and trying to get through as much as we can before the ESL starts, because I don't want to stream at the same time as the ESL. That feels like a pretty bad look. Now, the S.H.I.E.L.D. Executive Board Modular Set. The S.H.I.E.L.D. Executive Board Modular Set can be used outside of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. campaign as a modular encounter set. When used this way, place 2 secret counters on each board member. Okay, that's fine. That's it. Talks about the starter decks to learn how they do their thing and all that sort of stuff. Hubris is going to say we don't have to read that, and then we dive in. You want to see a little comic? We can kind of read it together. It won't be easy. This won't be easy. This is not good television, is it? Park Slope, Brooklyn, home of Sarah Garza, S.H.I.E.L.D. computer specialist. Director, there's no sign of our missing specialist, just this. It appears to be the remains of an inhuman cocoon, and there's a picture of the character I assume we're looking for. If Garza has inhuman powers, it's even more crucial that we find her. We finally got a position on her cell phone. It's in DC. On my way. I'll meet you there. You're looking into this personally? Yes and no. I have other business in DC. So this is definitely like a spy film, which I'm totally into. I have reason to believe someone on the board is working with an outside group against S.H.I.E.L.D.'s best interests. Hydra? Too soon to say, but I intend to find out. Oh, and Nick Fury has a flying car, and it's pretty cool. It says the S.H.I.E.L.D. Executive Board from the editor. Nice. I'm shockingly off Andy for ESL. Round 7 versus OF is kind of hype. This week, it seems like a really big week because it's you versus OF. I hope that you're still on Scorpios. I wonder what runner you're on. Scenario number 1, Black Widow. Which, mind you, Black Widow is a hero you can play, but we also have a villain version of Black Widow. I do not know in terms of the lore why that is the case, whether this is sooner than later, or whether this is, I think her sister is also a villain. Says S.H.I.E.L.D. computer specialist Sarah Garza is missing. A search of her Brooklyn apartment turned up an inhuman cocoon, evidence that Garza's previously dormant and human genes have become active. There's no telling what kind of power she may now possess. With Garza now presenting a potential new asset or a new threat, it is up to you. Disgusting, excuse me. It is up to you to investigate her disappearance. It's also a convenient excuse to look into a disturbing rumor of a mole sitting on the S.H.I.E.L.D. executive board, which oversees S.H.I.E.L.D. operations and is also located in DC. You track Garza's cell phone to an unused stretch of subway tunnel. There you discover a temporary base of operations for the power-hungry scientist group, AIM, which is working towards unknown ends with the help of Russian spy and assassin Yelena Belova, also known as Black Widow. I think Yelena Belova is her sister, right? I don't think her name is Yelena Belova. All right. Here we go. Villain deck, Black Widow 1 and Black Widow 2. So that's what we're going to do. Again, apologies. I don't have these scans, so I can't show you these in big. I guess we can just do the awkward, like, I'm going to hurt my hand thing. This is Black Widow. 2 scheme, 1 attack, 13 health. That's pretty low. But Force Interrupt. When a character you control attacks Black Widow, remove 1 threat from the main scheme, ignoring any crisis icons. 2, discard the top card of the counter deck and resolve each preparation ability on that card. So you hit attack her and you remove a threat from the main scheme, and then you might just hit by preparations. I've seen some of the cards in this deck, and this is really cool. This is not the first time that we've seen a villain version of a hero or a hero version of a villain. And anytime in Marvel Champions where they've done it, most of the encounter deck contains the same mechanical cards and same titled cards as when this character showed up in their other form. So for instance, if you ever played Black Widow Marvel Champions as a hero, she plays preparations, and preparations fire things off on different board states. And you'll notice a bunch of these cards actually have the same names. Like Attack Robotics shows up and it does basically the same thing. Covert Ops shows up, it does the same thing. Dance of Death shows off and does the same thing. These are basically the villainized version of exactly Black Widow as the hero side. I think that's so damn cool. And apparently her ability text is kind of similar, that when we attack her, if we can remove threat from the main scheme, which we have to, which that's also not bad, we discard the top and do a preparation, because Black Widow is all about preparations. This is no different. Remove a cat hair. 13 health. 13 health seems pretty low. Yo, Carrie, how's it going? First time catching you live here. Welcome. This is our first time playing the new Marvel Champions box. We just got it apparently in Canada yesterday. I think Montreal is the only store in Canada I've seen that has it right now, so I don't know what happened. Main scheme deck, the Widow's Web. Again, apologies, I can't show this stuff because I don't have the scans of it, so we'll just read it out loud. Contents, Black Widow 1 and 2, 2 and 3 if you're playing Expert. Black Widow and Standard encounter sets. We're going to be playing Standard 3, mind you. I like Standard 3 a lot more, but you have to play with one of the Standard sets. 3 just means we'll see our Nemesis more consistently. I think that's good fun. It does not look like a comfortable hand position. It's not great. 2 modular encounter sets. We're using AIM Abduction and AIM Science, so no surprise. And setup, it says each player searches the encounter deck for a minion and puts it into play engaged with them. Now, puts into play means we don't do any on-revealed abilities. So if we look at the text here, Quick Strike on this AIM commando, it is 3 health, 2 attack Quick Strike. That will hit us. Otherwise, we can put this AIM Grunt, which is 1 scheme, 1 attack, 5 health. A guard means we can't attack the villain until we deal with this. Apologies, I can't pull any of these cards up. Otherwise, we have AIM Abductor. When revealed, tuck the ally you control with the most remaining hit points under Abduct Superhumans. Otherwise, place 2 threats on Abduct Superhumans. We don't reveal this, we put it into play. So this actually might be a good one because it seems to have a bad ability otherwise, a bad when revealed. So I think we'll actually take the AIM Abductor and put it into play. Because again, it says each player searches the encounter deck for a minion and puts it into play. So we don't have to deal with that text. The Widow's Bite. 10 threat to advance per player. It says you track the missing shield specialist to a decommissioned stretch of subway tunnel and discover her kidnapper's base of operations. So the acceleration is X, where X is Black Widow's stage number. That's really elegant. So it'll be going up 1 threat per turn because she's on 1. But as soon as we get to stage 2, it's 2 threat per turn. Eventually, if you play Expert, 3 threat per turn. And it starts with 2 threat. And if the stage is completed, the players lose the game. So seems like a lot of the first scenarios in any box are relatively straightforward. And this looks no different. Looks relatively straightforward so far. It starts with 2 threat. If we hit 10, we lose. And she is putting at least 1 a turn for now. That's all the setup there. Let's see if there's other like scenario setup stuff, campaign setup. Okay. Each player records their identity. Got it. Prepare the evidence. We've done that. Prepare the Shield Executive board set. Put the 3 board member environments into play. Put 2 secret counters on each board member and shuffle the 3 copies of AIM, Interference, Obligation into the encounter deck. So the setup's relatively straightforward. I think we can start. So these start play. They each come in with 2 counters. And again, these all have symmetrical text. Apologies, I can't show them. Where if they get 4 counters on them, and we don't know exactly how they get counters, bad thing happens. I'm going to use color-coded dice. And they each say, hero action, spend 2 of the same kind of resources. So 2 physical, 2 energy, 2, I still don't know what these are called. Mind? I don't know. To remove either 1 secret and then deal 2 damage to an enemy. Remove 1 secret, heal 1 damage from a friendly character. So it could be an ally, or remove 1 threat secret from here. Sorry, to remove 2 threat. So we'll just put these here. These are going to take a bit of table space, that's for sure, but we'll just have to remember we have to deal with those. This starts in play, engaged with us. It has no active text, but it's 4 health. And we'll shuffle the villain deck, and then we'll have to shuffle our deck. Maria Hill starts with 9 health. I'll just bring this up on the screen so we can look at something while I shuffle. This is our obligation, which goes into the deck. This is our nemesis, which goes outside of play. Cool. So again, we're playing the pre-constructed deck on standard. It's not going to be a great deck, but it could work. And as an action, we can exhaust Maria Hill to search your deck for a shield support. And we have a lot of shield supports. Mind you, a bunch of them cost 6, which means that we can basically dump our whole hand to play them. This deck does have a bunch of resource generators. I think it has a lot of resource generators. So if we can go get just a big old helicarrier, we might be able to get it down as soon as turn 1. Now, Maria only has 1 attack, so dealing with the aim abductor is going to be a bit difficult immediately, but we can probably soak a bit. She also only has, she has 9 health, which is like pretty bad. As bad as it gets usually. I feel like I'm off the center. No, we're fine. And we'll put a ready counter on her. Yeah, I feel like we might be zoomed out. Maybe it's just this microphone's in the way. Yeah, maybe there's a bit of that to that too. But I feel like I should be sitting more here, which means this camera needs to slide that way. Nice. Do you recommend this game if my partner and I aren't fans of Marvel? I'll be honest, when I picked up this game, I was not a Marvel fan at all. In fact, I found the theme to be a detriment, honestly, because I was just, kind of tired with the inundation of, massive entertainment franchise, the, Marvel Cinematic Universe being the only films that come out, stuff like that. Since then, and mind you, I feel like half of those problems aren't as big as they used to be. I've enjoyed this game almost despite of it, and now I've even got more into Marvel stuff as a whole, mostly like reading old comics and stuff like that. I think it's just a really good card game. I think the cool thing about taking heroes and putting them into a card game like this game plays out a fair bit like something like Flesh and Blood or Slay the Spire to some extent, where every turn you draw a hand and then you spend your hand to do the puzzle of that turn to deal with the enemy, and then you draw a new hand, and that's really fun. But the cool thing about this game is that through unique mechanics, it has to make every hero play in a card game space like you think the hero would play. So the fact that when you play Wolverine or Spider-Man, they do what you think they should do, and that's only done through the, the relatively simple card game engine of this game. Does this game have Moon Knight? No. There's also that's a really exciting thing too, is there's a lot of heroes and villains that don't exist in the game yet. We're pretty sure what we know the next cycle is, and I don't think it's a cycle anyone really wanted specifically. It's not some of the hotter cycles, but there's still a lot of heroes and villains that haven't seen play. So any of the street level crime stuff like Daredevil, Luke Cage, Elektra, all those characters don't exist yet. Fantastic Four don't exist yet in this universe. There's a lot of weird spots. Yeah, Moon Knight doesn't exist. Midnight Suns doesn't exist. There's 60 or so heroes, but there's still a lot of places where I'm like, oh my god, I'd be so excited if there was, a Daredevil hero or whatever. But that's good. That means we're excited, right? All right, we're not gonna look at our deck again. It's a precon. It's a leadership deck, which makes sense. Not a Marvel fan? Now you catch my attention. Yeah, no, really. At the time that I started playing Marvel Champions, I've seen very little of the MCU. I don't watch the TV shows. It just wasn't exactly my thing. But the way, again, that mechanically the Maria Hill deck will play out compared to I don't know. I'm playing Nightcrawler currently on this channel. It's just really cool. There's just very different experiences. It's this is the thing too, right? So when you play Netrunner and you play your identity, sure, your faction choice matters a heck of a lot, but most identities play somewhat similar to others. I think sometimes that's because, all criminal decks are the same. A lot of good stuff Anarch decks are the same. You could argue there's other problems there. But the thing with when you play Netrunner is when you pick your identity is just one card on the table, and then the rest of your 45 cards are, whatever you've built. In this game, and also different than Arkham Horror, when you take your identity, not only do you get your identity, which is on the table, but your identity is 15 cards that are unique to your identity, which means 25 of the other cards in your deck are from, the neutral or whatever aspect you're playing, read faction. But that makes that each character plays fundamentally different than every other character, because nearly half of their deck is cards unique to them. And I think that's just such a compelling pull for me, that all the decks feel very different, and you actually do want to jump from character to character to character. Yeah, I think they can do cool stuff with Moon Knight too. Moon Knight actually might have multiple identity cards, and you swap between them, or you're forced to swap between them. Mind you, each card is 2-sided, There's hero and alter ego, which is already pretty fun. There's 3-sided characters too, which they figured out how to do. That technology's sick. All right, genuinely don't know what we want to mulligan into. So far, the setup seems pretty straightforward. We have this with a bit of threat on it. Black Widow, if we attack her, she'll rip a card off the top of the deck and something bad might happen to us unless we clear this first, which Maria Hill can do. We have this aim inductor, which has 4 threat on it. We have all of these things that we want to deal with extra resources. And we can go grab turn 1 by exhausting us to go grab a shield support. So let's see what our deck does. Command team, this is a reprint. I never played a lot of this card. People like this card a lot. It is not unique, so you can play 3 of them. Notably, any card that comes in with counters, a shield support that comes in with counters is super valuable because Maria Hill can move them around. So even if we play this not for its ability, it has valuable because moving the resources matters. Dum Dum Dugan, another reprint. Very, very expensive, but a very good finisher when you're set up because he scales with how many shield cards you have. And obviously on turn 1, that's a pretty low number. All Points Bulletin, this is another scaling card. This is a unique card for Maria. Anytime that you see a card with the specific border and Maria's picture in the bottom right corner, it's part of Maria's deck. You see the numbering too. And this card says that for each shield support you control, you can choose one of those. That can go up to be very big number, and also you can divide that threat and damage as you want. So this is a very powerful card. Obviously, a turn 1 doesn't really make sense. Shield Director. Now this one might, I think, I'm not familiar with all the cards. Exhaust the Shield Director to place 1 all-purpose counter on a shield support. Okay, that doesn't really matter in turn 1. Life Model Decoy. This says that we just don't get hit. I think it's a 1 free basic block. So when an enemy attacks you, discard this to prevent all damage. It is not a shield card or even a shield support, so whatever. And our final card is another command team. I'm just going to full mulligan all of this because I don't know what we want, but I want to see more cards because we didn't see any rare resource generators. Okay, here now we're talking. This is the Bellerophone. The Bellerophone? 6 cost, comes in with 3 missile counters. It's a shield support. Exhaust the Bellerophone to remove a missile counter and choose a player. Deal 3 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with that player, discarding all tough status cards. So this does 6 damage every time we use it at a minimum. Now that won't defeat the aim abductor, but as a 6 cost card that we can probably charge infinitely, this shows you exactly what the shield's up to. Is an all-purpose counter like a virus power counter? Yeah, so technically, I don't have them here because I don't use them, but Marvel Champions comes with a couple tokens. I use very few of the stock tokens. This is the only token I use that's stock because I think it's very pretty. But they come with these like basic tokens that you're meant to use for anything and everything. So if a card comes into play with 3 medical counters or like 3 bullets or whatever you want, you're meant to use those basic counters. So this basically just says move counters from one thing to another. In theory, they could have all been power counters, but they like having flavorful things like this where it's missile counters and like arrow counters and stuff like that, right? But it's fundamentally, it's just a counter. Front Organization. This is a cool new basic card, which will make a bit of sense in context of expensive cards. We can play it under any player's control. Mind you, we are playing solo, so it's just us. And when an encounter card effect would discard a card you control, so that could be a support, an upgrade, even an ally, discard this instead. So it costs nothing. We can play it for free. But the idea is there's cards in the counter deck that say discard an upgrade or support. And if turn 1 we spend all our turn playing the 6 cost card and we have to lose it on turn 1, like that's why you play this card. I think this card's actually going to have implications outside of this sort of deck because that is a useful effect sometimes. Oh, this card is busted. This is really, really cool. Slingshot. Did I rename her wrong? Oh, did I name her wrong? Anytime that I can't find the card, it means that I've named the card wrong in the gallery and I can't find how I spelled it wrong. So unfortunately, this is what this is. So this is a fine ally. 3 costs, 2 sword, 2 attack, 3 health is fine. But as an action, you can spend 1 type of resource. That's an energy resource. All resources are fundamentally the same, just different cards generate different ones. To put this into play from your hand, under any player's control, but at the end of the phase, it returns to our hand. So we can always play 1 just to get Slingshot out there, which seems great. That seems really, really good. She won't be able to block because she's returned to her hand at the end of the phase, not the end of the round. And so at the end of the hero phase, she comes back to her hand. But like for 1 resource, that's totally fine. And she comes back to her hand. Notably, it's at the end of the phase she comes back to her hand, which I believe we discard down to hand size, draw a new hand, and then she enters our hand. So we'll also go into the next turn with an additional card in hand, if I'm not mistaken. Finally, my Cyclopean Hammer won't get discarded by Cryptol. Exactly. Yeah, Miso, not to you. I think you understand why we're excited about that. How's it going? Melinda May, another new card. Shield ally, Spy. After Melinda May uses a basic power, look at the top card of the counter deck. You may discard that card. Don't call me the cavalry. So it gives you a bit of, foresight and planning, which can matter. I'm not going to pay that on turn 1. Yeah, she's huge punitive tech. This is the team up. Mind you, both cards. This is an annoying thing, mind you, about, you'll see in a bit about the pre-constructed decks. Team up cards exist, and you can only play them with both of those characters are in play, Maria Hill and Nick Fury. What's really, really nice is that a lot of heroes actually have different names in their hero form and alter ego form. So for instance, when Peter Parker is his alter ego, when Spider-Man's in alter ego, it says Peter Parker. And then when you flip your card to the other side, it says Spider-Man. This is not the case. Maria Hill's Maria Hill on both sides, and Nick Fury is Nick Fury on both sides, which makes sense because they don't have alter egos. They are who they think they are. There's a couple characters like that, like Groot is Groot, Rocket Raccoon is Rocket Raccoon, but most people are somebody on one side and then the hero on the other side. Team up cards you can only play with both of those characters are in play, which means if you pick this up as a 2-player game and your friend across the table is playing Nick Fury while playing Maria, you can play this on all board states because you don't have to care if someone's stuck in alter ego. I've had that before where I want to play my what's it called? My team up, but my opponent who hasn't played yet is an alter ego and they can't flip up on my turn, and so these don't work. But these are really nice. This card's also just very, very good. It costs nothing. And it says place a total of 3 all-purpose counters on and or threat tokens on shield supports and or suit form upgrades. Half of that matters for our friend Nick, half of it matters for us. But this basically says get like 9 more damage on the Bellerophon. That's really, really good. Weekend Great SRN, how's it going? And finally, we found the other 6-cost card. This one's unique to Maria. Comes in with 3 mission counters. It's a shield support. And it says exhaust the Iliad and remove 1 mission counter to either deal 5 damage to an enemy, remove 4 threat from a scheme, or heal 3 damage from an identity. That is just messed up good. Now, Maria Hill's text says that we can exhaust her right now. Mind you, we're entering the game here. To go grab a shield support from our deck and add it to our hand. Now, that will exhaust us, and if we're exhausted, obviously we can't activate this turn. But the big thing about that is that it gives us another card in our hand. So we functionally can have 7-card hand size, which means with 7-card hand size, we can play the Iliad and pass. It's a shame we drew no resource cards here, because if we had a resource card, we could pitch a card to gain 2 resources, so we actually could keep a card. But it's very likely we just go grab a card from our hand, from our deck, and then pitch 6 cards to play the 6-cost card. And I think we're going to do that. I'm going to grab a shield support that I'm not excited to play. So I'm just going to grab another command team, I think. Is there anything worse? Yeah. I love this now. Every cycle they're adding these cards have been since the core set, and now they're giving them bespoke art for each cycle they're in. I think that's phenomenal. It's like getting a new Sure Gamble in imagine that. Every set that you bought has a new Sure Gamble in it with new art, as long as it doesn't take up a card slot for something unique. But that's fun. So you can choose which Sure Gamble you want to play. I'll actually get an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because it's a card that we definitely don't want 3 copies of our deck in, because it's a team card and you can only have 1 team per player. So we'll just want to discard this. That exhausts Maria Hill to use that ability. Mind you, it's our first time playing, so we will make rules mistakes. If you catch them either live or in the VOD, let me know. And then we'll pitch 1. Is this in my hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, this is, I was looking at it. Excuse me. Already almost got one there. Almost got one. And again, apologies. We don't have text or any of these card pop-ups for any of the villain cards, so we're going to have to just explain them. I'm reading them for the first time anyways, too. Maybe I appreciate them most. So now we'll pitch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we have the Iliad. Notably, too, the Iliad, it has an action on it to do its ability, but its action is actually not a hero action or not an alter ego action. We can use this on either side, which is incredibly valuable because it means we can stay down here and fire it as much as we want to and be safe. You can discard cards for dollars. Am I understanding that right? Yes. So how it works, the short of the long is, every card is modal. So cards have costs. Some cards are supports or allies or upgrades. They stay on the table. There's also events, which you play and go to your discard pile. But every card also in the bottom right left corner there has an icon, at least an icon, and it generates, when you pitch this card, that type of resources. There are 3 kinds of resources, technically 3.5. So these are, I think, mental resources. The Iliad you see there has an energy resource, and there's also physical resources. 90% of the cards don't care what resources you generate to pay them. Every resource is the same. And then there's also wild resources like on this card, and wild resources, when you pitch them, you can choose which of the 3 types they are. Again, 90% of the cards don't care. Some amount of cards will ask for a certain type of resource to pay its cost or to get it installed. Besides that, there are rare cards in the deck. So we have 1 of each of these. Actually, we have a couple resource cards. I can't believe we missed all of them. That are resource cards. These cards don't have text. Like, they're not playable cards. You can only pitch them for resources, but they actually have more icons on them. So energy pitches for 2 energy resources. That's it. That's the fundamental idea behind this game. It's like Flesh and Blood, that your cards are modal because you can play them or you can pitch them, which goes into your discard pile, which will cycle back. And at the end of every turn, we draw back up to our hand size, which is either 5 or 6, depending if we're a hero or alter ego. What sleeves do you use for FFG LCGs? For Arkham, I know the cards are slightly thinner than other games. So for Arkham, I don't sleeve my player cards unless they're in a deck. For this game, I do, because this game I build more decks because it's quicker to pick up and play. So I sleeve every player card. I'm using they're Gamegenic sleeves. I'd have to check which ones. If you want me to know, I can go grab them. But the Gamegenic, relatively standard, not expensive sleeves. I do sleeve heroes and main schemes and things that don't get shuffled in slightly better sleeves. Technically, those are technically Dragon Shield, not the matte, but Dragon Shield clears. They're slightly bigger, slightly thicker. I like them a bit better. And when I play Arkham, I've started now. I used to sleeve the encounter sets in KMC Hypermat thin, like penny sleeves, and now I've been sleeving them in Dragon Shield slowly, which is a bit more money, but I had extra Dragon Shield, so why not? But these are all just like Gamegenic, which I can get about, I think it's like 200 sleeves for $8, something around that. That might be wrong by a big margin. I might be off by a lot there, but they're not very expensive compared to Dragon Shield. You get about twice as much, if not more, but they're not as good as Dragon Shields. Okay, question is whether we flip up or not. No matter what, we're definitely going to use the Iliad. We can either one-shot the aim abductor. We can remove 4th threat from this, which seems like overkill. The thing is with the Iliad in play, we're actually kind of highly incentivized to say an alter ego, because if Black Widow puts a bunch of threat on here, we can just clear it in one shot with the Iliad. So I honestly think we might stay an alter ego. It's unlikely that Black Widow can like scheme us out, but this will go up to 3. Then with her activation will be 4, 5, 6, 7. In theory, we could lose on turn 1. That is a risk. I think it would be pretty funny if that does end up happening. But if that's the case, I think we're just going to use the Iliad, exhaust it, and we're just going to blow this aim abductor up because it's really funny. And then we'll just pass the turn. And that means next turn we'll start with 6 cards in hand. I think that's all we're going to do. All right, we're draw up. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is our card that definitely should not be a 3 of in anyone's deck, but it is because it is the starter deck. They're pre-constructed. You can only have 1 team per player. I like there's more teams coming to the game. I think teams really open up deck building. It says if each of your characters has a shield trait, which will happen, mind you, when we're Maria Hills in hero mode, every ally we play gets the shield trait. Inherently, it has no game text. That's just a trait, like in any game like Gmod or whatever. Against interrupt, when you reveal an encounter card, you can exhaust this card to cancel the effects of that card, discard it, and reveal another card. So if we ever draw something bad, we can shield our way out of it. The Douglas, this is another 6-cost one. This could be our whole next turn. You can exhaust this to remove 1 operation counter from it, to remove 2 threat from each scheme. There's only 1 scheme in play, but yeah, it costs 6. Reinforcements. Art on this is a bit goofy. Choose any number of shield supports with a combined printed cost of 6 or less. So 1 shield support for us. Place 1 purpose counter on each of those supports. So it's 1 resource to put 1 counter. That's honestly not terrible considering the counters are worth like 5 damage. So that's technically like kind of 2 for 5. It's fine. This is good. This is what we wanted. This is another resource card. This one's new. I've never played this one before. Organizational support. So it already generates 1 resource, but it says when you spend this card, exhaust up to 3 allies and/or supports you control that share a trait with your identity. So that would be a bunch of shield supports for us to generate the printed resources on each card exhausted that way. So this is good if you set up with a lot of really small, cheap shield supports. Unfortunately, we're doing big shield supports, but that's good to know. Strength, that's a double resource. And because we're in alter ego, we have 6 hand size, we get another command team, which I do not care about. Holy shit, we can straight up go for Helicarrier Tribal? Yep, yeah, this deck does Helicarrier synergy. It can play one of each of the color Helicarriers and the Iliad, and then you could just start blasting. Like, that's in theory what Maria Hill does. I've heard criticism that she's very powerful and very boring because your first order optimal strategy is very samey, but we'll find out. All right, villain. Let's see what Black Widow's up to. So we put 1 threat per player, so we're on 3. And then Black Widow will activate. Because we're in alter ego, she will scheme against us. So she's scheming for 2 and a boost card. Our boost card is +1, so it's 3. So this goes up to 6 of 10. If we get unlucky and draw an encounter card like Advance, we could lose right here. Yeah, the Zoom tech is sick. Oh, sick. Okay. Destroy evidence. This is good that we got another scheme on the table. This is destroyed evidence. Hinder 2 per player. So it comes in with 4 threat. It says each other encounter card gains insight 1 when revealed. Place 1 threat on the main scheme. So basically, when this is in play, every other encounter card, whenever we draw it, we have to put 1 threat here. And it also has a crisis icon. That's what this exclamation mark is. Crisis icons means that we can't clear threat from the main scheme until we clear all the threat off of this. So this is going to force us to interact. Luckily, we got another, in theory, I don't know if we wanted another scheme, but we have another scheme. So things got pretty serious where there's 10 threat to deal with. Very slick setup you're developing, Mr. Grid. Thank you. There's still some issues. Like, I think on the Zoom, you can't exactly read card text that well, but we're streaming at 1440p. Maybe we can get away with it. I don't know. I'm also now using this better microphone, which I'm learning how to use. It's getting technically in the way of the shot, but only sort of. I need to figure out where I can put it that doesn't block my hand, but also sounds okay. I think that might be it. Okay, so the Douglas we can play. The problem with the Douglas is it says it ignores crisis icons. Wait, that's sick. Because if we have the Douglas, we now can take 2 off this, 2 off of this, which means that Maria Hill can finish this. This will be at 4, and then the Iliad can clear all of it. That's probably what we want to do, because we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then play the Douglas. Now, we don't want to use Maria Hill to grab a support here, I don't think. I don't think there's 0 cost shield supports. I'd have to check the deck. If there are, that means her ability is a lot more flexible. I don't think there's 0 cost shield supports. Oh, she has so many resource cards. Holy shit. No, there's not. Try hanging it from the ceiling? The microphone? So a lot of Montreal apartments have 12-foot ceilings, like I do here. Like I can't touch the ceiling. It's really, really high up. That's just like the way Montreal is. It's not like I have a bougie apartment, but the ceilings are very, very high compared to most homes in North America. Small apartment, big ceiling. I also rent, so I don't really want to drill into things too much. I think that's probably what we do here. Now, it's a shame that we can't do anything cool with organizational support, but I don't know what we possibly do with this. Because we're kind of not set up for this to be good. Hey, Supernut, good morning. How you doing? We just got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as our first game with it. I'm totally hyped. I think we're just going to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mind you, this is the most expensive card ever printed in Marvel Champions to date. So if you're seeing a lot of 6-costers and being like, that's weird. Yeah, you're right. It is weird. I don't have enough yellow dice, so I guess I'm going to just use green dice on everything. I'd like to match this with the color. All right, let's flip up and be a hero. So Maria Hill is going to flip up. Mind you, Maria Hill's text says that every ally we control gains a shield trait. Now, that's only when we're in this mode, which is very notable. If we flip down and we play, like, I don't know, Avengers, they'll lose shield trait, which can matter for a team. Notably, 2 thwart is fine. 2 defense is actually pretty good, but she has 9 health, which is hella squishy. So we're going to use our 2 things here. We're going to start with the Douglas, which says remove 1 operation counter to remove 2 threat from each scheme, ignoring crisis icons. So we get 2 here, 2 here. Then Maria Hill can finish this, which we didn't want that. Maria Hill also can reassign counters. We can move all-purpose counters. So now we're going to play some cheap stuff to get more counters on these. Then we're just going to use the Iliad, and we're going to remove 4 threat from a scheme, and that's our turn. So we cleared the table up. We have a good setup. We don't want to have to discard any of these. Heaven forbid we draw something from the counter deck. And we're going to draw up now only to 5 hand size. This game is going to make me care about a Marvel thing if possible. That's how I felt too, but the game is really fun. It's really good. I was not a big Marvel boy, and then I'm like, oh, this is great. Oh, fuck, come on. No. Don't make me play all of these. The Pericles. This is, again, her setup building instructions allow you to splash supports from every aspect. Normally, every deck is only basic cards, your hero cards, and 1 aspect. But notably, you'll notice that we have like yellow cards, green cards, and that's because she can splash shield supports. So we exhaust this to give a hero or a villain status card of a choice. That's really important. We can give ourselves, there's 3 status cards in the game. Tough means the next instance of damage we ignore. Stun says the next attack doesn't, and confuse says the next scheme or thwart doesn't. Those are very valuable. Obviously, we have no interest in stunning or confusing ourselves, but giving ourselves tough is sick, especially because we're squishy, and stunning and confusing the villain is good. This probably is very, very busted. Nick Fury. Another very good card, and this is how we're able, not that guy, this is how we're able to play the team up when we're playing solo, which is fun. What's really frustrating is that when you play 2 players, say that you open up the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. box and you're playing Maria Hill and your friend is playing Nick Fury, this card is dead. You're not allowed to play this card because there can't be 2 named unique cards with the same name on the table, assuming they don't have different alter ego handles, like there's many Spider-Men in the world. But that's really frustrating, is that there's 1 dead card out of your deck if you're playing with your friend in team up mode, if you're playing cooperative or 2-handed. A lot of people house rule that and say, I don't give a fuck, which, like, props to them, power to you. But yeah, at least we'll be able to play Nick. Very good. 4 cost. Those are good stats. And after Nick Fury uses the basic power, place a purpose counter on a shield support, which means for Iliad, that's like do 5 damage or whatever. Like, that's messed up. On the double. Nice. Still seeing new cards. Ready any number of shield supports with a combined printed cost of 6 or less. Now, ready just means that we can use them again. They'll still run out of counters. And notably too, these cards work the way that modern, unfortunately, NSG cards do. So any card that says uses, there is inherent rules text baked into any card that says uses 3 minion counters or mission counters or any kind of counters. Anytime a card says uses, it means that when you play the card, it comes in and loads those counters, but also it means when it's empty, it discards itself. So as soon as we use the last counter on the Iliad goes down. which means we actually are incentivized to keep one counter on it because it's not like Coalescence. It's more like Enga or Time Bomb or any other niche option that came out in the Borealis cycle. When it's empty, it does discard itself. This Nick Fury doesn't go away. No, this Nick Fury can stay for a while. It's like consequential. Energy, that just generates 2. And then we have organizational support, which we can exhaust a bunch of stuff to go get a bunch of resources. So we actually have a lot of options here. Exhaust 3 allies and support. So in theory, this can generate 3 resources if we do this, which means we can play Nick Fury cheaply. Whoa, actually, we have a really cool puzzle here. We might be able to play Pericles. It should be not that hard to play Pericles this turn, I'll be honest. The question is, where do we need the counters more? And I haven't played this yet, so I don't know which one of these we should be moving the counters between. But I'm pretty sure we can generate enough resources to play the Pericles and have 3 ships. I think the red ship, the Bellerophon, is in our bin, so we're not going to get 4 ships, but we can definitely get 3 ships. All right, threat. 1 here. Black Widow will attack us because we're in hero mode. It is the villain phase, so she's going to attack for 1 in a card. We could exhaust the block right now, but I honestly don't care. No boost icons, so we take 1 damage. So far, we've seen none of the cards that interact with Black Widow. Mind you, she has text that when we attack her, if we take threat off of this, she has to do one of her things. We drew Dark Designs. Nice. So this is from the standard set, standard 3 specifically. So it says place 1 pursued counter on pursued by the past. Oh, the microphone's annoying. This should be on the other side, I think. Yeah, I can't though because of the table. I probably just have to do with this. I have to figure out how left-hand gaming is. And then if it has any counters on it, the villain schemes. So Black Widow's going to scheme for 2 and a card. This has a boost icon, says after this activation resolves, place 1 counter on pursued by the past. So it's halfway. Once this thing hits 4, our nemesis shows up, which is bad. And that means she puts 2 on here. We're at 3. Okay. Oh yeah, the microphone not good. All right, now it's up to us to figure out what to do. Again, we can clear these, which we probably should, but I'm not really incentivized to do them immediately. I think we'll do them before we win. So what can we put down? If we do 1, 2, 3, 4, we can play Nick. That's obviously not good because we can't play this. This only removes 2 threats, so it's not worth playing. So we can definitely move this counter over to the Iliad and then use the Iliad to remove 4 threat using Maria's ability. That would be probably pretty good. Now there's so many Maria Hill cards, I have to keep cycling through them to get to the hero. The other option is if we use organization. So say that we do 1, 2, 3. Okay, no, that doesn't work. But if we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we could just play the Pericles instead of Nick Fury, which might be right. And we can do that by generating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we can play the Pericles and then keep Nick in our hand for next turn. That might be right. And then we can use the Pericles to stun Black Widow. Give a hero or a villain a status card. Give an ally or a minion a status card of your choice. So unfortunately, we're losing some efficiency on this. So I think we might just play that and not use the Pericles. And then we'll keep Nick Fury for next turn. And we're set up on turn 3 with 3 massive helicarriers. That can't be wrong. I'll try that. So 1, 2, 3. Organizational support generates 4, but we can exhaust any any allies or supports that share a trait with our hero. So we'll exhaust 1. So that's 6, and then we'll play the Pericles. Do all these names come from the same? The Iliad comes up with only 2 counters. Then we'll keep Nick in our hand. We'll take an IP penalty. I'm going to use Maria Hill's ability to shift around some counters. Here I want a lot of just like cheap counters, not that Maria Hill. There's other cards you can play that are shield type that just are like 1 cost for 3 counters, which is really good. So move a purpose shield counter from 1 support to the other. I feel like the Douglas is technically less useful than the Iliad. I'll keep it for now. I don't think we have to move counters that much. And then Maria Hill will just thwart for 2 and we'll pass. Nick, we draw. Organizational support. So this is already 4 resources, up to 3 allies. Yeah, if we want to tap all our ships, that's a huge energy generation. Victoria Hand. This is a new card, cost 3, is shield, and a response after Victoria Hand enters play, ready a shield support. I don't think that seems super valuable in this board state, but allies are quite nice, and that's mostly because we can't really afford to use these twice. 4th card is reinforcements, which lets us to add an all-purpose counter. Okay. And then the hard call. This is a 1 of in the deck, and this is just such a funny card. We might actually play it. Discard a shield support you control. Deal X damage to each enemy where X is the printed cost of the discarded support. So say that the Iliad's on one counter. We can choose to throw the Iliad at Black Widow. Just bring the ship down on top. The theme and the flavor is pretty grim, and Maria looks pretty upset about it. So sometimes it just comes down to numbers. More people die if I don't act than if I do, which is fucking grim. We just sink the ship on top of Black Widow. Probably not a good use of this right now. Like, that's probably what we can do to finish the scenario, especially because we have a whole bunch of cards that scale on how many shield supports we have installed. So like, we don't want to like cut that down by a third just to do 6 damage, but that's really just damn funny. Crusher. All right, this goes to 2. Black Widow's going to attack for 1 in a card. We don't care. We're not going to block. Boost icon plus a star. This is one of the encounter sets attached to our aim mole stuff. It says resolve this card's when revealed ability. So Black Widow is attacking for 2, but we do this first. When revealed, place 1 security counter on each board member card. Oh fuck, that's bad. You may spend X physical resources to prevent X of these counters from being placed. So that's bad. So we can spend the reinforcements and we can spend Nick Fury, but I want to play Nick Fury. Nick Fury I can play, yeah. So I think each counter, mind you, sorry, I can't show these cards. Each counter costs 2 resources to clear. So spending physical resources right now actually saves us a lot. Now, what I'm worried about is if we draw the next card and the next card also adds counters, then we're cooked. So if we get rid of Nick Fury, we prevent 2 of these counters. And we only pull 1 counter on one of the card. Because this is plus 1 secret counter on each board member. So this would only put 1 on 1 board member. This leaves us with this hand, which we can play 1, 2, 3 Victoria hand. And then Victoria hand can thwart 2, and we can maybe flip down. The problem is Maria Hill only has 1 attack, so we need to figure out how to get damage, which is probably why we play Nick Fury. The other option is if we just let 1 go through, we're left with this hand. We do organizational support. We tap, 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 play Nick, and then we pitch 2 science icons to get down to 1. I think that's probably the play. Yeah, I think Nick Fury is going to be a lot better for us because Nick Fury's busted good. Okay, so we'll fire this first. So place 1 counter on each board member. We'll prevent 1 of them. The one that we're going to prevent is not going to be on the science icon. So we're going to prevent the physical icon. This will go up 1. This will go up 1. And we have to hope for the best. Now we take 2 damage. So we're on 6. This is discarded. This is our hand, mind you. And then we hopefully draw not another aim interference. Nowhere is safe. Fuck off. No. This is what we're meant to prepare for. Place 1 pursuit counter on pursued by the past. Then if it has any counters on it, discard an upgrade or support you control. You see the problem we ended up in, don't you? Do you see the issue of playing 6 cost supports and not having any sort of extra cards? We just lost the Iliad. That actually has a huge impact on her turn. Rusher, I feel like she crushed us here. Okay, that's bad. What does this change? Yeah, that's bad. There's one of those always whenever you play standard. There's a card that just says discard an upgrade or support. We drew it in the top half of the deck. So now this generates up to 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So now, unless we want to deal with these, we can't. So what do we possibly do here? We definitely want to play Nick. So was the Iliad the one to get rid of? I think it is. No, it's probably the Douglas, actually. I'll be honest. It might be the Douglas. The Douglas seems less necessary. The Iliad just seems way more flexible. So I'll do the Douglas instead. I know it has 2 charges on it. So we probably should have moved a charge over with Maria, but I didn't think we'd lose it that quickly. So if that's the case, this generates 1 resource on its own, and then we can tap 2 of these to generate 3 resources, which means we have a bad hand, but we can play Nick at a minimum. If that's the case, we don't have to tap it because we can just throw out Victoria Hill. So we can generate 1, we can tap the Iliad to make 2, then we can do 3, 4 to play Nick Fury. Now there's a really cool Justice cheap shield card that says whenever a shield ally attacks or activates, do not take attack of opportunity, or sorry, consequential damage. And that's really, really quite good. We would really like that because Nick Fury seems just very, very strong. So now Nick Fury is in play, and Nick Fury says after Nick uses a basic power, place 1 all-purpose counter on a shield support. So now Nick is going to activate, and we'll take 1 consequential to clear this, and we pull 1 counter on the Iliad. Now we'll use the Pericles. The Pericles says, exhaust Pericles and remove 1 supply counter. Give a hero or villain a status card. Give an ally or minion a status card. So we'll make Nick Fury tough, which is not actually great, but it's the best we got. And then we'll stun Black Widow or we'll confuse Black Widow. What are we doing with Maria? So actually, we'll thwart with Maria for 2, and then we'll attack with Nick for 2, because we need to do damage to Black Widow. Black Widow's text won't fire, because Black Widow says when a character you control attacks Black Widow, remove 1 threat, and that's a cost. Without threat, we can't do that. And then we'll stun Black Widow. That should be it. Is there no way to flip down to Alter Ego? You can. You have 1 form flip per round. So we could flip down to Maria Hill. We have to do it during the hero phase, mind you. We can't do it during the villain phase. When we flip down to Maria Hill, we can search our deck for shield support, so we can't go get back the thing that we discarded, and then we'll have more hand size. Also, when we're on hero mode, we can now recover as our basic activation, which heals us 3, which is not incredibly necessary. But I think that's all we're going to do, and we're going to stay here because Black Widow is stunned. These I'm scared about. Luckily, if we have resources in hand, we should be able to beat that encounter card that shows up. These I'm scared of. So we have to deal with these next round. If that's the case, actually, let's not stun. Let's confuse so that we can safely jump down and just have a bigger hand size. That's probably better for us. All right, we're drawing 6 cards. What do we got? Support staff. This is new. This one actually looks really good. Nope. Don't look at that. Definitely not that. This is this cheap shield support. Comes in with 3 counters, and just 3 counters is really good because Maria wants to move counters. Exhaust support staff and remove a staff counter to generate a wild resource for a player whose identity has a shield trait. We have shield trait on both sides. That's sometimes an easy thing to miss. Some cards say for an X-Men, and when you're alter ego, your X-Men is not an X-Men. They're a mutant. Reinforcements places 1 purpose counter. Okay, whatever. It's telework. Yeah, I guess so. It is telework. All points bulletin. For each shield support you control, choose 1, remove a threat, deal 1 damage. So that's not great because we have 2. Paying 2 cost and a card to do 2, like, that's bad. Grant Ward, this card is so weird. I don't know the narrative, but I think this guy is a bit of a loose cannon. So costs nothing, but forced response. After you reveal a treachery, which is an encounter card that has the treachery text on it, which is like 1 in every 3, depending on the structure of the counter deck. You may spend I think it's called a science resource. Correct me, I never know the name of these. If you do not, take damage equal to Grant Ward's attack and remove Grant Ward from the game. So he's a bit of a traitor, but 0 cost ally is fine. And if we take 2 damage and lose Grant Ward and thin our deck, like, is it the worst thing? He's also a shield card, which is great. Maria Hill becomes Maria Hill. And special funding. Oh, this is sick. I think we have 2 of these, maybe 3. It's a resource, so it generates 2 types of resources. It's flip kinds, which is not great, like split kinds, because the board members want 2 of the same kind. I feel like the camera's slightly red, right? Yeah, the color is slightly red. I can fix that later. After you spend this card to pay for shield support, place 1 all-purpose counter on that support after it enters play. So imagine we had that in one of our opening hands to play one of our 6 costers, because not only does this generate 2 resources, it would come in with another counter. Oh, and that is only 5 cards. 6 card front organization. I feel like I'm gonna feel like a dingus playing this too late. I wish we had one of these. This would have saved a 6 cost card from being discarded, but that's all it does. Yeah, is it slightly red? I feel like my skin is redder than most on that. Give me 1 second. No. How do you do this? No. F it. It's upside down. I don't know the controls that well. We'll just play off slightly red. It's fine. Not a big deal. All right. We put 1 thread here. Black Widow would activate against us, but she is stunned, or confused, excuse me, so she loses the confused. You need to know about X-Men or Adam Warlock? I got you covered. Yeah. Shield is also like a kind of a blind spot for me as well. Grappling hook. This is cool again. I've said this before, but you can play hero Black Widow and apparently villain Black Widow. All the cards have the same names as the hero cards, and they do similar things. Attached to Black Widow. Forced interrupt. When a player plays an event card, cancel its effects and discard it, then discard this card. So our next event will just be eaten by this no matter what. Again, sorry, I can't show the text. Our hand doesn't have that many events. We can always play one just to get rid of this card before it matters, but that was a pretty soft encounter card. I feel like we need to start dealing with these, so we have to just throw out 2 science resources or 2 energy resources. We want to play a shield support with special funding, so we'll probably play the support staff, which is technically over pitching, which is not fantastic. I think that's the best we have. I'm a huge Mooney, but just started reading Daredevil. Yeah, Moon Knight is not somebody I know a lot about. Like, the most exposure I've had to Moon Knight is playing Marvel Rivals. In the original cycles of this game, like 1 in every 4 cards had Daredevil's art on it. No joke. Like Daredevil, I think, showed up on the most cards, and there still isn't a Daredevil hero, which I think is just kind of weird considering how much attention Daredevil gets. All right, well, special funding. We'll play a shield support. So now this comes in with 4 counters. And we can exhaust this to generate a resource for playing, well, anything. Generate a resource for a player whose identity has a shield trait. So we have a shield trait. Hey, we're shield. That's us. Oh man, I really want a Sky Destroyer. Can you play Hero Black Widow and skip the scenario? No, I think you can just play them against it. They technically have rules about what to do, but if it shows up, I think you're still good. Technically, if a minion shows up that has the same name as you, that minion gets discarded. If a minion shows up with the same name as an ally you have, your ally gets discarded, I think. Like, there are rules for that uniqueness clash, but you're totally allowed to play, like, villain Magneto against hero Magneto. And they're just like, who cares? Just figure it out. You'll be fine. Daredevil's cool and unmatched. It wouldn't be the first time she was cloned. We can also jump. We can just move teleport counters onto the aircraft with Hero Maria. Yes, exactly. Which, if we don't need those are a great way because these are much more valuable than one resource a turn for sure. I'm getting stressed about these. I don't think there's much else we have to do. We could easily play a front organization. That leaves us with 2 physical icons, which is not fantastic. We don't have a great use of these ships because Nick Fury can just block for us, so we don't have to kill the activation. We definitely could thwart 2, which is overkill, so we might just heal 3 with Maria, which also feels like overkill. We might use a support staff just to generate a resource to take these down. So we can take down 2 physical. We can take down 1 and 1 energy. Oh, and these have text. I forgot these have text on them. They actually do good things. That actually is worth... It's not just like a resource sink. They actually do good stuff. I'm going to recover 3 with Maria. I don't think it's super important, but we will. And I'll play the front organization. Again, this is just a card that we can discard instead of discarding another card when we have to discard a card. All right, we'll flip up. Now, what will we do with Maria? We'll generate a resource. So it says exhaust, remove a staff counter to generate a wild resource. And then I'll throw out this energy card from our hand. And so now we're going to use this card that says spend 2 energy resources to remove a seeker counter from this. And heal a damage from a friendly character. Okay. Nick is at full health. Then I'll throw out 2 physical resources to remove a counter from this. And it says remove 1 counter from here, then deal 2 damage to an enemy. Black Widow says when a character you control attacks. So that's not an attack. So that gets around this. Mind you, 2 resources for 2 damage is not a good trade, but you have to deal with these. Nick we won't attack, because if we attack with Nick, he'll lose his toughness. Now, Maria Hill says move 1 all-purpose counter from a shield support to another shield support. So I'm just going to move 1 of these to, I think, the Iliad. Then we're going to exhaust the Iliad to deal 5 damage to an enemy. Notably, that's also not an attack. So holy crap, Black Widow's just getting cooked. And then we'll just hold Nick Fury to block, which is not necessary, but like we're also playing on standard. It's a bit easier. Yo, HFT, how's it going? If you use Nick and add another counter to Pericles, you can stun Widow and put the tough status back on Nick. Yeah, I feel like that's a bit extra. Like, I don't think we mind so much, but you're right. We can always just do this over and over again. Like, we move the counter and just keep her stun locked. I feel like I'd rather just push with the Iliad because I think our deck doesn't have enough damage. But this is also the first time I'm not only playing this deck, but I'm playing Maria. How's it going? Your allies betray you. That's an amazing plot twist. It's really, really quite cool. Gyroscopic is the channel. I'll see if I'll link it in the description. Maria's exhausted. We're ready. I'll probably remember to do it. All right, another special funding. The Cirque, this is the last one. This one just allows you to play an ally from free from your hand twice. Not a bad ability, that's for sure. And we also want to get out of the deck, but we might not be able to play this. Actually, with special funding, it seems pretty good. And we have support staff. On the double, ready on any number of shield supports with a combined cost of 6 or less. When we're playing the 6 costers, that card feels a bit okay. Double research generator and another front organization. We have 1 card left, which means we will cycle next round. And when we have to draw a card and can't, we get another counter card and we have to shuffle our discard pile back. So this means we can easily play, oh my god, we can play the Cirque so easy. And then we'll have 3 ships on the table. This goes to 2. Black Widow's attacking for 1 and a card will block with Nick Fury, which means Nick will be exhausted for the next round, so we can't use his text, but that's fine. This has 2 boost icons on it. Black Widow's Gauntlet, so 3 damage. I just love that they're the same Black Widow cards. Nick just loses a tough status card. And counter card is Press Conference. Oh, sick. We actually have this. So every hero has an obligation that gets shuffled in the counter deck. This is Maria's. So give to the Maria Hill player. Forced response. After the player phase ends, remove 1 all-purpose counter from each support you control. However, we can exhaust our identity to discard this card. I feel like we want to get rid of this. Press Conference being her obligation that takes her out of the field is so flavorful and so cool. a lot of the original obligations were like very symmetrical and very boring. They were like, exhaust your alter ego, or something bad happens. These now are a lot more interesting, as much as it's still exhaust your alter ego. Okay, that's us. So we're definitely going to get rid of the press conference. It's not going to do anything until after the player phase. So we're going to jump down to alter ego, which means we probably want to defeat Black Widow. Let's special funding. So for shield support, add a counter to it. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think we care about these cards. We could keep on the double, mind you, just to get rid of the grappling hook before it matters. That might be fine. So I'll do 5. No, but this counter is way more than a resource, worth more than a resource. And I'll play the Cirque. Comes in with 3 counters because we used our thing on it. And now we have all the ships besides, well, 2 of them. Actually, we're missing a lot of ships. All right. So we can now use Maria to move a counter from here to here. The Iliad could definitely advance Black Widow, which probably is correct, but I don't think we're in a huge rush to do that. So I think we might hold for a second. We're going to use the Pericles to remove a supply counter from it, give a hero, villain, status card, and give an ally. So we're going to give Nick Fury tough again. We won't be precious about this tough. I'm realizing being precious about the tough is costing us using Nick Fury, which sucks because using Nick Fury is really, really good. We'll confuse Black Widow. We'll flip down for Maria Hill, and we'll exhaust Maria Hill to get rid of the press conference. And it says, discard this. Some of them removed from the game. Why is there a bunch of boats named from Greek mythology and then some dude named Douglas? I don't know what the Douglas is. That's the one that seems different. Like other ones, they all seem like they're from, Greek epics. And then who's the Douglas? Iliad, we don't need to do. The Cirque, we definitely don't need to do. Moving Cirque counters actually maybe a bit more important than using support staff counters, because I don't think we're going to play that many allies, but getting a resource a turn is like kind of fine in context of this. So instead, I'm going to move this one over, and then this will be a 2. All right. So we draw our last card. It's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So this is a team up card. It's a team card, excuse me. I don't really care about it. Our deck is empty. So we get an encounter card, which we'll draw during the encounter card step. Black Widow's done nothing so far. Like she's basically been blank text. Obviously that's because we don't really attack her a lot, but fuck. Yeah, this has not been very interesting. I think I've heard that feedback online. Black Widow's text really hasn't mattered so far, which is like her text is kind of cool, right? That we attack her and then she does tricks off the top of her deck, but I don't even think we've seen any preparation cards. So maybe that means the rest of the deck will be preparation cards. Okay. On the double, ready any number of shield supports, 6 or less, special funding. We can play shield supports cheaply. Slingshot, can't show that. It's a cheap ally that can come down. We can play for free with the Cirque. We might. Grant Ward, a free ally, and we have 6 hand sides. So all points bulletin. Now we have 4 shields supports. So we can do up to 4 threat, 4 damage, whatever combination thereof. Still not fantastic. I feel like we just want more cheaper supports to flood the table, but this deck doesn't have that many, I don't think. This goes to 3. Black Widow would activate, but she is confused. Our encounter cards. First one is Night Vision Goggles. Cool. Gives her 1 scheme. Attach to Black Widow. So now she's scheming for 3. Each encounter card without a printed preparation ability gains preparation. Prevent all damage from this attack. Then discard Night Vision Goggles. Oh shit, that's so cool. So she can see us coming at night. Now preparation text doesn't actually fire unless we attack her and it removes threat from the main scheme. Because again, her text says that when we attack her, if we can remove 1 threat from there, which we have to if we can, you discard the top card of the deck and resolve its preparation, which means every card now will have the take no damage, discard that. That's the only way to discard it too, which is interesting. So we always have to like attack her on purpose to get rid of that. Aim Grunt, nice. A minion. 5, guard. Guard just means we can't attack Black Widow. The thing is like the Pericles does not care, or sorry, the Iliad doesn't care, because the Iliad just says deal damage. That's not an attack. So in theory, we can just shoot over the aim grunt into Black Widow and just not care about guard, which honestly might make some sense here. All right, what are we doing? We have no shield supports to use special funding. We definitely want to work with these. This is 2 threat removal. This is heal damage. This is do damage. Huh. We can just play on the double to get rid of the grappling hook, and then we can just for free play, well, not for free, for special, play all points bulletin and just like distribute the damage and threat very elegantly. So that would be that. We can play Grant Ward and take 2 damage and not care. And then we can play Slingshot for free with the Cirque. I don't think we need to play Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Doesn't seem super necessary. So if that's the case, we'll flip up. We'll exhaust the Cirque. It says remove a counter from it. Put an ally into play from your hand. So I can't show the text on Slingshot, but her text is not relevant. Her text only it matters if you want to play her from your hand fast or as an action for free. For 1 resource, excuse me. I'm going to play on the double, and Grappling Hook says, when a player plays an event card, cancel its effect and discard it, then discard this card. So just to get that out of the way. Now I'm going to play Special Funding for All Points Bulletin. So it generates 2 resources. Its text doesn't matter because its text fires after you play shield support. So now for each shield support you control, remove 1 threat from a scheme, deal 1 damage to an enemy. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 shield supports. So we can do 4 damage and or threat. We'll take this down to 3 and take this down to 2. Sorry, we'll do 3 damage to it. Yeah. Now we can play Grant Ward. Grant Ward comes in for free, but has a forced response that if we reveal treachery, he attacks us and disappears, which is good. Good for him, Grant. I'm glad that you're independent. I'm going to generate a support staff to generate a wild, and then I'll throw out this to generate a science resource. So I can remove 2 threat from this, clear that down. Now that means it doesn't really matter who attacks, so we'll do Slingshot to defeat Game Grunt. I don't think we care about the toughness so much. We're at full health. So Nick Fury, instead of taking consequential, will take the tough off, dropping to 2. And I guess Grant Ward, F it, we'll just advance last action, which is pretty rough. And Black Widow is defeated. And so now we have to go Black Widow 2. When revealed, place 2 threat on the main scheme, 2 for player. So this is back at 2. Now we're adding 2 per round, which is kind of scary. We can still like Pericles to like stun her if we want to. And Force Interrupt, when a character you control attacks Black Widow, remove 1 threat from the main scheme, discard the top card, do the preparation ability attack. So same as before. She has 16 health, which is a bit more than it was before. I like how it comes in with threat automatically, so it makes her text as relevant as possible if you're just trying to rush her down. And I guess we just use our cards to not make her have text. So we'll use the Pericles. Pericles, give a villain a status card. You're stunned, Black Widow. Give one of our heroes one of our minions or allies a status card. We haven't used Maria, have we? No, we haven't. Oh, we could also grab the shield support from her hand. I think that's fine. We'll just clear this. Yeah, this seems really easy. Holy shit. Is Maria that good? Like, I feel like we just have so many buttons that don't interact with the game. Let's hit those buttons, I guess. Organizational support. This can generate up to 4 resources at a minimum. We can clear City Chief Surveillance Office. Another front organization. All Points Bulletin, which is now doing, again, 4. Reinforcements, which can add a support. And Super Spies, which we can play. Place a total of 3 all-purpose counters. This card is just cracked. When our cards use counters to do like 5 damage, this is just so much value. Oh my god. Especially because Nick Fury is in play, which is not that hard when we can keep Nick Fury around. All right. We have to remember about Grant Ward's text, which can matter. So we put 2 here. Black Widow attack, but she's stunned. This is a treachery. It is. So after you reveal treachery. After you reveal, I think we reveal, and now after we've revealed. I don't know if after you reveal is after this fires. Does anybody know? After you reveal, is that after you fire the treachery? I don't know. I feel like reveal is the first step. This is when revealed, so I guess we'll reveal it first. You are stunned. Widow's Bite. This is a symmetrical card from Black Widow. Take 1 damage. 2 damage instead of you're already stunned. Yeah, I'm fine. That didn't do much. And now Grant Ward says, you may spend a science icon. If you did not, take damage equal to Grant Ward's attack and remove Grant from the game. So Grant on his own is worth the science icon because he's at least 2 thwart. We've paid 0 for him. So on average, I'd be happy playing up to 1 or 2 cost for him, especially because I can amortize it between different turns. So it's fun. Is this set the Mumbed cycle of Marvel Champions? I've heard that criticism about Maria is that like she is very, very strong and kind of boring, but we'll figure it out. Does stunning Grant Ward stop him from punching you? No, and specifically because they say take damage equal to Grant Ward's attack. If they said Grant Ward attacks you, then yes, but there's also like no rule structure for your minions attacking you. But that's very funny. Honestly, I wish that worked like that you could stun your own person. I think that's it. So now all we want to do is we want to clear these. We at least want to clear Chief Tactical Office. We can do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 damage, which will drop her to 4. That means if we play All Points Bulletin, that does 4 damage. Yeah, I think we're good. The issue is that this is physical resources. So if we have to do something like this, how do we do this? What do we generate resources? This will generate resources for that. Then we play super spies and we do reinforcements. Yeah, we won't be able to defeat it this turn. The only way we can defeat Black Widow this turn is if we like play reinforcements to ready the Iliad and fire the Iliad twice. Which I think that makes it impossible for us to clear Chief Tactical Officer, because that's the only physical, unless we do super spies. Actually, it might be correct. We could pitch super spies for a wild, plus support staff to generate 2 to clear that. That does 2 damage. Then we attack 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, we have it. It's on standard. It's relatively easy. So we'll super spies and generate one of these. So this says generate a wild resource for a player's identity as a shield trait. And then we'll use these 2 physicals to remove 1 secret. So there's no secrets on that anymore. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. Not an attack. So this goes down to 14. Notably, when we attack her, one of the... Oh, actually, because of the night vision, we have to thwart 2, I think. Oh, that's fine. Oh, that's kind of annoying. We won't be able to advance her here, but that's fine. Yeah, I think that's okay. So, we'll organizational support. This generates 1 resource. We'll exhaust the circ to generate another resource, and we'll play all points bulletin. Let's say that we did that before we did that, because there would have been 1 more shield support. So for each shield support, imagine we did that first, so we'd have 4 shield supports. We'll remove 2 from here, 2 from here. Oh, we might still have it. Yeah, we definitely do. Oh no, but we can't play this. Fuck, I messed it up. I feel like there might have been a way to do it. The problem is the next attack gets canceled unless we remove all threat from this. Nick Fury will attack for 2. Yeah, okay. As much as I shit talked it, there's actually some interesting turn structure there, because we could have refilled the support staff by attacking with Nick. Yeah, interesting. So we'll move 2 threat. Her ability doesn't fire. So Grant will attack for 2. So this goes down to 13. We'll attack with slingshot. We don't care. She doesn't take consequential because of the toughness. So down to 6. We're 1 resource short. We'll use the Iliad. Remove a counter, deal 5 damage. Not an attack. Doesn't matter. Now, if we attack with Maria Hill is stunned. We're short 1 damage, if I'm not mistaken. Notably, too, you actually can use Chief Tactical Officer as many times as you want. It says spend 2 physical resources, remove 1 secret counter from here, then deal 2 damage. Okay, it says then, which means if you don't remove the damage. So then we'll attack with Maria Hill, which removes the stun. In theory, if we're really cocky about this, we can just use the Pericles, which we will, to stun Black Widow and put a toughness back on Slingshot. The Pericles goes down. And we don't need to keep reinforcements. Yeah, I feel like on 1 health, I think she might be a bit cornered here. We'll draw cards. On the double, this readies any number of shield supports with the combined printed cost. Oh, that's the card we wanted. This places counters. Okay, so we did the turn wrong anyways. These cards look very similar. This is the one that places counters. This is the one that readies. We needed the ready one. Yeah. The last card is Endurance. Ian, how's it going? Like, Never Endurance? There is a Marvel Champions Endurance, and it does see consistent play. Command team is not bad. A genius for 2 resources. Special funding for 2 resources. We drew the Bellerophon, which we can use to hurt Black Widow and kill Black Widow, which will be kind of perfect. And that's it. We put 2 here. Black Widow would attack, but she's stunned. We get 1 encounter card. Nabbed. When revealed, if Abduct Superhumans is not in play, find it and put into play. Okay. Sorry, I can't show these cards because I don't have the scans of them. We'll get them eventually. Abduct Superhumans. It has Surge, but this is put into play. So put into play doesn't fire Surge, if I'm not mistaken. It has 2 threat on it. It's a side scheme. This one says, when an ally leaves play, tuck it under here and place threat equal to its cost. Then place 1 acceleration token here. When defeated, put each ally tucked under here into play under its control. Okay, so it steals your allies, but it gives them back as soon as you clear this, which doesn't seem that terrible. All right, when an ally leaves play, so we just have to remember there's a trigger there. When an ally leaves play, the rest of Nabbed says, discard cards from the top of your deck until an ally is discarded and tucked it under Abduct Superhumans. Oh, that was the next card. That's what we wanted to play to destroy Black Widow. We have allies in our deck, right? Right? Melinda May, tuck it under Abduct Superhumans. Okay. That says tuck it under here, then place threat. So I don't think that happens. This text probably has more. Place threat equal to the ally's cost and 1 acceleration token. So this basically just uses words to force the ability on this. That's actually a really cool encounter card. This is the modular set, so you can use this in any Marvel Champions encounter you're playing. And this has 1 acceleration, so now we're adding 3 per turn. Okay. Now we reveal the treachery, so Grant Ward. We either discard Grant Ward or remove from game and he attacks us, or we can play a science icon. We'll just let Grant Ward do his thing. Take damage to Grant Ward's attack and remove Grant Ward from the game. I'm going to put him in this discard pile because we're going to win this round anyways, but in theory you shouldn't. And now we can just defeat Black Widow. So all we're going to do here is we're going to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the Bellerophon. Pronunciation check needed. It comes in with 4 counters because we used special funding. And then exhaust Bellerophon, deal 3 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with that player. It's also not an attack, so it won't trigger Black Widow's ability, and Black Widow was defeated. Really easy, honestly. Black Widow's text never mattered. I don't even think we saw a preparation card. That seemed like a very, very soft start. This deck looks powerful. I think we had a good start. Even in its inefficient state, I could see why Maria Hill is just cracked. Continues on. All right. We're flying. Literally flying in many other ways. Victory. Record the total number of minions and side schemes in play in the campaign log. 0. Record the number of secret counters on each board member card in the campaign log. Oh, we should have removed those. Okay. So we probably should have removed these on that final turn instead of doing the cool stunt, because the more of those removed, the easier it would be in the future. So we have to remember 2 and 2. So we goofed it up, but that's fine. If at least one board member environment in play has no secret counters on it, gain 1 evidence card from the shield envelope and cross out each combination of means, motive, and opportunity in the campaign log that includes the icon. So because we cleared one of these, not in the one that has our actual secrets, but in the other envelope, we get to pull 1 random card. I'm just going to pull the top card. I think if I pull it this way, it doesn't matter. We're going to flip it. And this card not only will have setups text that we can use from now on, but obviously we know this card is here, which means it's not in the secret box. We got security scanner. Setup. Each player may add 1 secret counter to a board member environment to search their collection for a different aggression ally and shuffle it into their deck. This says search the collection, which is really cool because that means search your binder and you can actually add cards to the game that you wouldn't have. I don't think there's any aggression shield allies. I think aggression just never got shield cards, but that's cool. Each player may add 1 threat to the main scheme to search their deck for an aggression ally and add it to their hand. So this gives us +1 hand size at a minimum if we want to do it, but also we can now add a card from our collection to our deck. Huh. It's also set up too, which means in theory, the villain will set up first. I think the way that they worded this, and then based off of that, we can go get an aggression ally that could work against that specific villain. So for instance, if they have a lot of attachments, I could go get Sunfire. If we want to block, we can go get something big like Hulk. That's actually kind of cool. And this was random that we got it. So we'll have to remember that's a card. We'll probably forget at some point, but I'll pull out the binder in a second and we'll deal with that during setup. That's it. Let's continue. It's an Arkham card. Yeah, Search Your Collection is now showing up in Arkham a lot more, which is great. All right, unfortunately, I have to read this here, but also there. We'll get through it. Bolova's not talking. Not a problem here. Ames goons. Goons are singing like canaries. I like how the Ames designed wearing those like little tube helmets. They've been abducting Inhumans from all over the country and are smuggling them out in the country through the AIM Island Embassy with the help of the mercenary Batroc. When do we go in? Officially, we don't. The board is afraid of a diplomatic incident. Unofficially, we leave immediately. If we fail, there'll be a blowback. Then we won't fail. So the next villain is Batroc. I know as Batroc the Leaper. From my understanding, Batroc showed up in one of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, I think one of the Captain America movies, and actually was played by GSP, George St. Pierre, who is one of the most famous and very, very good Quebecois, we're in Quebec, martial artist, mixed martial artist. He used to fight in the UFC, was very, very, very good, and has done a bit of acting. And specifically, they got a guy who could really fucking kick people and allowed him to play in a Marvel Cinematic Universe and fight, I think, Chris Evans fighting Captain America. So this is Batroc. So we're fighting off against Quebecois hero George St. Pierre. I want to be very clear, if since that time George St. Pierre has said anything really regrettable, has turned out to be a shithead, we do not endorse him. But if George St. Pierre is still loved by many, then he will be a famous Quebecois pugilist. All right, let's clean this up. We have to go grab an aggression ally at some point. Again, sorry, I can't show you the scans of this card. We'll get those eventually. We'll reset our health, flip Maria, and then set things up. I'm going to leave these on the table. I don't know if we reset these counters or not. The next scenario setup will tell us, but we just have to clean up Black Widow. So far, things look cool. Like, the spy theme is real. Like, you have to plan things, you have to sneak around. I think we're going to see more of that. Obviously, the first scenario is usually pretty simple and straightforward. For a lot of people, this could be their first encounter with Marvel Champions boxes. So the first box is usually, or the first villain in the box is usually a bit streamlined. But that so far wasn't very cool. I think if we play on harder difficulty, that'll be definitely a lot more interesting because you have to care a bit more about the scheming out. All right, I need to break this down really quickly because we might have to reuse some of these sets. The S.H.I.E.L.D. executives will definitely reuse. AIM Science and AIM Abduction we might have to reuse as well. We reuse Science, Standard, excuse me, for free. For sure. Oh my God. This is something I'm noticing. Like, you probably know if you're familiar with me that I have a tendency to talk pretty fast. And when I talk about Netrunner pretty quickly, I still say the wrong thing, not unoften. Like, it's not uncommon that I just say the wrong thing because I'm thinking about the next sentence, and then contextually you can figure it out, which again, it's not a great spot to be in. But the problem is with a game like Marvel Champions, the majority of Marvel Champions I've played solo, and so I haven't had to say the words of things, like thwarting versus scheming, villain, minion, like these seem like minor things, but I just don't have the vocabulary established the same way as someone who's been talking about Netrunner for many, many, many hundreds of hours. So sometimes I struggle and say the wrong thing, where it's like, oh, the villain thwarts when I meant to say scheme, and like those sort of things seem inconsequential. Clearly, too, like I don't know the names of all the different resources because I haven't had to say them. You just look at it and be like, oh yeah, that one. We're missing an AIM abductor. Oh, card out's right here. Nice. Standard 3 is here. This should be, and our obligations, so like 8 cards. That's right. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, that's, oh, and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that should go here. And we'll see what the next setup is. This is here. Okay, next up, Batroc the Leaper. Just a guy in a brown suit who jumps a lot. Very good at kicking you. Nice. This looks like it comes with a new encounter set that has a lot of minions. I think minions are really fun because we can hit them with big ships from the sky. All right, we'll do the setup here first. Scenario number 2, Batroc. The arrested Black Widow refuses to talk, but her AIM accomplices are not so disciplined. You learn that they have been involved in a large-scale kidnapping ring all over the United States on behalf of the government of AIM Island, the sovereign island nation governed by AIM. I don't know what AIM stands for. The evidence points to these kidnapping victims being smuggled out of the US through the AIM Island Embassy in Washington, D.C. You decide to infiltrate the embassy without S.H.I.E.L.D. executive board approval. If you are discovered inside the embassy, S.H.I.E.L.D. will disavow any knowledge of your activities, and you will face legal consequences. I love how the threat here is legal consequences. Yeah, that's true. Your mission is to locate and extract any missing persons being held inside the embassy. So we're sneaking around an embassy. I'm excited. So we're playing Batroc A. We'll play Batroc B on if we play expert. So this is a 2-sided card. Great. So we're going to be playing A, which is a bit easier. He only has 8 health, so obviously there's going to be something interesting going on here. We'll probably have to defeat him many, many times. Generally, we've seen that before. Some villains have a lot of health. You have to defeat 2 stages, but there's a bunch of villains that have low health, but every time you defeat it, it resets its hit points and you get some benefit. This looks like the latter. Main scheme deck will be Infiltrate AIM. Infiltrate AIM? Huh? Oh, that's the main scheme deck, excuse me. Infiltrate AIM Embassy. Oh, these are these cards. Locate missing persons, extract captives. So we have 3 main schemes to go through, so those probably will advance at some point. Encounter deck is Batroc. That's these cards. Oh, this looks like it's going to start in play. These look like they're going to be out of play. Batroc's Brigade. That's cool. That's a set of 5 cards. 3 of them are minions. They look not that bad. And Standard. Okay, so we don't use any of these. Well, we're going to use AIM Interference, I'm pretty sure, but we can put these AIM Soldiers and the AIM Abduction stuff aside. Excuse me. I think that's it. Infiltrating the embassy. The player's objective in this scenario is not to defeat the villain Batroc, but instead to advance through the 3 stages of the main scheme by reducing the threat on each stage to 0. Oh, cool. So this is like, we haven't seen one of these in a while, but there was a really cool scenario back in Galaxy's Most Wanted where you didn't win by defeating the villain, but each thing came in with a lot of threat and you reduced the threat. And anytime the threat got to 0, you resolved the next card and then you actually had to bring threat down. It's a cool structure, I think. Stage 1 sees the heroes breaking into the embassy. In Stage 2, the heroes must release captives being held in the embassy. Each time the threat on the stage is reduced to 0, the players gain one of the set-aside rescued captive allies and then face a choice. They may reset the threat on the main scheme to 3 per player in order to free another captive, or they can advance to Stage 3. In Stage 3, the heroes make a mad dash to escape the embassy with the freed captives. If the players can remove all threat from the main scheme before all the rescue captives are defeated, they win. So it looks like there's going to be a bunch of captives. We've also seen something kind of like this in Age of Apocalypse. Oh no, the one before that, where there's going to be these sort of like civilians that we have to protect, and then we have to get them out. So I'm pretty sure the villain's going to be attacking these people, not us, and then it's up to us to protect them. Setup. So we have to do the campaign instructions after we do the normal setup. So we'll do the normal setup first. Hey, Maddie, how's it going? How was your trip? I take it you might have taken a nap at this point. Good evening across the ocean. So 2 modular sets, AIM Science and Batroc's Brigade. Did I mess that up already? AIM Science. Oops. So we need to have Batroc, Standard, AIM Science, and Batroc's Brigade. AIM Science. AIM Science. Oh, okay. So good. We didn't mess it up yet. AIM Science we need. Hey, little friend. You see a little cat? Maddie? Nanako came. She heard you. Nana might climb up behind me. Sleepy still. All right. I feel like this didn't say to use AIM Science. Oh, it did. I just didn't read it. Okay. So these 5 encounter cards are going to the deck as well. Setup. Set each rescued captain ally aside. Then, so there's 4 of them. They'll go aside here. Put the alert level environment into play low side face up. In expert mode, place 2 threat per player on alert level. So we're on low alert. This is going to be cool. I think this is one of the scenarios where we have to be a bit stealthy. So this is alert level. Says if there's at least 4 per player threat here, remove all threat and flip this card over. The back is high alert. Forced response. After a character is defeated, except by consequential damage, place 1 threat here. Now, notably, this says character. So this will be the villain. This will be minions. This will be allies. But after anything is defeated, unless it's by consequential, place 1 threat here. So we don't want to be blocking with our allies. This is not that different than the gene pool if you played Age of Apocalypse. As a hero action, we can spend 1 resource of any type to remove 1 threat here. And we can do this as many times as we want. So this does give me vibes like the Collector. But this comes in with no threat on it. It would come in with a bit of threat if we're playing on higher difficulty. Yeah. Cool. We'll flip this over. This comes in with 6 threat. If it hits 12, we have a problem. It says infiltrate AIM Island Embassy. You sneak into the AIM Island Embassy and search for the abducted S.H.I.E.L.D. specialist Sarah Garza. There you come face to face with the mercenary known as Batroc the Leaper. Forced interrupt. When the last threat is removed from the scheme, advance to 2A. The players win by advancing, so it's warning us that we should advance. And if this stage is completed, we lose the game. So it already starts with a lot of threat. That's not good. We have Batroc here, only has 8 health, which is not a lot. But after Batroc attacks, place 1 threat on alert level. So stunning is going to be pretty important because attacking just makes the threat go up. It says when Batroc would be defeated. Oh, hello, Nanako. Hi. When Batroc would be defeated, reset hit points to 8 instead, then remove 6 threat from the main scheme. So if we just one-shot Batroc on turn 1, we'll be able to clear the scheme. Nana, you want to play? Hey. What? Maddie, you came just at the right time. She's got her lunch. She was okay about it, but now she's hanging out. Setup. Oh, okay. You're hopping down. You want to play cards? You can play cards. Place threat on alert level. Environment equal to the number of minions and side schemes recorded in the campaign log for scenario 1. Oh, there was 1 side scheme, so we'll put 1 on the alert level. That's actually huge. I forgot we were meant to care about side schemes. So we start with slightly a bit of alert. Oh, Nana is just off camera. I cannot show her because she's behind my picture, but hey, little friend. Prepare the S.H.I.E.L.D. executive board set. Put 3 board members into play. Put secret counters on each board member environment equal to the number of secret counters recorded for that environment in scenario 1. So these didn't change. Shuffle the 3 copies of AIM Interference Obligation. And after resolving mulligans, resolve the setup ability on each evidence. So we'll have to go grab an aggression. Aggression ally if we want it. Hey, little friend. Are you excited about this as I am? It's been a while since we got new Marvel. New Marvel champions. She is staring at me. She tried to wake me up last night. I mostly slept through it, and so she gave up. But I woke her up this morning. I just went next to her and whispered into her ear, hungry? And she's like, oh, I'm awake. No, Nana, don't step on that. You're gonna hurt. Okay. Let me just pile shuffle this and we'll get in. All right, so we want to basically keep the alert threat level low. 6 threat on the main scheme. We have 8 health on Batroc. Batroc schemes only for 1, attacks for 2, but scheming for 1 means that we can probably flip down with without really caring that much. This getting to 0 is like kind of strange to me because it means if we don't do anything, we immediately, like if we win the scenario, we get another card out of the envelope. I feel like I might be missing something. Like, do we ever recharge that? I guess we can recharge that a bit with the evidence. Hey friend, what's up? You want to climb up? Go. Come on. Up. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not sure. It feels like we're missing something. I think she's trying to climb up. Oh, there you go. It's weird that she won't interact with Neverner streams, but anything else, she's like super down to chill. Issues, I need to stand up to go get my aggression binder because I have to go grab an ally. Sorry, Nan. 8 health. We're not actually that good at blasting 8 health. There's a lot of heroes that have like a card that'll do like an event that'll do like somewhere between 4 and 8 damage. So you can one-shot Batroc if you wanted to. I'm pretty sure that we're going to stay on this scheme for a while, on this main scheme, and just like set up a bit. We obviously are a bit of a setup deck, but I don't think we want to fly immediately to the area where rescued captives are in play because we're not going to be able to defend them well. We have 2 defense, which is actually way higher than I thought we'd have. And defending is actually kind of reasonable. So we don't do that much unless we're thwarting. Okay. So the setup card here says, each player may add a secret counter to a board member to search their collection for a different aggression ally and shuffle it into their deck. Then you may add 1 threat to the main scheme to search the deck for aggression ally and add it to your hand. That happens after a mulligan, so I guess we'll start with a mulligan, and based off of that, we'll decide what we want to do. Again, if we draw like an ass hand, we don't technically have to increase the threat, but we always can decide to do one part of it or both. Command team, I don't care about that. Front organization, doesn't matter. Life model decoy, who cares? Super spies, doesn't matter. Strength, we'll keep that. And 1 more card, Dum Dum Dugan, doesn't matter. We'll discard all of these. So we've at least got 1 of these, which means if we draw into one of our 6-cost cards, we can dump most of our hand and not have to exhaust Maria Hill, which means we can take 2 threat off Infiltrate Aim. Slingshot, we can play her for 1. I don't know why the scan of her doesn't work, but we can spend an energy resource to put her into play. And at the end of the phase, she goes back to her hand. Grant Ward is free. The Cirque, okay. That means we can play Slingshot for free from our hand if we want to. The Douglas, remove threat from each scheme. So this alert level is not a scheme, so we can't remove threat from it. Not that there's threat on it. And then we have organizational support, which isn't phenomenal here. So we can now go get an aggression ally and add it to our hand. I'm not sure what aggression ally would be good in this matchup. I think I have to go check the binder, but I have to stand up. So Nanako, please don't be upset at me. I'll be back in just a second. Also, because this is wired now on the other side, I always have to climb over wires. I'm hoping that I don't hurt myself. Nana, 1 second. Do not take my chair, please. You're in charge now. You're in charge of the stream. Opa. I'm assuming I should have taken all the binders because we're going to need all the binders. I imagine these cards have like symmetrical text. So we got to add 1 aggression ally. Shovel them to their deck, or we can add it to our hand. Cats are great. I could say that for sure. She is an absolutely fantastic cat. So this is a card we actually could consider taking. And I think we might. Hold on. Is this an active? Did the Bluetooth cut out? No. Did the bad thing happen? Did we not type for long enough that we lost the Bluetooth connection of the keyboard and it won't reconnect? Is that the world we live in? Oh no, that's really bad. Okay. Bear with me. I have this really cute keyboard, but the Bluetooth connection on it is not consistent enough. And then when it disconnects, it won't reconnect until you do a lot of work. So this. After you play Spider-Girl from your hand, stun and confuse a minion. Now, I think this is actually going to matter. From what I've seen in spoilers of the scenario, the vulnerable keyword will show up. And vulnerable says when you stun or confuse a minion with vulnerable, it will discard itself. And that means it doesn't defeat itself, which is really important because the alert level goes up when an enemy is defeated. And we obviously want to keep the alert level down. So if that's the case, I honestly think for 2 resources, Spider Girl's kind of fine. Now, notably, there's no shield. I don't think there's a single shield card. As much as Maria Hill will make any ally we play if we're on hero mode a shield ally. So that actually is kind of cute. But I don't think there's that much more we want. Most of the aggression allies are about doing damage, and we're not that great at doing damage. So getting an aggression ally in our deck actually might be pretty slick. But I think we're just going to go for the cheap Spider Girl and try and interact with the vulnerable statuses, because vulnerable statuses are kind of fun. Yeah, it's a cool mechanic, isn't it, right? Okay, Pat, how's it going? I'm not sure if you're talking about alert level or vulnerable, but vulnerable is really cool because stunning and confusing minions is like not a very good use of the resource, so why the heck not? Also, notably, the Pericles can stun and confuse minions, which might be super useful. It's time for a new keyboard. Shopping, yeah. I think there's so many things like to spend to upgrade this. This camera needs to be upgraded. I think that's more important. I'll worry about the keyboard. Yeah, I think we'll go from there. M.O.D.O.K's just big chillin'. She's having a good Sunday. I'll just take Spider Girl and see what this is like. So we can add her to our hand for 1 threat, which gives us another card in our hand, which means let's just plan this out. Because Security Scanner says that we can add 1 threat to the main scheme to search the deck for an aggression ally and add it to your hand. We'll decide that before shuffling. Notably, we have to put 1 threat on one of these if we want to add the aggression card, which we will. So the question is, what is the cost to play our hand? This is 1, 2, 3. I don't think we'll play the Douglas. 4, 5, 6 to play the Cirque to play Slingshot. If that's the case, we can keep Grant Ward and also go grab a card with our Maria Hill ability. So that means we'll have another card in hand, which means we can just play this and then put 2 allies on the table turn 1. Notably, too, Grant Ward removes himself from the game, so is not defeated. Allies might not be fantastic in this scenario because of the whole like alert level problem, but I think that's actually pretty good. So I think we will put a threat here. So we'll go up to 7. Vulnerable, and particularly how it interacts with the scenario mechanic. Yeah, it's really, really quite cool. I like that a lot. I think they realized in the history of this game, hey M.O.D.O.K, is that blocking with allies, chump blocking was immensely powerful. And so they went out of their way to build scenarios in which chump blocking doesn't make sense. So we saw that back in whatever the first mutant box was, where they abduct anything that you block with and gets defeated if it gets enough counters. We saw that in the gene pool, and now we're seeing it again, which is sick. So I will use Maria Hill's ability, exhaust Maria Hill to search your deck for shield support, add to your hand. I'm just going to grab Command Team. Actually, is there a worse one? Yeah, we should grab Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's worse. We have 3 of these. Oh, it's not a shield support. Oh, we misplayed. This technically isn't a shield support. What we did in our first game on our first action was illegal. But we want to take out a shield support that we're not going to use. And because our deck has a lot of 3-ofs, I thought we could take Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, but it's not a shield support, even though it has the word shield on it. So I guess it will be a Command Team. Command Team can be terrible in this scenario because it allows you to use your allies really quickly. And in theory, you don't want to block with your allies. So using them a lot and getting them defeated to consequential won't increase the alert level. Okay. So that means we have Spider Girl in hand. We'll pitch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll play the Cirque. We'll immediately exhaust the Cirque. So it'll only have 1 counter on it to play an ally from our hand. And so we'll play 2 allies. We'll play Grant Ward for free and Slingshot. Mind you, we'll lose Grant Ward immediately if we draw Treachery, but we can always pay resources to keep them around. I think we'll flip up. Here in this mode, we can always spend a resource to get rid of this. We can spend resources to deal with those. This actually might have been fine to deal with. We'll see. I'm assuming there's encounter cards that will scale up linearly with alert level. Slingshot, we'll scheme for 2. Grant Ward, we'll scheme for 2. Feel like we just want to keep this down to reasonable levels, and then we'll start attacking Batroc. If we can keep Batroc at low health, so we can always just like 1-tap him to deal 6 off of this, that's probably a good spot to be in. So generally you want to keep these villains low, but not defeat them, because when we defeat this, we remove 6. Reinforcements. This adds a counter to cards, shield supports, Command Team. Another one. Organizational support. So this can exhaust allies into supports. I forgot it can exhaust allies. So this can generate up to 4 resources. On the double, ready shield cards, and we only draw 5 cards. Okay. This adds a counter. Batroc is attacking for 2 a card. After Batroc attacks, place 1 threat on alert level. That's after it resolves. So I will forget to do that. We'll gotta watch out. So Batroc is attacking for 2 and a card. We don't want to block with these because if they're defeated, the alert level goes up. So we'll just tank 2 and a card. Oops. 1 boost icon, so 3 damage. We go from 9 down to 6. And then the alert level goes up 1. Again, we can spend 1 resource to reduce the alert level by 1. Our encounter card is not a treachery, which is good. So Grant Ward stays. Aim Soldier, I can't show the text on this one. Comes in with 3 health. It has Patrol. Patrol means that we cannot remove threat from, I believe, only the main scheme while it's in play. I think we can do side schemes. I have to double check that. When revealed, find Aim Scientist and put it in play engaged with you. If it's already in play, it engages you. If Aim Scientist did not enter play this way, place 1 threat on the main scheme. So what the heck is Aim Scientist? There's a cards upside down. That's frightening. Why are there cards upside down? Aim Scientist. So it says put it into play. So put into play means that its triggers won't fire, if I'm not mistaken. Put it into play. So I think Surge and Vulnerable don't trigger when put into play. I'll just double check that. The rules will tell us really quickly. So Surge says, it doesn't describe Surge here. I'm pretty sure Surge is only when it engages you. I don't know if someone can check that really quickly, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Now this comes in with 2 health. It's vulnerable, so discard this card if it's stunned or confused. And again, anytime we defeat a character, the alert level goes up. When it hits 4, it flips, so we want to be careful. And it says this has an acceleration, which is cool. We haven't seen a lot of minions, which is surprising with text like this that have symbols on it. I'm surprised we haven't seen that. I think putting symbols on minions is really cool. It says while the engaged player is engaged with another minion, Aim Scientist cannot be attacked. Oh, shit, that is cool. This doesn't attack us or scheme, but when it's engaged with us, this threat goes up. That is such a cool design. So while this is engaged with another minion, it cannot be attacked. So if we defeat Aim Soldier, this goes up 1, and then we can attack this. So that's sick. That's our encounter card. That's actually really cool. So Patrol, Surge, and Vulnerable. Again, I want to check if Patrol means we can do the side scheme. Not there is a side scheme. Patrol cannot thwart the main scheme. Okay. So we have some work to do. If we defeat Aim Soldier, this goes to 3. We can always do 2 damage to an enemy by spending 2 physical resources. Our hand is not very good. At a minimum, we can command team, so we can use Grant Ward twice, which makes sense. Otherwise, Grant Ward will leave, so that's okay. It's another cheap shield card. So we could do like... We're not going to use a Cirque, so we can exhaust the Cirque and generate 1 for organizational play command team. I think people like this card way more than the amount I've played it. I just haven't played a lot of command team. So we can exhaust this to ready an ally. And use a counter. They're all-purpose counters, which is good. That's cheap. Now with this hand, we can ready any number of shield supports. Oh, that's cool, because then in theory we could play this, but yeah, we don't have ways to use our hand. So then I think we will use... we have 2 physicals, which means we can do Chief Tactical Officer, which is not perfect. So I think we're going to keep a lot of these to do alert level. So Grant Ward's going to attack for 2. We'll command team to ready Grant Ward. Maria Hill's going to attack for 1, I think, to defeat the Aim Soldier. This goes to 3. Grant can finish this. This goes to 4. So we can pay 3 resources. And Slingshot can go 2. I think that's what we'll do. So if that's the case, it doesn't really matter who does what. So Maria Hill will attack for 1. That defeats Aim Soldier. Which means now we can deal with this, because this cannot be attacked. Cannot be attacked. Notably, anything that's not an attack can still damage it. So if we had like one of our ships or something. Now this goes up to 3 because this says after a character is defeated, except by consequential. Now Grant will first pay 1 resource, spend a resource to remove 1 threat from here. So we'll remove 1 threat. Then Grant Ward will attack and defeat the Aim Scientist. This goes up to 3. Because this is defeated, not because Grant Ward was defeated by consequential. Okay. Slingshot. Thwart for 2. Then either here we can use these to take 2 off the alert level, or we can play one of these to put a counter on the Cirque. I feel like the counter on the Cirque is not super valuable because we can always just shift command team over. So I think we'll just do remove an alert level, remove an alert level, and call it a day. All right. Not bad. That Aim Scientist is really, really cool design. All right. Nick Fury. Comes in for 4. Very, very good card though. Front organization. We can always discard the command team, so it's not super useful. Like, we lost one of our 6-cost ships, which is huge, but when you have like a 2-cost thing, you don't really care as much. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, the team up card. That means that when we draw an encounter card, we can cancel and reveal another one. Reinforcements is whatever. This card seems so underwhelming. Choose any number of S.H.I.E.L.D supports. I guess the idea is that once you are set up, you can spend a card and a resource to refill the Cirque or refill any of your other big ships. I just don't think that makes a lot of sense, especially in the early game. All right, at a minimum, we can spend 4 for Nick. Command team and Nick is really powerful because Nick's ability can fire multiple times. And that's really good. And then we can throw a 1 to deal with alert level. Yeah, that seems fine. We can work with this. Infiltrate aim goes to 3. Batroc attacks for 2 in a card. It'll increase alert level. We can either block here for 2 or we can thwart for 2. I honestly am okay blocking for 2. Hoping for no side schemes. Wow, 3 boosts on Mad Science. So that's 5 damage. So we take 3 damage. We're not in a lot of health. We have to consider jumping down at some point. Which if we get this down to 1, we can definitely jump down, which Slingshot might be able to do. Shit, same thing. Aim Soldier. We have the same problem we did last term. So when revealed, find Aim Scientist and put into play. Find Aim Scientist. I wonder if there's only 1. Now this sucks too, because getting rid of these means that we have to deal with the alert level. Huh. Same problem we had before. Find and put into play engage with you. If it's already in play, engages you. If Aim Scientist did not enter play this way, place 1 threat on the main scheme. Okay. So that's still 5 more health worth of damage. Huh. We actually could Cirque Nick Fury, and that gives us this hand. With this hand, we could place a counter on the Cirque. And then we have 2 of these science icons or 2 energy icons. 2 science icons removes 2 threat, which means we can flip down. 2 energy icons removes heals. I think we have to use the Cirque here. So I'm going to use Maria Hill's ability to move a counter over. So this goes up to 2. I think we'll use the Cirque to play an ally from a hand. So it's Nick Fury. Coming in with 3 health. When we use Nick Fury, we can place an all-purpose counter on a shield support. So 3 damage on the Aim Soldier is kind of annoying. We can do Slingshot Nick. We have no other damage here. We have no other damage. So we can't take 2 damage off Chief Tactical Officer because we only have 1 physical. So if that's the case, we definitely... I don't think we're going to play the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D card. I don't think it's worth it. I think we'd rather keep on the tempo here. So we'll spend 2 energy here to remove a counter from Medical Officer, heal 1 damage from friendly characters, so that means Slingshot won't defeat. That means we can do Nick Fury. Ugh, I don't like this. For 2 damage. After Nick Fury uses the basic power, place 1 counter on a shield support, so the Cirque is going to play our allies for free. Slingshot's going to attack for 2 damage. Defeat the Aim Soldier. Threat level goes up. And it's doing a great job watching over your phone. I think the stream is on the phone too, so she's technically watching the stream. Hello, friend. It's such good framing that she's just there off to the side. Oh man, that's great. Aim Scientist is now here. We can't thwart here. If we had the command team, which we still can use the command team. Actually, we should use the command team here. The question is, do we put a counter on the command team or do we put a counter on Maria on the Cirque? I feel like we want to do the command team because it stays around and having more support scales well with our deck. So we'll play. Front organization will pitch for reinforcements. Says choose any number of shield supports with a combined printed cost of 6 or less. Unfortunately, we can only do command team here. Well, we could do the Cirque. So that gets a counter. So then we can ready this to ready Nick Fury. Oh yeah, this seems like it goes infinite. This seems really good. And Nick Fury will attack for 2, hitting here. After Nick Fury uses a basic power, place a counter on a basic shield support. Okay, so that seems kind of self-sustaining. I'll throw this out, decrease the threat here. And Batroc will scheme a bit, but we have a lot of headroom and doesn't scheme for a lot, so we'll flip down. We just ready up. Okay, this actually is playing out fairly differently than our first scenario, which I'm happy with because I was worried about it being the same. Support staff is good. This is our 1 like honest resource generator in the deck. It comes in with 3 charges. This is very similar to the Spider-Man's whatever Spider-Man's web potion is called. All points bulletin. This scares us with the amount of supports we have. Special funding. If we can find a shield support at a minimum, we can do support staff. Hard call, we can throw a ship. We can even throw a command team at someone. That does a lot of damage. Shield Director. Oh, we haven't played this yet. So exhaust Shield Director to place an all-purpose counter on a shield support. Oh, that's incredibly powerful. Because that just means we have a Circ or command team every round, let alone a bigger ship, which we can go grab with our ability. On the double, ready any number shield supports. Okay, yeah, Maria Hill seems fun. Okay, this is our hand. That's a good hand. We can always exhaust Maria to go grab a shield support, which means we might actually just go get a big ship and then just play the big ship cheaply with the rest of our hand and special funding. So there'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We keep one card. Yeah, it seems really good. I love the zoom you've set up for drawing hand. Oh, okay, Bet. I'm glad you enjoy it. The quality of the camera is just good enough to read the text, I think, if you're streaming at 1440p, but it's a really fun thing, and I control it with my foot, so it looks kind of magical. This goes to 2. Batroc schemes. Sorry, it goes to 3 because this has an acceleration icon. That's really cool technology. Batroc schemes for 1 in a card. Boost icon says to play 1 counter on Pursued by the Past. I really need to figure out how to get this microphone not to be in the way. So that's only 1. Aim Scientist schemes for 0, so that's fine. And we draw Machete. So this sucks too. I can't show you the Machete's text, but Aim Scientist we cannot attack because we're engaged with another minion. So this is a Machete. 3 health. This is one of Batroc's brigade. It's a mercenary. It has Surge, so we'll draw another card. It's vulnerable, so a stun or confuse gets rid of it. So we might just go for the Pericles, which can stun allies or minions. Machete's attacks gain piercing, and when defeated, shuffle Machete into the encounter deck. Oh, 6, so it's hard to get rid of. With each Machete's demise, the title passes to another member of the Lopez family. Yo, that is really good flavor. So the idea is that there's a whole bunch of them, and when we defeat them, another Machete takes its place from the Lopez family. Wait, that's awesome. So that has 3 health. Again, minions make the alert level bad. Embassy Patrol. 3 health, Patrol and Vulnerable, so everything has Vulnerable. I wonder if there was a better ally we could take that could stun a lot of things on the table. If alert level is on the high side, this card gets Insight 1. We're on the low side, so that would put 1 threat on the main scheme. And when defeated, place 1 threat on alert level. So if we defeat this, we put 2 threat. I have no idea if the alarm goes to high, if there's any way to bring it down, but we have a lot of problems suddenly. So I think we need to start dealing with these with vulnerable text, because the vulnerable text means that we won't defeat them, we'll discard them. Okay, I have no doubt we have to go get something on the table. Unfortunately, Maria Hill is only going to be a 3 health, which is not great, but I don't think there's a way around it. We're going to exhaust Maria Hill to search our deck for shield support. We're looking here for the Pericles. Pericles costs 6, and we can exhaust it to remove a supply counter, to give a hero or villain a status card of your choice, and give an ally or minion a status card of your choice. When Batroc attacks, it puts... I think we might have missed 1 on Batroc attacking for the alert level. I'm going to put 1 up. I don't know if the stream remembers if I did or didn't do it. I feel like we might have forgotten 1. So there's a chance that should be a 2. I'm not sure. I feel like we've been pretty good about it. But the idea is if we stun Batroc, we're going to be in a good spot. So here we can get rid of probably 1 of these. Oh man, this scenario is a lot more interesting. Okay, so now we'll play some cards. Special funding to generate 2 resources, and it puts an all-purpose counter on a support that enters play. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it worth playing this? Actually, can we play Shield Support Staff first? If we play Shield Support Staff, then we can do 1 on Shield Support Staff, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we can do that. Okay. So we'll pitch on the double for Support Staff. It enters with 3 counters on it, and these counters are good on their own, let alone we can move these over. We can exhaust this to generate a wild resource for a player whose identity has the shield trait, which we do. So we'll generate 1 resource, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the Pericles, and it'll come in with another counter. This is the Pericles. So we'll come in with 3 counters, which is very valuable, especially with Nick Fury. We need to figure out how to heal Nick Fury. I don't think we're going to. All right, we'll flip up. We're at low health, but that's okay. We can deal with this. Both our allies are at low health, which is bad, and we can't deal with alert level. So I'm going to use the Pericles. So exhaust, remove a supply counter from it, so it's on 2. Give a hero or villain a status card. So we'll give stun to Batroc, so we don't have to worry about the attack. And then give an ally or minion a status card. So in theory, we could give one of these a toughness so they can activate without being defeated. But vulnerable just seems so good here. So I'm going to put the vulnerable on Machete, which defeats it. And not defeats it, discards it. And this says shuffle Machete into the counter deck when defeated. We didn't defeat it, we discarded it, so we don't have to shuffle it back, and alert level doesn't go up 1. We technically should defeat the Embassy Patrol as well, because when it's defeated, it puts 2 on the alert level, because they're the Embassy Patrol themselves. But I don't think we're going to do that this round. Circuit doesn't do anything. Command Team doesn't do anything. We've used this already. So Slingshot, we have to attack this. Wait, that's really, really bad because we have to attack this. We can't deal with this because of Patrol. So maybe we don't do Machete. We're going to be attacked for just one. No, I think we just hold these characters here. Yeah, I think we just hold these characters. Ideally, we'd spend 2 energy resources to heal one of her with the Chief Medical Officer. I think we just stand here. Oh, notably, these are hero actions. I might have done these in Alter Ego, but you can't. Yeah, I think we just stay here. All right, our hand. Melinda May for 4. After Melinda May uses the basic power, look at the top card of the counter deck. You may discard that. We can play her for free with the Cirque. We have the big thing that does 3 damage to each minion engaged with that player. Discard all tough status cards and to the villain. However, that's a problem because we'll add a lot of threat. All points bulletin. That's good. Remove threat from schemes. Deal damage to enemies. It's okay. Front organization. And the Iliad is our last card. This heals 3 damage from an identity. That's probably the best use case of it. It's going to be hard with this hand to play a 6-cost card. In fact, nearly impossible. We can only generate 5 resources at most. All right, this goes up to 5. Batroc is stunned. Aim Scientist attacks for 1 in the card. Oh, sorry, it goes up to 6. So we're halfway again. If you defeat Batroc, that goes down. Embassy Patrol will attack for 1. We'll take it. Our encounter card is Aim Soldier. How many of these are there? Reveal 3 comes into play. When revealed, find Aim Scientist and put into play. I'm assuming that means there's only 1 Aim Scientist because it doesn't say find a copy of Aim Scientist. It says find Aim Scientist. This is a cool encounter set. Yeah, so we don't do that. If Aim Scientist did not enter play this way, place 1 threat on the main scheme. Okay, so we're at 7. I need to go get a toothbrush before the pharmacy closes. Everything closes and opens at odd times here on Sunday. Enjoy the rest of the game and give an Anna scratch for me. I definitely will. Enjoy your good dinner tonight or whatever you get up to. Thanks for dropping by, love. Okay. So we're not in a great spot, I don't think. We can get Melinda for free. That'll leave us with this hand. So we probably play all points bulletin. I don't think we need these. We can spend 2 energy icons really easily to heal people, which would be nice. So we probably want to heal Nick more than anything. And we can spend extra resources for alert level. So I'm definitely going to use the Cirque to play an ally from our hand for free. And that will be Melinda May. Should just give us some information. Notably, the order of how you interact with encounter a deck is a bit counterintuitive. So she says after Melinda uses the basic power, look at the top card in the counter deck. That is not a card that will draw as an encounter card because we're not going to deck out, but it's going to be a card that will be a boost. So we'll know exactly how much damage the villain is doing to us, which is useful. But if you look at the top deck and be like, that's the card we're going to draw during the counter phase, that's just not how it works at all. Okay, I will now spend 2. So I'll spend the Iliad and do we want to play all points bulletin? We might. I like seeing all these shield agents that I'm familiar with the TV show. So the Nick Fury deck has a bunch of named characters that I'm not familiar with, but I know that these characters show up in the TV show. And also there's like a popular ship, like Gemma Simmons and Leo Fitz show up together. I think Fitzsimmons is like a ship from the TV show. But I'm not very familiar with S.H.I.E.L.D. at all. So you spend 2 energy. That removes 1 from here. And then we can heal 1 damage from a friendly character. So Nick goes up. She's on 3. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, right? I think that's what they're about. And they have really cool mechanics text. So we can bring down to alert level. We can also spend 2 to remove 2 threat from a scheme. I think we can do that. The TV show has some rough edges, but I enjoyed the most part. I think from what I've heard, Pat, from people talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. on this channel, the last channel, is that the first season wasn't good, but then it got good from then. But I haven't seen any of it, unfortunately. Okay. So we're going to use the Pericles. Exhaust 1 supply counter. Give a hero or villain a status card of our choice. So we're just going to stun Batroc forever. Give an ally or minion a status card. So we're going to put a vulnerable on Embassy Patrol, which discards it. And we don't have to deal with any of the threat text. We're left with the name Soldier. So we will. I don't think there's any way that we're not going to lose Slingshot. So we're going to attack with Slingshot. Slingshot is lost to consequential damage. So alert level does not go up. I think we're going to use Melinda May to attack, which will defeat the aim soldier, which means the threat level will go up, the alert level. And when we use her ability, we can look at the top of the deck. So this has 2 boost icons on it. It's called Leaping Kick. Art's good. Okay, so that means Batroc. Oh, that actually will be the counter card we draw because we stunned. Batroc attacks the ally with the most remaining hit points. This attack gains overkill. If there were no allies in play, Batroc attacks you. Wait, holy shit. We should have done this in another order. That's a really bad encounter card. Okay. So that means Batroc's going to attack us for an unknown amount. We could die. We honestly just could flatline here. All right. We want to get rid of that. We can. We also could do a confuse instead and jump down. That might be a bit better. Yeah, we should have seen that first. I think we do a confuse so we can heal Maria. Because Maria's pretty banged up here. So this, we're just going to attack with Nick Fury. It defeats it. It puts an alert level up. But after we use Nick, we can put a charge on the shield support. I think we'll do the Pericles. The Pericles looks really good in this scenario because of vulnerable. Then with Maria, we can flip to Alter Ego. We can exhaust to heal for 5. Before we do that, we probably want to do this. We'll spend 1 here. And we'll throw out a science icon to remove 2 threat from here. 1 secret from here to remove 2 threat. We'll also move over counters. So I'll remove a counter from command team to, I don't know, the Cirque, I feel, maybe? That seems a bit extra. And then I'll throw out this also in hero mode to reduce this by 1. So I think that's our play. Cool. You can also discard the counter card. Oh, Kevin! You may discard that card. Yeah, that's a good text, actually. That's fine. Because, okay, so this just says Batroc schemes. I think we're fine with Batroc scheming. Is that better than the average encounter card? I think Batroc scheming is 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think that might be fine. I think we need to start killing Batroc to remove 6 threat. Yeah, good catch. I didn't even realize that. I don't know if you play this or you just read the text, which like, yeah, that seems like an easy thing to do as well. Actually, so notably, we're going to be drawing 6 encounter cards. So that's going to be drawn as an encounter card because we're in Alter Ego, which in Alter Ego will be on 6. So we'll draw another encounter card. So this actually could be bad. If that's the case, I'll discard this. I don't want to be schemed on. There was a better optimal ordering for that turn, so I'm definitely like bending the rules a bit, but it is what it is. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Genius for 2 resources. Another Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We might play that. Who knows? Special funding. Hopefully we get a shield support. We can go get one. Victoria Hand we can play for free after she enters play ready. A shield support enters play. I think that works. And organizational support, which we can exhaust to get a lot of value. Our deck is empty, so we shovel a discard pile. We have 1 ally here. In theory, your allies, it's like you never want your last hand when you cycle your deck to have your best cards in it, because it means that you won't get them back until an entire deck cycle, which a lot of times in this game, you want to like defeat Nick Fury, which in theory, I don't think we were in charge of being able to do that to some extent, so that he would go back into the discard pile. We probably actually should have done that, honestly. Let Nick Fury get defeated and not heal with the medical officer, and so that he can go back into the deck. I've not played, but Melinda May's still on screen, yeah. I realized that when my first videos I was doing this, I was trying to clear this card on the left side of the screen, but outside of this mage zoom, that's just blank space. So I feel like I'm just going to leave a card there. And then whenever we pull up a new card, we'll pull up a new card. Like, I don't feel like I need to empty this space quickly, but that was actually like a concern to be like, oh, okay, it's been on screen, clear it. And I'm like, who cares? Okay. Cool. Very blue hand. This goes up to 6. Batroc would scheme because we're in Alter Ego, but it's confused. We draw another encounter card. It's good to see new encounter cards. These are almost all new cards. Security cameras. When revealed, Alter Ego, remove 1 threat from alert level. This card gains surge. What? When revealed, Alter Ego, remove a threat from alert level. We're ducking under the cameras. Oh, that's so cool. If we're in Alter Ego, we're like chill and we're actually lowering attention. But if we were a hero, for each character you control, choose to either exhaust that character or place 1 threat on alert level. That is sick. That's a really cool design. Okay. It has surge though, so a minor cantrip. You also have the card pop on foot control, I'm guessing. Yeah, exactly. Sinister Strike. When revealed, place 1 pursuit counter when you're in Alter Ego. Then if it has any counters on it, this card gains surge. All right, double surge. Embassy Guard. Apologies again, I can't show these cards on screen because I don't have scans of these cards yet. Guard and Vulnerable. If alert is on high side, this card gains surge. Place 1 threat on alert level when this is defeated. And again, if we put a threat on it, or sorry, if we confuse or stun this, it's discarded, not defeated. So the Pericles will deal with that. And then we get security cameras again. Sick. This camera mic is in the way. Batroc's Brigade. Side scheme. Money won't buy loyalty, but it helps. Each minion gains toughness. I don't know if gaining toughness means that they get the tough status card. I'm going to play the harder way. I don't think it actually matters because they're vulnerable, but gains toughness. I think it actually doesn't mean that they get it because toughness triggers when the card enters play, not if it gains it when it's in play. So I don't think it gains the toughness. When revealed, give each enemy a tough status card. Okay, well, that's good. Hero interrupt. When you reveal a non-elite minion, you can choose to spend 3 resources of any type to cancel the effects of the minion and discard it. So we can always pay our way out, but that is something we need to get rid of. 6 is a lot, especially because it doesn't scale with player count. But that means minions are coming in with tough, which sucks unless they're vulnerable. So far, every minion's been vulnerable, besides the aim scientist, I think. No, that one also. I think every minion's been vulnerable. Okay, maybe we don't have to deal with that. It's us. Maria Hill is at 5 health. We could always exhaust Maria Hill to go grab a shield support. This hand has a lot of resources in it. At minimum, this is 4 resources. So I think we're highly incentivized to go grab one of our big ships. I think here we could go for the Iliad, just because the Iliad does healing, which is nice for our allies, and it can do mass damage, which hitting Batroc would actually remove 6 threat. Yo, you got the Marvel setup dialed. Surprised you're not using DJIs for this, though? I was. And I was frustrated because the quality of the audio is obviously less than the quality of this audio. The problem is also, this is an IKEA table, right? And the issue that I'm running with this table is that the table thickness is not a desk. Like the table on the side is this thick, which means I cannot clamp this microphone arm to it. However, I have the extension on the table and the leaf is actually this thin, so you can put the clamp onto it. Now, the issue that I'm running into is, well, the audio is hopefully a lot better and I'll not be as upset about it when I'm editing. This arm is in the way, the boom arm, and I can't hook it onto this side because the leaf is not on this side. You know what the problem is? Like, it's just annoying because this is not a table and I don't want to drill into it. It's not a desk. What I'll probably want to do is either like mount this so it's higher. No, that's bad too. I just need to like, because if it's here, it gets in the way of my hand. You know, it's just kind of annoying. I probably should just get used to the DJIs. They're good. How you doing, Eric? Shout out, mind you, to Montreal Continentals. Just announced today. All right, I'm going to exhaust Maria Hill to use her ability. Excuse me. The other problem is, like, I have to have this keyboard here, but I don't know how to make that setup better. Like, I think ideally, if I could put the keyboard on a little thing in front of me, like have a floating desk thing and have it on my lap, I think that'd be better. But the problem is the keyboard wire is not that long and the Bluetooth doesn't work all the time. All right, so we can get the Iliad. We can also get the Douglas, which will remove a lot of threat, like 2 from this, which would be fine. Mounted on the ceiling. I can't. It's like a 12-foot ceiling, and I'm a renter. I don't want to keep drilling into things. The Bellerophon does damage, which we don't really want to do a lot of damage to minions. So it's either the Douglas, which removes 2 threat from every scheme, so that's 4 threat, or the Iliad, which can heal 3 damage. Oh, it's from an identity, so it won't heal from our allies. But it can do 5 damage to an enemy, and it can remove 4 threat. So the threat is the same on both of these. Iliad. So we've exhausted Maria. We have the Iliad in our hand. The DJIs will do sound perfectly fine. Also, my wife gave me enough buy-in for me to plan to come up for cons. Yo, let's go! I don't think I've posted also in like the New Hampshire Discord that we have an event this weekend. I feel like posting it too late. I look like a dick. I still have to do it. But I'm really excited. I have no idea how many people are going to show up. Like, if we have 64 cap, is that big? Like, Continentals last year in EMEA had like 100 players, but Europe is kind of built different when it comes to travel infrastructure. So, like, if we do 64 and we hit the cap, we probably hit the cap. But I don't want to turn people away. So I don't know what to do. It's tricky. It's hard organizing a big event. There's so many risks, especially because elevation and like North American politics. Like, I don't know how quickly people are going to travel. I'm bringing Nick. I'd be upset if you didn't, honestly. That guy has a passport, right? He doesn't get a say. Okay, good. We're on board. I'll start bothering Nick every second Monday. Genius. Organizational support. So we're generating 3 resources, but we can exhaust any shield cards. So do we need Nick this turn? No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold on. No, we don't have to do any of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. This adds another counter if we play shield support. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll just exhaust support staff. So that's 6. And then we get to play the Iliad, and it comes in with 4 counters because we did that special funding. So the Iliad. Nick just strapped to the top of car one way or another. I think Nick drives usually. I'm not actually sure. I feel like no, maybe Nick doesn't drive as often. Okay. So heal 3 damage from an identity is fine. 4 threat is big because we actually can kill the brigade this turn. I feel like I'd rather kill Batroc than deal 6 here. That's my guess. These cards are kind of useless, but we can get in this for free, and we can have 2 science icons to remove 2 threat from a scheme. So I think we'll do everything we want to do. We'll flip up with Maria Hill. I'll spend 2 science icons to clear a counter from the chief surveillance officer. It's nice to keep those down, that's for sure. Just keep these here. Remove 2 threat from a scheme. Okay. I'll exhaust the Pericles. Spend 1. Says give a villainous status card to your choice, so you're going to be stunned. Again, every time Batroc attacks, it puts threat on the main scheme, so we don't want that to happen. And then we can put a vulnerable, a stun on Embassy Guard, which discards it. And discard is not defeat. That's good. We'll exhaust the Cirque to play an ally from our hand. This is busted. This setup is busted. Victoria Hand says, after it enters, ready a shield support. I don't think we care about that text. She only has 2 health, though. I'll show Victoria Hand. I know this card is in Marvel Snap, and she has a big gun. I don't know anything about this character, but her gun and manic expression looks pretty cool. We take turns on long-range driving. Oh, nice. Which of the 2 of you think is a better driver? Just off the record, you know? Already the Pericles. Doesn't matter. I'll use Maria Hill's ability to shift a counter from the Iliad to Pericles, which just seems better overall. I will use the Iliad to remove 4 threat from a scheme. Melinda May will attack for 2 into Batroc. The first damage we've done. We can reveal the top card of the deck and discard it. It is the press conference, which means after we can go to Alter Ego and get rid of this. This seems fine. I'm always bad at discarding encounter cards because I'm way easier to think there's a worse encounter card than that. That seems fine. With stun, we actually have a lot of control because we're going to be drawing that card for sure. We can definitely use Nick here. We only have 3 ally slots, and we have a lot of allies left, so we can definitely use Nick. So Nick will attack for 2, dropping Batroc down to 4. Nick is discarded to consequential. And after Nick Fury uses a basic power, place 1 purpose on a shield support. So I think we'll go ahead and just spread these out. We'll put it on the Cirque. Victoria Hand, I guess we might as well scheme for 2. If we defeat Batroc, we remove 6, but again, we'll add 1 this round, so we go down to 4, and then we'll pass. I mean, seems good. Life model decoy. When an enemy attacks you, discard this, prevent all damage. Not bad. Strength, okay. Energy, okay. Give us something expensive. That's expensive. That's Dum Dum Dugan. That's a reprint. And we have Shield Director, which is also super valuable. That's a high value hand. So we played these. Shield Director just gives you a resource a turn, which obviously we know how strong that is in this deck. One counter a turn is just messed up with the Pericles. That's infinite. And then we can do 2, 3, 4. So we can't play Dum Dum Dugan unless we flip down and grab a shield support from our hand to afford it. Dum Dum is a very good payoff card. I've very rarely played Dum Dum Dugan. He has massive amount of consequential damage. 3 consequential for thwarting and 2 for attacking is a lot. So every time he does it, he takes that much damage back. However, when you use one of Dum Dum's basic powers, exhaust up to 3 shield cards to prevent the damage. And each card exhausted gives Dum Dum +1. Oh no, it's not prevent. It just gives him +1. So he can activate twice. Exhausted to 3 shield cards. For each card exhausted this way, Dum Dum gets +1 power. So either he can thwart twice or he can attack 3 times, and that'll do like 6 damage 3 times. That's a lot of damage. So we'll probably end up playing everybody. It seems like a really strong setup for sure. As is with most things in life, I prefer to be the one in control of the car, but he's a perfectly good driver. That is an endorsement for sure. Yeah, he's perfectly fine. I will go to 5. Batroc will attack, but obviously not happening. All right, we draw an encounter card. It is press conference. I do have this card. So it says, attached to Maria Hill as an obligation. In Alter Ego, we can exhaust our identity to discard this card, so we can flip down probably. After the player phase ends, remove an all-purpose counter from each support you control. Oh, it's each support. I thought it was 1 support. Each support's really bad. 1 support, we don't care. So we're not going to leave that on the table. And then it's back to us. Okay. So Batroc, 4 damage. Not going to be an issue. We can just like hit with the Iliad to do 4 and see what happens. I think that might be a good starting, and then we can react to what happens. So I'm not going to use the Iliad for anything else, so we'll just use the Iliad exhaust to deal 5 damage to an enemy, and we defeat Batroc. But Batroc says, specifically, when Batroc would be defeated, reset his hit points to 8, then remove 6 threat from the main scheme. He's back. Georges St. Pierre, we remove threat from this one, and this one says, when the last threat is removed, advance to stage 2A, and it says, we win by advancing, so you want to do that. Locate missing person. Now that you've penetrated the embassy, you need to locate Garza. You discover several holding cells in the embassy's basement. Hopefully one of them holds the kidnapped tech. 10 is its per player. 3 threat starts. It gets 1 a turn. It says forced interrupt. When the last threat is removed from the scheme, put 1 set-aside rescued captive ally into play exhausted under any player's control. I'm not going to read what those are. Well, those will show up when we get them. The players may advance to stage 3A. If they do not advance, place 3 per player threat here, and the players win by advancing, but we'll need at least 1 rescued captive. So we can choose to stay on this for as long as possible to get as many rescued captives. I imagine we'll have benefits from rescuing more of them, but probably the more of them we have, the harder it is to protect them. If this is completed, though, the players lose the game. Okay, so we have 3 threat on here. When we clear them, we'll get a rescued captive. I'm imagining we're going to have to block for the captive. The good thing with the Pericles is if the captive is an ally, which I'm assuming it is, we can give it a tough status card, so they'll survive. Okay, still us. So we can threat this down immediately, thwart that down to go see the locate missing person and go get an ally. I think we might be able to do that. We're going to lose all our allies, which I think is fine. We'll have Dum Dugan. So Melinda May will thwart for 2. She says after Melinda May uses a basic power. So that will fire before consequential, if I'm not mistaken. So the card we're going to see on top of the deck is security cameras and alter ego. This doesn't do anything. We'll leave it on top. It has 2 icons though. Is Batroc going to scheme? We don't care. She's defeated. By consequential, no alert level. We'll waste 1 thwart here, but Victoria Hand will thwart for 2. So again, when the last threat is removed, put 1 set-aside rescued captive ally into play exhausted under any player's control. So it has 5 health, but it's exhausted. The players may advance to stage 3A. We're not going to if they do not place 3 threat here. All right, rescue captive. Victory -1. So any card with victory gets added to their victory display. The actual text on victory, it's not like Marvel Champions, like you don't spend your victory points. Does not count against your ally limit. Card abilities cannot remove this ally from the play. And hero action, exhaust rescued captive to remove 1 threat from the main scheme. All right. I'm assuming Batroc's going to attack this in the 3rd round. But otherwise, I don't know what this does. I guess we did see cards. We did see Batroc's Leap that says attack an ally. So that is something we have to worry about at some point. We'll just put this to the side. Notably, also, this person can thwart or attack for 1. So we always can use that as much as they will take consequential, which might be a downside. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and energy out a shield director, which we can exhaust this. We will to place an all-purpose shield counter on a shield support. We'll put 1 on. Oh, we can just play Dum for free. What am I doing? Yeah, I'll put it on the Pericles. I'll exhaust the Cirque to put an ally into play from your hand. Holy shit, wait, this is really good when you play expensive allies. That's Dum. 5 health is big. Big numbers. Again, when Batroc also is defeated, we take 6 threat off of that. So I'm assuming we're not going to take threat off that and just try and defeat it in 1 shot because Dum does a lot of damage. Here, we have no alert level to work with. Chief Tactical Officer doesn't matter, so we'll just use Strength to play Life Model Decoy. When an enemy attacks you, discard Life Model Decoy, prevent all damage from that attack. I forgot that the other option we could have done was go get one of our big boats, but I don't think we need to. Maria will flip down, and then we'll exhaust Maria to get rid of our obligation. Don't have to do the press conference anymore. Oh, before, we'll use Pericles, excuse me. Pericles will confuse Batroc, and we'll put a toughness on Rescued Captive. Will we attack with Dum Dugan? Oh, we can do that when we're flipped face down. That's not a hero action. That's cool. So Dum Dugan says, when you use one of Dum's basic powers, exhaust up to 3 shield cards. For each shield card exhausted, Dum gets +1. We also can slide a counter over. I don't think we need to do that. So shield cards we have. In theory, Rescue Captive is a shield card when Maria is in hero mode, which is kind of cool. So we have 1, 2. So he can attack or thwart for 5 or 6. 5 is enough. So I'll do 1, 2. Dum Dugan will attack for 5 damage. So it drops Batroc to 3, and it takes 2 consequential. So again, exhaust up to 3 shield cards, you get +1 to that power. That's enough because we can one-shot Batroc from there. And so whatever scheme threat goes onto there, we'll just clear it. Microphone is totally not in the way of seeing all my cards. I don't know what you're talking about. All right, we're drawing 6 cards. First, Front Organization. I don't know if we're going to ever play that. We have other cards we can discard. Reinforcements. This places all-purpose counter cards on one of those supports. Special Funding. Let's see if we can get a support. We always can. But the Reinforcements. Another Front Organization. This hand sucks. And Spider-Girl, which after you play Spider-Girl from your hand, stun and confuse a minion. That can matter for vulnerable, but it's very likely that we'll exhaust Maria Hill to go get a big ship and then play the ship with Special Funding. This goes up to 4. Batroc would scheme, but is confused. Security cameras, alter ego, remove a threat from alert level, gains surge. Second card. Dark designs, when revealed, place 1 pursuit counter on pursued by the past. Then if it has any counters, the villain schemes. So Batroc schemes for 1 in a card. I don't think we care. 3 counters. So this goes to 5, 6, 7. Slightly too much to defeat Batroc, but we'll be fine with that. That's back to us. So 3 damage. We can always exhaust this, remove 1 threat, and then 6 threat from Batroc will do it. So I think we'll do that. So I think we'll go get our big ship. We have green, red, and blue. Yellow ship is threat ship. Red ship is damage ship. Damage ship is not fantastic because it hurts minions, and I don't think it's optional. The other option is we can go get, I don't know what other shield supports we have we can get. We could get like a command team. That feels pretty underwhelming. Pretty underwhelming. Oh, actually, with command team is good because we can just ready these people and just keep exhausting them over and over to remove threat. That's kind of funny. That's honestly kind of funny. That might be okay. Yeah, let's do big ship. Okay, chanting big ship. We'll do it. So we'll exhaust Maria Hill to go search our deck for a shield support. So looking at our options here, this one says exhaustible Erfon. Deals 3 damage to the villain and each minion engaged with that player, discarding all tough status cards. I feel like that's overkill. The Douglas is probably fine. It's the last big ship we have besides the red one. And the Douglas just removes 2 threat from every scheme in play, ignoring crisis icons, which is fine. That's fine. If you punch in and hold a card up, do you get an even bigger picture of it? What do you mean? Wait, what do you mean, Eric? He's Batroc. Like if I punch in and show this card and hold it, will this card zoom in? I'm not sure what you mean. Excuse me. Okay, so we're exhausted. We'll do special funding for 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think we have to place Battle Girl. 6, we have the Douglas. Comes in with 4 counters because we did special funding. I don't think we have to be too precious about this. Notably, Shield Director is not an alter ego action or hero action, so we can just do it. Place 1 all-purpose counter on a shield support. The Iliad is pretty good, so I think we'll do the Iliad. At this point, we just want to play cards that we can move the counters off of. So like we'll move the Douglas counters around. We'll bring Maria Hill up to hero mode. Here. Oh, giving Dum Dum a toughness counter is busted powerful because he doesn't take 3 consequential. That seems really good. So I'm going to use the Pericles. Yeah, this is going to get boring. To put a stun on Batroc and put a toughness on Dum Dum. 4 big ships. Now their ice really doesn't matter. We'll get the 5th one and we'll endurance through everything. That's for sure. Okay. I'll just play front organization because who cares? Now we will. Thinking. We will attack with Dum Dum Dugan, exhausting no cards. The toughness takes the consequential damage and we do 3 damage to Batroc. When Batroc is defeated, we remove 6 threat from this. We're going to get every single person, I think. And then we remove 6 from this, which drops it down to 1. We can exhaust the rescue captive to remove 1 threat from the main scheme. So when this has no threat on it, we can place 3 on it and get our next rescued captive, which comes in exhausted. I'll go run out of red dice. They do not take up ally slots, so we can have a whole army of them, and we can exhaust them again to remove more threat. So this will compound pretty well. We've done everything we want to do, I think. We haven't moved a counter around, so I'll move a counter from the Douglas to, I don't know, the Pericles, I guess. The Iliad, we can just heal 3 damage from an identity. I don't think we need to do that. We can remove 4 threat from a scheme. We don't need to do that. Deal 5 damage to an enemy. Sure. I feel like things are going to get pretty samey. We'll ready up. I like how you just keep using Batroc as a punching bag. It's his job. He knows what he signed up for. Oh shit, this is now going to be finally really good. Like, I have no doubt this card can be busted, especially if you build a deck that plays cheaper shields cards. For each shield support you control, remove a threat and deal 1 damage. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're paying 2 for 6 mixed. I don't actually think that's that good. I feel like 6 mixed is actually really good. Mixed is worth a lot, but eventually this can be like 8, 9. There's some really cheap shield supports, some that cost like 1. So you can make this like your play style and just do this over and over and over and over again. Just firing a massive missile and lasers at Batroc in a stealth mission? Yeah, but they don't know who's controlling that. That could be anybody. That could be anyone's big ship. Organizational support. Grant Ward is back. Hasn't been removed from the game yet, which is kind of cool. Another APB, so that's a lot of damage and threat. And on the double, ready any number of shield supports with combined printed cost of 6 or less. I feel like that is so unnecessary in a build with all your things cost 6. Because I don't think you need to fire the Douglas twice. Like, I don't know. I could see that being better in a cheaper shield deck, like Sky Destroyer. I don't know, but otherwise it's fine. It's not even shield traded. This goes up to 4. Batroc would attack, but doesn't. Our encounter card is unknown. It is drawing nearer. Cool. We're getting to see our nemesis, which is great. So this will fire. So this is an obligation. It says, after your turn begins, which it does, discard the top card of your deck. We discard a card. Oh, really good card too. Super Spies. And it says, place 1 pursuit counter on Pursued by the Past for each printed resource icon on the card. So Pursued by the Past hits 4. And really important, when Pursued by the Past hits 4, we flip it over and do the bad things. The Pursued by the Past says, after you place a counter here, if the number of counters is at least 3 more than the number of players, if your nemesis minion is in play, it activates against you. Otherwise, flip this card over. Our nemesis looks really, really interesting. I'm excited to see it. And so this now says, after you flip this side, find your nemesis and reveal it. Search the set-aside area for your nemesis side scheme and reveal it. Shuffle the remaining set-aside nemesis set into the counter deck and flip this back over. So our nemesis is a character called the Controller. I have all these cards. And this actually is really cool because it comes with more cards. Controller and Nemesis. 6 health. 2 scheme. 1 attack. It says after Controller activates against you, remove an all-purpose counter from a support. If Controlled Innocence is in play, put the top card of your deck into play, face down, engage with you as a controlled minion. So the Controller is some sort of mind control thing. Now we also put the Army of the Controlled into play. This is the first time we've showed a side scheme so far today. This is the Army of Controlled. Comes in with 3 threat. It says, when revealed, find the Control the Innocence environment and put into play. Environments are just kind of like ongoing text, like alert level. And it says, when defeated, discard each controlled minion. Place 1 all-purpose counter on a support for each minion discarded this way. Okay. So now we have to find Controlled Innocence. Each face-down controlled minion engaged with the player has a base scheme of 1, base attack of 1, and a base hit points of 1. So this is like Ultron's drones. Force response. After controlled minion is defeated, place that card in its owner's discard pile and place 1 threat on the main scheme. So cards from our deck are going to engage us like minions, kind of like little zombies. And every time we defeat them, they're just 1/1/1s. They will place a threat on the main scheme and it gets discarded. So that's kind of cool. Do we start with any of these in play though? So Controller says after Controller activates against you, remove an all-purpose counter from a support and put a top card of your deck engaged with you. That's all it says. So that doesn't spawn one. An Army of the Controlled says when revealed, find the Control the Innocence environment to put in play. And when defeated, discard each controlled minion. So we don't actually get any controlled minions. I thought it would give us a controlled minion, but all we have is the Controller. Am I missing something? Like, I feel like we're not going to interact with this. After it activates against you, remove all purpose counters from a support. Yeah, and that star only happens when it activates, so we don't have to do the text. So we might actually not interact with any of these cards for a bit. Okay, fine. Well, we have to deal with Controller, that's for sure. And if we defeat it, alert level goes up. So, okay, that's fine. Thus, our board state is getting more and more complicated. We want to get rid of this drawing near. We have to discard an identity-specific card. It's not super important because Pursued by the Past resets, but we have a lot of resource generators, so this actually is a bit, or resource cards, so this goes a bit faster. So this might be a good use of all points bulletin that we can deal with this and deal with this at the same time. I'm assuming it will be. Otherwise, we can start with the Douglas. I think we should. I forget where we are. I think we're here. So remove 2 threat from each scheme, ignoring acceleration. So we'll do 2 from here, 2 from here. Now we can spend organizational support and on the double to generate 2 resources to play all points bulletin. Excuse me. We're running out of table space. We've built out too much. So for each shield support you control, remove a threat, deal 1 damage to an enemy. So we will remove 1 threat from Army of the Controlled. When defeated, discard each controlled minion. There's none. And we have 1. I should check first. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll do 5 damage to Controlled. I feel like there might have been a better breakpoint distribution there. Okay. Now we can do it again, but we'll discard the support staff. We can flip down to Maria Hill and discard all points bulletin to get rid of drawing nearer. That might be fine. We're definitely going to do the Pericles. So I guess we'll attack with the rescued captives. The captive will destroy the controller. That's a fun narrative. We'll exhaust this one to remove one threat from here. We'll exhaust the Pericles to give a toughness to Dum Dum Dugan and a confuse to Batroc. Removing 6 from there is overkill. So we won't do this yet. This will be on 2. Dum Dum will attack for 3, defeating Batroc, which resets its hit points. And removes 6 from this, which gives us another rescue captives. We'll choose not to advance. This comes in exhausted. This goes back to 3, which now we'll use the rescue captive to drop it to 2. Oh my god, table space. We'll exhaust this to put 1 on the Pericles. We'll jump down with Maria Hill. And to deal with drawing near, we'll discard an all points bulletin from our hand. We can play Grant Ward. We could. So this is gone. Yeah, F it. It's fun. We'll play Grant Ward for 3. For 0, sorry. Comes in with 3 health. We'll attack with Grant Ward. Dropping down to 6. I feel like we're wasting so much value. We could definitely like just close this game off, I think. Maria Hill, I'll heal 3, I guess. I don't know. And I think that's it. I feel like healing 3 while we have the life model decoys a bit more. How many captives are there? There's 1 more set aside. So it looks like it's 4 because you can play up to 4 players. We'll get the 4th one and go from there. It might be overkill. I don't know what the resolution for this last stage is. Big rig. The biggest rig. Oh my god. This is like toolbox shaper. So Iliad, it's fine. We don't need it. I think that's it. I think we've done what we wanted to do. So we'll see if we draw Treachery. Grant Ward works really well with Melinda May because you can control the top of the deck. So you know that you won't draw into a Treachery. But like the Pericles just being able to use every round infinitely. Like if all you have is Pericles and Shield Director, the villain will like never hit you. Immediately they could have Steady, which means you need 2 stuns or 2 confuses. But like that just seems like you can stun lock them into Oblivion. All right, we have the Bellerophon, which honestly doesn't seem great in this scenario. We have an organizational support that can generate 4 resources if we exhaust some allies or supports, especially because these are now shield allies when we're in hero mode. This organizational support can generate a lot of resources. Command team is fine. For an organization, don't need that. It's 1 per player. Another command team, and our 6th card is the hard call. So we can go throw a ship at we can throw a ship at Batroc if we wanted to. All right. Put 1 threat here. Batroc would scheme, but is confused. I feel like we were meant to get a controlled innocent, but we didn't. Yeah, okay, strange. Encounter card. Not a Treachery, that's sick, so we don't have to get rid of Grant Ward. This is Commandeer Security Office. When revealed, if alert level is on its high side, place an acceleration token here. That's cool. When defeated, remove 1 per player threat from alert level. So it comes in with 3 threat and has acceleration icon. We could functionally ignore this. That being said, we have the Douglas, which deals with it relatively well. I don't think there's being challenges presented to us because we're just stun locking the villain. This is absurd. So either we can do 6 damage. I don't think we'll do the 6 damage. I think we'll clear this and then advance, and then we'll clear that. If that's the case, is there any shield support we want to get from our deck? I don't think so. So we can easily play the Bellerophon if we wanted to get out of the deck, just because it gets shield support counters. But if that's the case, we should play Command Team. It'll be a bit cheaper. So I think we will. I think we'll play Organizational Support, Exhausting Support Staff to play a 2nd Command Team. This again lets us ready our allies, which in theory with Rescue Captives goes pretty far, but also this gets more every use counters we can move around. Maria Hill. I don't think we're going to do anything with these cards. Yeah, we're not going to do anything with the cards. We might play another Command Team. That could be it. Maria Hill will flip up. We'll exhaust the Douglas to remove 2 from each scheme in play. And then I'll just exhaust this rescued captives to remove 1 threat from here. Okay, so we'll read this. I guess you could have thwarted with Grant to end the scenario. No, we'll go to the 3rd one. So it's not going to end it. We still have another stage. I think we have to get the people and then get out. So the 3rd stage is probably going to be that a bit more aggressive. When the last threat is removed from the side scheme, put 1 set of rescue captive into play. Oh my god, table space. It's exhausted. She has 5 health. The players may advance to stage 3A. If they do not, yeah, we will. So our last card is Extract Captives. You didn't find Garza, but you did discover several other civilian prisoners. You must get them out safely. When revealed, if the alert level is on its high side, I mean, like, come on. Deal each player 1 face down encounter card. Otherwise, remove all threat from alert level and flip it to its high side. Uh-oh. In either case, in expert mode, place 2 threat on alert level. So the high side of the alert level now says Batroc gets +1 scheme and +1 attack. Okay, that makes sense. Now Batroc's a bit scarier. That's cool. It says if there's at least 4 per player threat here, the players lose the game. So on 4 threat on alert level, we lose the game. And forced response after a character is defeated except by consequential damage, place 1 threat here. Spend 1 resources of any type. So it doesn't look like there's a way to flip down. It has the exact same functional text, but Batroc just attacks harder and schemes harder while the high alert is in play. And you always are going to be in high alert. 18 threat. We start with 12 on here, so we have a lot of threading to do. In expert mode, each minion gains quick strike. That's sick, but we're not playing expert. So it says forced interrupt. When an enemy attacks, it attacks a rescued captive instead. So that's really big. And it says when an enemy attacks. So it would both be Batroc, but also any minions, and all the minions would have quick strike. It says if there are no threat, the players win the game. If the stage is completed or there are no rescued captive allies in play, the players lose the game. It adds 1 per turn. So now we have to survive and get out. In theory, we can just clear. I think we can actually clear 12 threat on this turn and just get out. Did we throw out a ready card? No, we didn't. Can we just do 12 threat? How much threat do we have? Dum Dum is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah. Okay. Go, scenario, go. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything we're missing? No. Grant Ward with scheme for 2. Go down to 10. Dum Dum Dugan will thwart for 3. When you use Dum Dum's ability, exhaust up to 3 shield cards you control. For each shield card exhausted, Dum Dum gets +1. 3 shield cards. So we'll exhaust the Cirque. So he's for 4. We can ready command teams. That's actually better for Dum Dum. So I'll exhaust this command team. 5, I guess. No. 3, 4, 5. We could have played another shield support. I'll just do this. 6. So we take 6 off of this. Dum Dum loses the tough. Yeah, we could just ready Dum Dum again. So silly. We'll exhaust this to remove 1 threat from the main scheme. Goes to 3. Oh, we should clear this because it did care about last time how many side schemes are in play. So we'll use this rescued captive to clear this one for 2. We just exhausted to clear this. And then we'll just use the Iliad. Well, we'll charge the Iliad so we don't lose it. Heaven forbid we lose it. And then we'll just do this to remove 4 threat from his game. Okay, I guess that was easy. This is standard. Again, you can play with the precon decks if you're worried about it. It's not that bad. And that is it. If there's no threat here, they win the game. Victory. Record the number of rescue captive allies in the campaign log. We got all 4, so that's probably good for us. Record the number of secret counters on each board member. So we left Chief Tactical Officer on 1. Actually, could we have got rid of it on this turn? No, we couldn't. We had no physical resources. We could only generate 1. If at least 1 board member environment as play has no secret counters on it, gain the top evidence card from the shield envelope and cross out each combination. All right. We'll go deeper. What time is it? It's 1:48. I think we can do at least 1 more scenario. I wanted to stop before ESL starts because I don't want to cross stream, but we'll see how we do. Oh, I have to pick that. I picked it backwards, but we'll take it. All right. So this is a motive, I think. It's called blackmail. It's an evidence. It's motive. It says setup. Each player may add 1 secret counter to a board member environment to search their collection for a different justice upgrade and shuffle it into theof their deck. Symmetrically, each player may add 1 threat to the main scheme to search their deck for a justice upgrade and add it to their hand. Justice upgrades. There's a lot of options. One of them is something you can attach to the main scheme. Oh, that might be a support. Upgrades. I'd have to check what the good justice upgrades are. They're definitely shield justice upgrades. There is one that is a gun, a sonic rifle that can confuse the villain. I feel like we already have enough confuse built in with the Pericles. We might not need that, but we're working on it for sure. All right. I'll clean this up and then we'll go into the next scenario. The next scenario is M.O.D.O.K. From what I've heard online, the next scenario is like the best scenario in the box. So let's see if people are right about that. So far, again, it's standard. Standard's easy. Maria Hill does seem a bit busted. It's hard to build a thing like this where the scaling just is. It's very, 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 very damn strong. You also notice like tempo plays, like Grant Ward costing 0. We might have lost Grant Ward even if we paid 1 resource, but a 0 cost ally is like kind of incredible. Especially because you can't block with Grant Ward, but of course you can't. Okay. Dum Dum Dugan is also sick. I don't think I would have paid 5, but paying 0 with the Cirque, yeah, that seems pretty good. It makes sense that extracting captives is easier when you have a bunch of airships. Everyone grab ropes. We're going up very quickly. Yeah, I guess it does make a lot of sense. I thought this would be more interesting. I was like pretty excited for it to like spawn what's it called? At least one of these minions. But the thing didn't have quick strike or anything. I feel like when you play standard 3, quick strike has a huge impact on how powerful the nemesis is, because you can draw it mid activation, and that means it can activate against you twice. That can be frustrating. But the fact that we pulled out all these cards and read all these texts and the text didn't matter was a bit sus. I don't think we're gonna have to keep these in play. We'll find out. We never had to interact with any of that text. Okay. So let's just take this apart. Batroc A. Do I have Batroc B somewhere? Oh, B is the back. Easy. Okay. I'll just clean this up. I'm not sure we need to keep these in play. There's been another scenario like this where you rescue innocents and have to protect them. It was in the second mutant box. I like that scenario a lot. So far, this is kind of cool because you can control when you advance, but other things didn't do that much. All right, let's just do a deconstruction. So we have our Nemesis set. Maria Hill Nemesis. Batroc's gang. Maria Hill's Nemesis. Okay. Standard, Batroc's Brigade. Shield Executive, which I'll put with Standard. Batroc's Brigade, Standard, Shield Executive. Okay, we got this. The security cameras was actually sick. Like being an alter ego as a way to stealth around stuff. On higher difficulties, when you actually make that as like a real choice to be like, oh, I want to go alter ego because the cameras. I think that would be awesome. The AIM science set was also very cool, where the scientist came out and you can't deal with it unless you deal with the bodyguards. But the scientist doesn't do anything, but just makes things scheme faster. Like using minions in a way that's not just, you know, they do thwart, they do scheming or they do damage, I think is a really sick design space. Very cool encounter set. The Nemesis felt underwhelming there, but I guess being fully set up when it came, it helps too. And that's maybe why we shouldn't play Pursued by the Past, or sorry, Standard 3. Because Standard 3 basically plays around the issue where you can just draw Shadows of the Past immediately and advance immediately. Or sorry, you can play Shadow of the Past on turn 1 and just get your Nemesis immediately. Pursued by the Past makes it the majority of times that you can't draw your Nemesis until you're at least slightly set up. There is still a worst case scenario where you can get your Nemesis on turn 1, but it's like not common, which is pleasant. All right, M.O.D.O.K. We'll put this aside. We'll see if we still need the AIM science team. We'll go from there. Okay. Anytime there's a character that's orange and purple in Marble Champions, they give them Retaliate. It looks like M.O.D.O.K is no different. They always do that. I don't know why that keeps happening. But like Zola, if it's a weird purple and orange thing, give it Retaliate. Okay. Let's read our comic. 2 hours later, en route to AIM Island. Apologies, this is a bit hard to read. The monitor's not that big. Oh, this is good. The embassy intel says that Inhumans were sent to the underwater AIM facility. Shouldn't we clear this with the board? An embassy is one thing. AIM Island itself is entirely another. If AIM has a mole on the board, as we suspect, we can't risk tipping them off. 2 miles off the coast of AIM Island. Underwater in AIM laboratory. Oh, big panel. Oh, big ugly M.O.D.O.K. Director, am I glad to see you? Hold tight, Garza. We'll get you out of there. And then M.O.D.O.K yells, no, my work must not be interrupted. You must die. Scenario 3, M.O.D.O.K. You extract the captives being held at AIM Island Embassy, but Sarah Garza was not among them. Evidence you collect indicates that Garza and several other civilians, all of whom have inhuman genes, have been shipped to AIM Island to be used as genetic templates to create superpowered synthetic copies called adaptoids. Leading the research is the mental organism designed only for killing, aka M.O.D.O.K. Villain deck, M.O.D.O.K A. Sup. Has only 10 health, so it's definitely going to be one of those ones where we have to defeat it a lot again. We'll just set that up real quickly. Main scheme deck is upgrading adaptoids. There's only one scheme. Excuse me. And counter deck is M.O.D.O.K, Scientist Supreme, which is here at the bottom, and Standard. So we're not seeing any old cards besides Standard itself, so that's new. The Scientist Supreme set can be removed from the scenario and added to other scenarios. Okay. The Holding Cell deck. During setup, players are instructed to create the Holding Cell deck. To do this, shuffle together the 4 double-sided Holding Cell cards, each with an Inhuman ally on its reverse. Place the deck near the main scheme with its Holding Cell side face up. The top card of the deck is considered in play. When a holding cell enters play, either during setup or while the last lock counter is removed from the previous top card of the holding cell deck, the text on the holding cell places 2 per player lock counters on that card. The objective of the scenario is to free all 4 of the inhuman allies from the holding cells by removing the lock counters from each holding cell environment, and then to reduce M.O.D.O.K's hit points to 0. Lock counters can be removed via the hero action on the holding cells by reducing M.O.D.O.K's hit points to 0, or by the effects of various encounter cards. So similar idea, we're going to be rescuing people. Campaign instructions, we do that after we do the basic setup. I think that most people would probably prefer the standard 3 setup, so that makes the design of the Nemesis feel like it could be a bit different. I feel like the one thing they have to do, maybe, is like have a rule that your Nemesis can't activate twice, or basically minions can't activate twice on their own accord. It's clumsy to do that, but there's just certain scenarios or certain like Nemesis sets with Quick Strike where like you draw a Zazel, you take 6 damage, it just feels like too much. But if they don't have Quick Strike, like that's a cool way. If Pursued by the Past pulls it during the villain phase, Quick Strike, basically every minion has Quick Strike, or every Nemesis has Quick Strike. All right, M.O.D.O.K A, M.O.D.O.K B for Expert, M.O.D.O.K Standard Encounter Set, and Scientist Supreme. Create the holding cell deck. It says see page 13. Got it. Put 1 random adaptoid environment into play. Okay, so holding cell deck is take the 4 holding cells. And it says enters play with 2 per player lock counters on it. So we'll use, I don't know, purple. Now these are all, oh, they're not all the same. They all have different art. So technically, if we play this enough, we'll know what this does. It says forced interrupt. When the last lock counter is removed from here, flip the card and put Sarah Garza into play under any player's control. So we got lucky that the first card is Sarah Garza. I don't know if that will matter in terms of the story. Hero action. Spend a wild resource or 3 resources of any type. Our deck actually can generate wild resources. We have some in the corner of some cards, but one of our shield supports generates wild resources. Otherwise, it's 3 resources to remove a lock counter from here. So either we have to defeat M.O.D.O.K, turns out, or we have to generate 6 resources to get the card underneath here. And it looks like we have to do the whole deck, which there's 4 cards in there. So that has 2 locks on it. Okay. Then it says, put 1 random adaptoid environment into play, 2 environments instead if you're on expert mode. So these are the environments. There's 4 of them. We'll shuffle and then we'll roll a die. I guess why shuffle if you're going to roll a die? So left is 1. So we're getting Psionic Upgrade. It says each adaptoid gains Villainous and the Psionic trait. So this reminds of other scenarios where you get these environments that will impact the whole game. That gives you a lot of replayability. So Psionic trait doesn't do anything, but there'll be cards that say if things have Psionic, do something bad to you. But inherently, there's no rules text. Villainous is huge. Villainous means when an adaptoid activates against you, assuming an adaptoid is a minion, it also draws a boost card just like a villain does. So we'll keep that here to remind ourselves that's in play. I think we'll put these aside, right? Set the others aside. Each player searches the encounter deck for a copy of Adaptoid and reveals it. So again, they have Villainous. This is Adaptoid. It says check Adaptoid environment modifiers for these values. So it's going to be starting off at 1/1, but Villainous. When defeated, remove an all-purpose counter from an environment. So that, in theory, can remove a lock from a holding cell. It has 5 health. And it has a boost after this activation, shuffle this in the counter deck. So if these show up on boost, they'll go back into the deck for sure. Okay, that's the setup. We flip this over. It has 7 to advance. It starts with 1 threat on this. It's called upgrading adaptoids. Force interrupt. When the stage would be completed, put a random adaptoid environment into play instead. So every time this completes, we don't lose, but they gain more powerful and powerful abilities. So we don't want that to happen. Then if there are no set aside adaptoid environments, the player loses the game. So then means that we can only fail this twice, because the 3rd time we fail this, it adds the last adaptoid environment, and then there's none. So then we lose the game. Otherwise, remove all threat from here and shuffle each adaptoid minion from the counter discard pile into the counter deck. Oh, that's really cool. So the adaptoids will keep coming against us and they get stronger and stronger. That's neat. I like those. That seems already pretty clever. All right, our campaign instructions, setups. Place 3 additional per player lock counters on the top card of the holding cell. Then remove X lock counters from that card per player, where X is the number of rescued captives. So it wants us to add 3, but then remove 4 because we rescued 4 captives. So this actually only has 1 lock, which is nice. Prepare the shield executive board, put the 3 board members into play, place secret counters on each board member equal to the number of secret counters recorded for the environment, so we don't change. And then shuffle the 3 copies of the aim interference obligation to counter deck. After resolving mulligans, we do all the setups on our aim cards, which we will do. So we can add 1 aggression ally, which we have to take out of the deck. And then we can add one Justice support, I think, which we'll see what that could be. I don't know what the options are, but yeah, we probably should just pull all of binders out. So far, so cool. Again, I'm feeling a bit of the secret agent theme. I think we need to play on a higher difficulty to actually start making tough decisions, but that's kind of how this game is. On average, this game on standard is much easier than a lot of the other FFG LCGs by a mile, I would say. But it does scale really well on difficulty. It gives you a lot of tools to interact with difficulty, either changing up the encounter sets, playing on expert, playing expert 2, expert 3, all that sort of stuff. So it's up to you to figure out a difficulty. But generally when I do my first playthroughs, especially with the pre-con decks, which are kind of butt, or at least not optimal, this is how we do it. All right, so I need to take out the one aggression card that we have, or the second aggression card we have, because we can choose to add that. I don't know if this scenario is going to have any, what's it called? This scenario might not have vulnerable as a keyword, which Spider Girl interacts well with. Okay. Oh, by the way, M.O.D.O.K. We never read M.O.D.O.K's text. Schemes for 2, attacks for 1 has retaliate 1. Retaliate means that after you attack it and don't defeat it, it does 1 damage back. Force interrupt. When M.O.D.O.K. would be defeated, if a holding cell is in play, remove 2 lock counters from it and reset M.O.D.O.K's hit points to 10. Otherwise, the players win the game. So if we get through the whole deck and remove all the lock counters, we can defeat M.O.D.O.K. 10 is not that bad. Now, defeating M.O.D.O.K. removes 2 counters, which is a bit inefficient when we only have 1 lock on the holding cell. So in theory, we'll spend a wild resource to get the top of the holding cell, and then we have to get 3 more people out. So defeat M.O.D.O.K. 3 times. I'm going to put this on the table to remember everybody has Villainous, but it's only Adaptoids. We'll just have to remember. Chat, if you're watching this and I forget the Adaptoid has Villainous, please let me know. It's going to be important. I'll pile shuffle this. Actually, I probably should have before. Villainous again means that it'll attack for 1 or scheme for 1 plus a boost card, and it will fire any boost icons. I don't understand why this box is here in Montreal, because one store in Montreal got it. They stocked it on a Saturday, which is also really strange because I don't think there's shipments on Saturday. So I don't know what that meant, but like still all the major Canadian stores do not have this box, let alone also a Drowned City came into stock here in Canada. So if you're looking for a store, Le Valais, Vallée de Coeur in Montreal has it. If you want to not support your friendly local game store, which I would not exactly recommend that play, but okay, we'll do our mulligan, then we can grab our cards as we want. I feel like putting this this feels distracting. Clean palette. All right, Maria Hill's text. Again, we have to keep that in mind because we can always add 1 more card to our hand, which can be quite valuable when we want to play some of our expensive cards. So what do we got? Special funding, that's one of our best cards in our hand. Not only is it a 2 resources, but it means if we play a shield support, it comes in with 1 more. Field Director, very valuable, only when we're set up, so we don't necessarily have to keep it. We're going to have to discard it anyways, doesn't matter. All Points Bulletin, we don't need. Command Team, we don't need. Nick Fury, probably can't play that. And then the Cirque. So, if we special funding for the Cirque, we can get a Nick Fury. Notably, Nick Fury also, if you see in the corner, has a wild icon, so Nick Fury can just like bust the jail cell immediately. I feel like the focus range is now, yeah, here. So that's kind of cool. So we can either special funding for the Cirque, which will be 1, 2, and then every other card, plus the one we get with Maria. And then we can throw Nick Fury out for the holding cell, or we can play Nick Fury for free with the Cirque. And then Nick Fury can charge the Cirque. We have to deal with the Adaptoid. The problem is Maria Hill only attacks for 1. Mind you, we should flip her and heal her up to 9. So we actually already have some pretty interesting choices. We're definitely not going to keep these 3 cards. We also can add 2 cards to our hand by firing the Blackmail and the Security Scanner, which adds 2 threat to this to add cards to our hand, which might matter. Word from my FLGS here in Victoria, BC is that the box should be here this week, so hopefully it's true for other places in Canada. I'm assuming that it showed up somewhere, but they don't deliver on weekends. Like it showed up a bit late, and so someone from Valais went to pick it up. That's my guess. Like I don't know if that's true or not. So I have no doubt that means it'll be this week. Good luck getting it, eh? Okay, so either Nick Fury does the holding cell as a hero action, or we keep Nick Fury. I think that's fine. I think that gives us options because it means the Cirque will do something. And at minimum, if we draw another ally, we can do the holding cell. So that's 3. We'll draw the Douglas, which doesn't do much. We'll draw Energy. That's sick. That's already 4 resources for the Cirque. And then another special funding would be the best top deck here. Okay, whatever. All right, now we do the setup on these 2 cards. One says you may add a secret counter to a board member. That's actually good because getting counters on the board members means we can interact with their abilities. This one heals, this removes 2 threat. It costs resources, but that's still fine that we have that flex option. Healing, I think, is the most interesting because it's hard to heal allies. Then each player may add a threat to the main scheme to search the deck for a Justice upgrade, and then this is the same for an aggression ally. I think if that's the case, we'll definitely do those. So we'll add one to each of these. So one on green, one on yellow. Then we'll add them to our hand. So we'll add 3 threat here. So I'm going to search my set aside collection for a Justice upgrade and an aggression ally. We might just go ahead and take Spider Girl again. 1 second. Okay, Justice upgrades. Justice, I don't think is really well known for upgrades. I feel the majority of Justice upgrades are like attachments you attach to allies, which like we could do. We're not really a Voltron deck, but that would be here. So what do we have? Inspired. These all attach to an ally. Attached to an ally gives them +1 thwart and +1 attack, whatever. Rapid Response is a busted card. After an ally you control is defeated, discard this to put that ally back into play with 1 damage on it. That's probably the easiest card to grab. It costs 2, but it's fine. This readies an ally. Not bad. Ally attachment, only for Guardians. Exhaust this card to deal 1 damage to generate a wild resource. That actually is probably the play, because Holding Cell needs wild resources. I think Clarity Purpose is going to be very, very good. Again, I can pull this up. Very, very strong card, especially for not a lot of scenarios demand or like require wild resources. So we can attach this to us and just take a bit of damage every once in a while to generate Holding Cell locks. That's probably the easy choice. Otherwise, Sidekick is cool. Sidekick says we can attach to our identity specific card. Now, Sidekick gets better with some other cards that support the playstyle. There's other cards that refer to your Sidekick, but this is nice. It just means Nick Fury can last forever, and Nick Fury is very good. But I think I'm going to try for Clarity of Purpose, just because it is cheap resource generator, and we can take some damage. Oh, fuck, it was Justice! Age of T, huge call. It's Justice, which is yellow. It's not this. Which again, we could have played that card anyways because it's leadership and we're playing leadership. It's aggression and justice. Yeah, good catch. Thank you. 1 second, another binder. All right, so it's Justice. Justice has some good upgrades. HFT shouted out Skilled Investigator, which is a 0 cost card that draws a card whenever you clear a side scheme. It's not bad at all, especially because it costs 0. Otherwise, there's Sonic Rifle, which is fine. Giving yourself +1 thwart, Heroic Intuition, it's like not terrible. I feel like our activation is not incredibly useful. So 3 thwart can go relatively far. I feel like that's fine. Under Surveillance actually is also pretty good because Under Surveillance just means that we have more room on this. I don't feel like we're really threatening out or we're scheming out too much, threading out too much. But the fact that this thing doesn't clear means that we can just make it 11 forever. Skilled Investigator, if there's a lot of side schemes, I'm not sure if there will be. I feel like there's going to be a lot more minions. Sonic Rifle is expensive. None of these are shield traded, I don't think. No. Chance Encounter means that when we defeat an attached side scheme, we can go grab an ally. That's whatever. Honestly, don't know. I would say it's between Sonic Rifle, Skilled Investigator, and Heroic Intuition. I think using our ability to threat 3 is like a lot of value. Heroic Intuition might not be terrible. I think Under Surveillance is like, if we're struggling, that's a really good choice. Because again, making this 11 is huge, but I think we'll just take Heroic Intuition. It's like, whatever. We're probably not going to play it. We're probably going to pitch it on turn 1, which means maybe the 0 coster is better to get some card draw. I feel like we generally use a lot of our hand, but card draw is really valuable when we have 6 cost cards. How many side schemes are in the deck? Two. Okay, I'm not taking Skilled Investigators. Not a lot of side schemes in this one. Looks like there's a lot more minions. I'm just gonna take a Heroic Intuition. It's boring. It's fine. Okay, so we put the threat on here, right? Yeah, we did. Excuse me, off camera. So we can add these cards to our hand. Our aggression, I think we're just gonna go take Spider Girl because we have it. There might be a better choice, but we'll just add these 2 to hand so we have more cards in hand. And now we can do our thing. There's no aggression ally that has a wild icon on it. Hold on. Actually, that might be a metagame thing. If there's an aggression ally that has a wild icon in its corner, but I'm pretty sure only hero specific ones do. Yeah, there isn't. So like we could take Wolverine, gets piercing and heals. That's fine. We can get some constant damage. It will become shield traded too. Wolverine's pretty good. Sorry, I should clear that. Angela's good at damaging things. Hulk is just a blocker. I don't think we need a blocker. I wonder if there's any vulnerable. Vulnerable might not exist here. If there's vulnerable, we should probably take Spider. But otherwise, we could take Wolverine. It's a bit expensive, but we have the Circ in our opening hand. Yeah, F it. Yeah, we have Circ in our opening hand. Why don't we just take the most expensive? Wait, we can just take the most expensive ally. Who's the most expensive ally? Hercules? Reduce the cost of Hercules by 1 for each minion engaged with you. I'm going to take Wolverine too, because M.O.D.O.K is Retaliate, and having a bit of healing with Wolverine seems fine. Nice. Nice. Okay, that works out well. Excuse me. I meant to hit this, and we're back up. Okay, so now let's start. This is Wolverine, mind you. Aggression Wolverine. Oh, there's a lot of cards called Wolverine. Do I not have Wolverine Aggression? Oh, I must have spelled it wrong. Wolverine? Wolverine? I found it. It was Wolverine. Perfect. I know myself well. So it's attack gains piercing, which means it takes off toughness. It attacks for 3, which is a heck of a lot. Takes 2 consequential, but it heals every turn. You feel lucky, bub. Very easy to forget that text, that it heals a turn. All right, back to us. So we're going to do energy, special funding that generates a couple resources. We'll throw out Heroic into, we'll throw out the Douglas, I think. And we'll throw out, oh, we could get both of these on the table. Hold on. Oh wait, we shouldn't have Spider-Girl. So we actually could like get Nick Fury and Wolverine on the table with the Circ by playing on the double. That's hilarious. We could start with 2 allies. I feel like Nick Fury for the holding cell, maybe we don't do that. I think maybe we just get Nick Fury down to get the Circ infinite because we have all our allies left in their deck, right? Yeah, oh my god, that is so wild. So if that's the case, we'll throw out these. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We also could grab a card from our deck with Maria Hill's ability, a shield support, but I don't think we want to do that. So we can flip it with the Maria Hill and thwart too. Yeah, that's probably fine. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll play the Circ. This is a ridiculous start, I think. So it comes in with 3 counters because, mind you, if you play a shield support with special funding, it gets another counter. It's kind of like a rigging up. Okay. We'll exhaust the Circ to put an ally in play from our hand. So we'll put in Wolverine into play. Comes in with 4 health, piercing, 3 attack. Then we'll play on the double. We haven't played one of these yet. I was talking about how these don't seem that great, but it seems fine. Ready any number of shield supports with cost of 6 or less. So we'll ready the Circ, use the Circ again. We'll play Nick Fury from our hand. I mean, that's a start. Okay, so that's... we have 14 cost worth of cards on the table on turn 1. Great. Maria Hill will pop up. Wolverine will attack for 3 and piercing, taking 2 consequentials, dropping the Daptoid down. Nick Fury will attack for 2, defeating the Daptoid, taking 1 consequential, putting a charge on the Circ. The Daptoid is defeated. When defeated, remove all-purpose counters from an environment. So that removes all-purpose counters from the holding cell. Wait, this is easy mode, right? Holding cell. When the last lock counter is removed from here, flip this card and put Sarah Garza into play under any player support. Sarah Garza does not count against your ally limit. 5 health. Sarah Garza's attacks gain overkill and ranged. Force response. After this card leaves play, flip it back to the bottom of the holding cell deck. Oh, cool. So if she does get defeated for any reason, and I imagine there's cards that say attack a Inhuman, we'll have to deal with it, but she's in play. The next holding cell, same text, enters with 4 locks. Sorry, 2 per player locks, so 2 locks. And then when we flip this, we get strong Inhuman. It's M.O.D.O.K exciting. Yeah, we're off to a start for sure. Now, we're going to use Maria Hill to thwart for 2. I don't think we want to use Sarah Garza. Retaliate's going to be a bit annoying. So ideally, we're just shooting this with the Iliad, which is not an attack, so we don't deal with Retaliate. So we can leave Sarah Garza and thwart 2 next round. I think that's totally fine. What a start. Oh my god. What a start. That's absurd. All right, our hand. Command team. So we can attack with Sarah Garza a lot. On the double, we can resi the Circ. Let's get an ally if we can. Genius. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Super Spies. Not a good turn, but we have Super Spies, which we can play. Like, we have no allies. We have nothing to set up. That kind of stinks. But Super Spies at least says, place a total of 3 all-purpose counters on threat tokens on shield supports. Unfortunately, we'll only have 1 shield support, so we probably play the command team and Circ and then just fill up both of them. And then we move the counters around. Yeah, that's fine. So this goes up to 2. M.O.D.O.K attacks for 1 in a card. We don't care about 1 in a card. We'll take 1 in a card gladly. 2 boosts on automated mobile unit. So we take 3. We're down to 6. We draw Aim interference, insight 1, so that puts 1 threat here. And this is one of the cards that interacts with these tactical officer stuff, the chiefs. When revealed, place 1 secret counter on each board member. You may spend X energy resources to prevent X of these counters from being placed. So each counter costs 2 resources to remove, so we might as well spend energy. Luckily, we have extra energy cards here. We want to keep Super Spies either to play it or to get rid of the holding cells. So we have these 2 energy cards. We don't need On the Double, and we don't need Command Team, but Command Team would be nice. So I think we're only going to remove 1, because I want to play the Command Team so that we use our hand. Otherwise, our hand does nothing. Because if we pitch these 2 cards, this is all we have. We'd have to throw this out to play that. I think it's actually likely that we'll use Super Spies to deal with a holding cell, and then just use this to play the Command Team. And then we'll just, this will be garbage, I guess. I guess this is garbage. We haven't played this card yet. So if that's the case, I'll spend 1. So we'll reduce 1 counter. I'll put 1 here because I like the healing one. I'll put 1 here because I like the threat one. I'm not sure the distribution of our deck, which of these types we have more icons of, but that's it. That's not bad. Okay. It's back to us. Wolvie heals 1. Okay. So attacking. Retaliate sucks because if Wolverine attacks, takes 2 consequential and 1 damage. It's not great. So we will just throw out Super Spies, I think, to get 1 counter off of this, because we can spend a while to get a counter, or 3 resources of any type, and I think that's totally a fine use of those. We'll spend Genius to play Command Team. Comes in with 3 counters, which we can slide over if we want with Maria Hill's ability. Otherwise, Command Team has reasonable attacks for allies. Sarah Garza has overkill. Oh shit, I should have read that. Sarah Garza has overkill. Sorry, has ranged, which means we can attack with Sarah Garza and she won't take retaliate. So we definitely missed 2 damage last turn. I didn't realize she has overkill and range. So overkill means if she defeats a minion, extra damage goes to the villain, which won't do retaliate. But also ranged means you don't take retaliate. So this could have been on 6. Nick Fury can thwart for 2, charging the Cirque. Doesn't seem super important. Wolverine's going to not attack anything because M.O.D.O.K will defeat it. Maria Hill can thwart for 2. I feel like this is just a really sleepy turn, and I don't think I want to hold this. Cirque does nothing. Command Team can wake up Sarah Garza again. Feel like using a charge for 2 damage is not great. I'd rather use the charge on somebody like that guy who enters play and leaves play, Grant, I think his name is. So, or a turn where it really matters with Wolverine. All right, back to us. That's it. Not a great turn. The Bellerophon seems good. That's damage that doesn't deal with retaliate because it's not an attack. Support staff, that's our generator. Grant Ward, speak of the devil. All points bulletin doesn't really matter, and front organization is not very important here. So the issue with this hand is that we can't generate 6 resources for the Bellerophon. The most we can generate is 5 because we can go to Alter Ego and draw a card, a shield support. Not quite as impressive as turn 1. I know, a huge change in tempo. But that just happens when you draw like all these weird 0-cost cards that are like, you know, situational. Like, it's hard. The deck has a lot of resources and it has a lot of these situational cards. So it's not impossible to draw a hand that just does nothing. Like, imagine our hand was like on the double, Super Spies, Genius, like this. Like, this hand doesn't do anything. You play Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, pass. Right? Like, you need your supports to do your stuff, which, yeah. Okay, well, not fantastic. We also can clear some of these, which we might do. So this goes to 2. M.O.D.O.K attacks for 1 in the card. I'm not going to block. We could go down and heal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we can't even play any of these. We need a generator. Unfortunate. 1 in the card. Oops. It's an Adaptoid. So it has +2. So we're being attacked for 3. We're down to 3 health. And after this activation, shuffle this back into the deck. Finally fixed my binder on like 10 pages. The lower ring wasn't through the pages, so I fixed that and reorganizing to make space for SC21. I'm so excited for rotation, but it's like still a month away, and with like upcoming events and stuff, I still need to have my binder like the way that it is for Netrunner. So like, I don't know. My binder's become a mess. I've just done a bad job organizing it because I don't care. I'm like, it's going to rotate in a bit. I don't have to put these things back in the right place. So it's just like a messy room that I'm trying to avoid to deal with. All right, we drew the Adaptoid again. Again, when we defeat this, we'll clear the holding cell. It's villainous. It's on 5. It has psionic trait. But when we defeat this, we remove all purpose counters from the environment. So that's good because we'll be something to do. Logan heals. And it's back to us. All right, Logan can deal 3. Nick Fury can deal 2. Garza can just keep working on M.O.D.O.K. I feel like we're flying. Didn't move them, but I made sure I have space for everything. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have to I think I have enough sleeves. I like that it's getting smaller, so I definitely have enough pages because the collection is getting lower. What's worse is I need to dig up all the boxes of rotated cards. I probably should buy the BCW like 4-laners and just have one box for all corpse, one box for all runners, because they're split in multiple boxes, which is like a pain. Where it's like, oh, I need this one card for cube. It's like, which box has the HB stuff in it? I don't know. I really am jealous of those like really nice ones that Team Covenant sells, but like they're very expensive and like shipping from Team Covenant makes no sense. My collection's a horrible mess. It's just in a 4-row box, not sorted. Oh no, it's a pain right now. Going to take some time near to rotation to actually organize it. Some people enjoy organization. I actually really enjoy organization. I think it's quite fun. Honestly, my favorite part about rotation is getting to reorganize the collection. But like having an organized collection saves you so much time. And I'm so much more excited to be like, oh, we have to build a new deck. And it's not like, oh, that's pain. It's like, oh, that'll take 10 minutes. And like I constantly deconstruct decks to make sure I don't have multiple decks at the same time so that I'm not searching for a card and I have to like damage one deck to build a second. Yeah, ice cold coffee. Nice. Okay. That's us. Not great. We can do a bit of threading. We can jump down. We probably need to jump down and heal. If we jump down, we can grab a card to our hand and not heal. I think we won't end up doing that. Wolverine is definitely going to attack. Taking 2 consequential, doing some damage to this. Again, when the Adaptoid is defeated, remove a purpose counter from an environment, so we'll get another ally back. I think we're just going to go in with Nick for 2, which will put us a charge on the Cirque, which might be a bit extra. Adaptoid is defeated. Remove all purpose counter from an environment. We defeat the holding cell. We're 2 down already. It's turn 3. Flip this card, put Strong Inhuman into play under any player's control. So not a named character, just a Strong Inhuman. This puts 2 more locks on it. This is going to have a Flying Inhuman. Strong Inhuman, 7 health. Yeah, it is strong. Has toughness, so the first damage it does not take, either by consequential or by attack. Does not count against your ally limit. And after this card leaves play, put it on the bottom of the holding deck. So losing these will basically put turns back on the clock. That's sick. Looks like a First Nations character, but no text, just toughness and attacks for 7. So generally I want to take an attack with this to take the toughness off. And then I want to use its attack because it's just not great. I feel like it's either you save 1 damage by activating and preventing the consequential, or you're going to save like 4 damage when M.O.D.O.K attacks you. So my problem is not being diligent about deconstruction. Need to start doing that the more day of the week I get back from an event. I'm always in scramble mode. The next time an event comes up and cards are coming out of sleeves, remainder of the cards just go into all sorts of later section. Yes, I'm guilty of having all sorts of later collection. I think everyone is. But what I basically do is I will never have more than a corp and runner deck sleeved at once. So as soon as I have to build the other deck, I'll first deconstruct. It actually might be a nice ritual that when you get home, you deconstruct your deck right away. But like if I have casuals on Tuesday, I'll bring the same deck. So I probably usually don't do that. But I always deconstruct first, then build. I never have 2 decks built, generally, unless I'm doing something that needs that. Okay. We're working. We have no wild icons. We can do some healing here, which might be nice, actually. So let's see what we're going to do. We're definitely going to play the support staff. That's 2 cards. We're going to play Grant Ward. That's a card. So that means we can have 2 science icons, which removes 2 threat. And we can hold the Bellerophone. I need to find a pronunciation guide. I think that's what we'll do. We'll play Grant. And we're okay if Grant gets defeated. So Grant comes in for 3. With Grant, we'll just start punching. So Grant will attack for 2. Grant takes a consequential and a retaliate damage. We'll use the command team to ready an ally. Grant is ready. Grant will attack for 2, dies to consequential. There's no punishment for dying. Like, I feel like we've had some punishments for a bunch of scenarios so far. This one's fine, right? So this is when M.O.D.O.K when defeated, when this stage would be completed. Yeah, I think we can just send it. Okay, that's fine. We'll spend front organization on support staff. Comes in with 3 counters. We can exhaust this to generate a resource for a S.H.I.E.L.D player. So we can throw out the Bellerophone to do a heal and deal with one of the chief medical officers. That might be fine. We can also go grab just an energy icon from our deck with Maria, but then she doesn't recover. Garza will attack, doesn't take retaliate, takes 1, goes down to 2. I feel like healing Garza would be good, so maybe we will. Yeah, I'll spend 2 to heal Garza and take a charge off of this. It says remove a secret counter, heal 1 damage from a friendly character. Garza can, yeah, that's fine. So this goes down to 1. Maria will flip down. Oh, we could thread out, actually. We're adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, actually, it's probably better that Garza just does 2 threat here. And we'll flip down and heal for 3. Yeah, because M.O.D.O.K is scheming. So the idea is if it was on 2, M.O.D.O.K, we add 1, we're on 3. M.O.D.O.K schemes for 2, we're on 5. And if we get 2 boost icons, we go through. So we're not going to do that. All right, we'll ready up. And we'll draw 6 cards, which is nice. Organizational support, so that can generate a lot. We can exhaust our allies, and our allies are shield as long as we're in hero mode. Another one, front organization, whatever. The hard call, never played that yet. Dum-Dum Dugan. We can play that for free with the Cirque, which is sick. And a front organization. Like, this happens. We've been lucky to avoid this, but this is such a bad hand, right? Like, we can play Dum-Dum for free, so all this is useless. So at least luckily in this scenario, we can like dump extra resources into the board members, but like, ugh, I do not like that. I think that's gonna be a struggle where you really want to put as many resources as you can into a Maria Hill deck so you can play these cheaply, the big ones, but like sometimes the hands are just like that. That's not great. All right, we put 1 threat here. We scheme for 2 and a card. +2. So reverse engineering. Oh, we can always, never mind. We can just go get a ship. What am I talking about? We'll be fine. We'll just go get a ship with Maria. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're on 5. So hopefully this doesn't scheme. Psionic enhancement, hinder 1, no text, and it has amplify icon. I learned the name of that. So this has 4 on it. Could dump to clear locks too. Yeah, it's really inefficient though. Perihelion, that's a good call though, because each holding cell takes 3 resources. So I think we're better off just getting a ship and saying I don't care. But yeah, that's definitely an option. Wolverine heals. This is probably worth getting rid of. We can't go get our Douglas because it's in the bin. So the only ship we have left is the Iliad and the green one, the Pericles. The Pericles seems good. I think our activation is not super important. Nick can scheme for 2 or thwart for 2 and get defeated. Wolverine's not doing anything. Sarah can hit for 2. Strong and Human's going to tank the attack, so Pericles doesn't even need to get a stun here, so we don't have to get the Pericles. Dum-Dum Dugan will come in for sure. Oh, Pericles with Dum-Dum Dugan is messed up. Yeah. Yeah, Pericles with Dum-Dum Dugan gives him a toughness, and toughness is really, really good. So we'll use the Cirque here. So exhaust the Cirque, remove a deploy counter. Put an ally into play from your hand. So we got Dum-Dum Dugan. Our ally slots are filled as much as Nick might leave here. Dum-Dum Dugan is incredibly expensive, has a lot of health, but very importantly, takes an immense amount of consequential. I'm not sure if that's like meant to be a read that this character is reckless or not. Very strange character. But when you use Dum-Dum, you can exhaust shield cards to control to give him +1. And mind you, all our allies are shield when we're face up. And Sarah is actually inherently shield. We'll exhaust Maria Hill to search our deck for shield support. Think we can play the Pericles? Pretty sure we can. Now, notably, M.O.D.O.K says when M.O.D.O.K would be defeated, if a holding cell's in play, remove 2 doom from it and reset M.O.D.O.K's hit points to 10 instead. The instead is actually important because that means M.O.D.O.K will not be defeated. So you can't fire any defeated clauses, let alone retaliate will still trigger. That being said, retaliate still triggers. I'm pretty sure if you defeat one villain stage and go to another villain stage and they both have retaliate, which M.O.D.O.K probably would, but there's only one stage anyways, so it doesn't really matter. All right, we have a Pericles in our hand. Now we're going to play organizational support. Exhaust up to 3 allies, shield allies, and supports. We'll flip up with Maria first. So these are all shield cards, mind you, because of Maria Hill's text. This makes Sky Destroyer so exciting to play. Because again, each ally control gains a shield trait. And Sky Destroyer, one of my favorite cards, says that whenever you play a shield card, deal 2 damage to an enemy. And so when all your allies are shield cards, it's really easy just every turn for free to do 2 damage, no matter what side you're on. And it doesn't deal with retaliate. It doesn't deal with guard. It's just damage, it's not an attack. Regardless, organizational support says we can exhaust a whole bunch of cards to gain extra resources. So we're going for 1. We'll exhaust. Yeah, we'll exhaust Nick. So that's 2 resources. We're not going to use Wolverine, 3 resources. That's the most it can do. No, we can exhaust Strong and Human, 4 resources. And then we can throw out Hard Call and a front organization to play the Pericles. Comes in with only 2 counters. Again, we can move our counters around all we want. Now, this is 2 science icons, which you can do to remove 2 threat from a scheme. That might be fine. I think we will do that. We'll use the Pericles. It says after the Pericles, removes a supply counter from it. Give a hero or villain a status card of your choice. So I guess we'll put a stun there. We actually could go put a confuse and jump down because we have strongmen for the tough. So I think we'll just do a confuse. Give an ally a status card of your choice. We'll give Dum-Dum a tough. Then we have these 2 cards. We can play them or we can discard 2 cards to get rid of the chief medical officer. We could also play front organization and discard this plus a support staff to get rid of one of the chief surveillance officers. I think we'll just deal with the chief surveillance officer. So we'll pitch 2. I don't care about these cards. Remove 1 secret, remove 2 threat. So 2 threat means that Sarah can finish this off. We will. We have to deal with that though. I guess we're not defeating M.O.D.O.K. That's fine. A Dum Dum Dugan. We'll thwart for 3. Plus we can exhaust up to 3 shield cards you control. So we'll exhaust 1, 2. So that's 5. That will clear this. He would take 3 consequential, but because he has a tough status, the next time he takes damage, it clears a tough instead. So it takes no damage. Then we'll go in with Sarah to do 2. Doesn't take retaliate because of ranged. I think that's what we wanted. Oh, we could have cleared this, but it doesn't really matter this turn. Unless we draw an encounter card that does an activation, because we'll just block with strong. And unless it has piercing, we'll be in an okay spot. 7 health is a lot too. Okay, we've set up. Funny enough that our big setup now is actually our allies, not our supports. 5 cards here. Slingshot. I misspelled her apparently, so can't find the card. Strength for 2 resources. Life model decoy for a free damage block. Reinforcements to... What does this one do? Ready? Place 1 purpose counter. Okay, whatever. And a command team. Now, what I'm not doing with reinforcements is that reinforcements, either you can place it on a card that costs 6 or smaller cards. So in theory, you can put 1 on the command team, 1 on the support staff. I feel like just you get so much value from putting 1 on a 6 that I'm not going to interact with that part of the text. But like multiple command teams could really matter because you could have 2 command teams, refill both of them. I don't know. I feel like a different build might use that a bit better. All right, upgrading Adaptoids takes 1. M.O.D.O.K is attacking for 1 and a card and an amplify, so we'll block with strong and humans. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a lot of damage, but toughness glances that off. Really strong and human. Now we get an encounter card. It's Aim Jailer. Dark. Guard 4. Health. Guard. When revealed, Aim Jailer attacks the rescued ally with the fewest remaining hit points. Otherwise, place 1 lock counter on a holding cell. Oh, sick. Very, very cool. So it's attacking for 2. Mind you, schemes for nothing, but it's going to be attacking one of these, but it attacks the one with the least remaining hit points. So it's attacking Sarah. So Sarah can take 2 damage, but we don't want Sarah to be defeated. So either we block or we block with one of our allies. I think we don't need our activation here. So we will block. So we take 2 damage. We block. We have 2 defense stat. So we'll take no damage. Yeah, nice. Okay. So this we have to defeat. We have no allies in our hand. We have Slingshot. All our ally slots are full. So we probably use Nick Fury, Wolverine heals. So we can do Wolverine, Nick Fury to deal with the Aim Jailer. We'll defeat M.O.D.O.K, which opens up another holding cell. Wait, this scenario seems really easy. What's going on again? I feel like we're doing something wrong. I don't think we are, though. So what we're going to do, we're going to do Wolverine attacks for 3. Takes 2 consequential. This drops to 1. Nick Fury will attack for 2, finishing that off. And when Nick Fury activates, we can put a power counter on a shield support. So we'll put it on the Pericles. We probably wanted to move a command team to the Pericles, but we forgot to. That's that. Microphone in the way. Nick will be defeated. That opens an ally slot, which is fine. And it'll be in the discard pile, which is fine. So we can use the Cirque to play Slingshot for free. I don't think that's super important. We're at 6 health, so we can play... Actually, yeah, it's fine. Why not? So we'll play for free Slingshot using the Cirque. I messed up the typing on Slingshot. I'll type Slingshot. No. Slingshot? How did I spell this wrong? Oh, I found it. I did spell it wrong. Slingshot. It's Slingshot. Okay. So she comes in with 3 health. She has really cool text that you can play from hand, and she bounces back to hand. However, she bounces back to hand after discard, so you get another card in hand. I think Jai described it as punitive counter-strike text. Okay. Garza will attack. Doesn't take retaliate because of range. We're very lucky to get this one off the top. And M.O.D.O.K says, when M.O.D.O.K would be defeated, if holding cells in play, remove 2 lock counters from it, reset to 10. Okay. So we're going to get another ally. This one is called the Flying Inhuman. So we're on our last holding cell. This is the Psionic Inhuman. Flying Inhuman, that's great art. Does not count against your ally limit. Thwarts for 2. After this ally thwarts, remove 1 threat from another scheme. That's kind of perfect. After this card leaves play, it has the same text that goes on the bottom of the deck. So we just have a huge army of Inhumans, let alone a huge army of shield allies, which we really work well with. Flying Inhuman. We'll thwart for 2 and 1, clearing all of this. Again, there was no bad text there, right? Do they come into play? It says into play under any allies players. So they don't even come exhausted. Okay. What are we doing here? We need to clear one of these to win the game. We can spend 3 resources to open a holding cell, but I think we're just going to defeat M.O.D.O.K once more. Speaking of defeating M.O.D.O.K, Slingshot's useless. Dum-Dum-Dugan is not useless. We can do 6 damage to M.O.D.O.K and take Retaliate. But the problem is Retaliate hits first before Consequential, so if we give a toughness to M.O.D.O.K, it won't actually matter. We also know that M.O.D.O.K will be attacking Sarah Garza, or at least an ally will, so we could give a toughness to Sarah Garza. It feels a bit extra, but we could definitely do it. And now we'll definitely move a counter from Command Team to Cirque. What do we do with the rest of our activation here? This feels clumsy. We can flip down, no problem. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 resources. So if there's another, is there another big ship? I think the Iliad's in our deck. We can just go grab the Iliad. I think that might be better than playing any of these individual cards. Oh, but Maria's exhausted. Because she blocked. Fuck, we might not have wanted to block. So if that's the case, then I think we'll just play the Command Team to get another shield card out of the deck. 1, 2 for another Command Team. I'm going to use her ability. We ran out of dice. That's fine. I'll move a Command Team icon over to the Cirque just to have some options using Maria's ability. I thought this would be relevant every single turn, and it kind of is, but not exactly. I think we want to play have a deck that has a really cheap thing, like what is it called? Field Agent? Like this card coming down for 1 and then just having 3 counters on it. We can just dump it as quickly as possible. It seems really, really good considering all this synergy. All right, we have 2 physical icons. I'm going to spend them to deal with this Chief Tactical Officer. So we move here and do 2 damage to an enemy. That's not an attack. So this goes down to 3, and we don't have to take Retaliate to 8. And we're not going to use Dum-Dum-Dugan. We are going to use the Pericles. Are we? No, I don't think we are. Yeah, I decided we're not. We'll just flip down. And we'll pass. I'm not sure what we use the Slingshot for. I feel like we should just be attacking with Dum-Dum-Dugan. We'll do it next round. So cards. Reinforcements. A Melinda May, expensive, but the Cirque doesn't care. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, we haven't played any of these cards. And then we drew the Iliad, which means that if these bottom 3 cards, one of them is a shield support, which we can check, there's not. We actually can't use Maria Hill's ability to get another card, but it's fine. We, in theory, can spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the support staff to make it 6. That means we can play the Iliad. All right, upgrading Adaptoids gets to 1. M.O.D.O.K confused, doesn't activate. Our encounter card is Scientist Supreme. Victory -1, villainous and vulnerable. So vulnerable means if it takes a stun or a confuse, it just discards itself. And it says Scientist Supreme attack gains piercing and range. So this is the Scientist Supreme encounter set. Equipped with a high-tech suit, the Scientist Supreme wields great power, both physical and political. Whoa. 6 is a lot for a minion. So we're definitely going to confuse and stun it, which we can do with the Pericles, no problem. The question is whether we want to play any of these cards. We can play Melinda May for free. Reinforcements place all-purpose counters, which is fine. But I think we will just go ahead and drop the Iliad and start dealing damage. Because we can definitely advance M.O.D.O.K. Oh, mind you, Wolverine heals. The other thing is we can just attack with Wolverine. Like we can do 3 damage, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We do take some retaliate damage, but that also will get the last holding cell, and then we just have to defeat M.O.D.O.K once more. Oh my god, this is not difficult enough. This is a bit soft for sure. So we basically have to just do 10 damage to M.O.D.O.K. 8 and then another 10. So 18 damage to M.O.D.O.K. The question is, do we have 18 damage this turn? My guess is we do have 18 damage this turn. Especially because we have command teams. So we can just ignore this and we can just do 18 damage. Because once we get the last holding cell, nothing changes. Just that when M.O.D.O.K is defeated, the players win the game. This is a bit disappointing. So we can throw these out. 1, 2, 3 for 5. Iliad for 6. We can exhaust this. Then we have the Iliad. Yeah, I think we'll just do it. So support staff will generate a resource for shield crate. We'll play the Iliad. We can also just grab the holding cell. Wait, that's even easier. Why would we not do that? So support staff says, oh, because it only gets rid of 1 counter, not 2. Okay. Because we can generate a wild to get rid of 1 lock, but if we defeat M.O.D.O.K, we get rid of 2 locks. So we'll just defeat M.O.D.O.K. So we'll generate a resource, a wild, and we'll play Iliad, getting rid of 5 other cards. If we didn't draw the Iliad, we could have grabbed it from our deck, which would give us another card, which means we could have put Melinda May to play with the Cirque, which would have been pretty good. This comes in with 3 counters. We can use these counters to do 5 damage to an enemy, which is half the health of M.O.D.O.K. We will flip up. From here, we will attack with Dum Dum Dugan, who will attack for 3. Using Dum Dum's text, we will tap. The Cirque should have been ready. Yeah, we'll tap the Cirque. So that's 3, 4. I guess 5, 6. I guess so. That's 6 damage. Drops from 8 to 2. Dum Dum Dugan takes Retaliate plus 2 consequential. It goes down to 2. The command teams are probably worth more than 1 damage. That actually isn't right, I don't think. Yeah, that's not right. I think we'll be fine, though. We have enough damage for sure. But in theory, each of these command teams is worth more than 1 damage because we can just ready Dum Dum Dugan. So I'll do 1 fewer. That means we miss a breakpoint? No, we don't miss a breakpoint. All right. These don't have guard. Strong Inhuman will attack for 3, takes a consequential retaliate, defeats M.O.D.O.K. M.O.D.O.K, when defeated, we get the last holding cell into play. Flip this card and put it into play. It is a Psionic Inhuman, does not count against your ally limit. Excuse me. 5 health, 1/1. However, after this ally thwarts, remove 1 lock counter from a holding cell. Oh shit, that would be good to get early. And after this card leaves play. So this comes into play as well with 5. And here, now M.O.D.O.K resets. It says when M.O.D.O.K would be defeated if a holding cell is in play, remove 2 lock counters and reset it to 10. Otherwise, the players win the game. So now we just have to defeat M.O.D.O.K, which like seems incredibly trivial. We're ready with the command team. Dum Dum. Now Dum Dum will attack. When you use one of Dum Dum's basic powers, exhaust up to 3 shield cards. So he's attacking for 3. We'll exhaust Wolverine, who's a shield card. 4. Technically, Slingshot's a shield card. That's 5 damage. That does 5. We take Retaliate and are defeated. We could have prevented that, but that's fine. And then we'll just shoot with the Iliad. That does 5 damage. Okay, that was pretty easy. Obviously, this deck seems pretty good, even in its inefficient state, but I felt like that was just an absolute snowball, and M.O.D.O.K did not do enough to punish us for having these allies. The fact that the allies didn't take up any slots and M.O.D.O.K activated like 2 or 3 times, maybe at most, made that pretty easy. Having all these extra cards in our hand for the setup also helps. Hold on, before we do that though, just so that we did in the right order, I will use the Pericles first to defeat the Scientist Supreme, and I will thwart with Sarah Garza. I was going to say Garza Correa, just like, what's it called? Netrunner, just so that maybe the victory will care about what's on the table or whatnot. Victory, mark each adaptoid environment in play in the campaign log. So we have Psionic upgrade. Record the number of secret counters. We cleared 1. Technically, we could have cleared 2. That might have been more efficient, but that's fine. And if at least 1 board member in play has no secret counters on it, gain the top evidence card. Actually, clearing 2 is bad because these, well, technically we add more counters every round, but these having counters on it means we have access to a heal and a thwart to an emergency. Gain the top evidence card from the shield envelope, cross out each combination of means, motive, and you know how it goes. So we've gone through half the cards in this deck. I'm opening them upside down. I probably should have put them in backwards. It's a wiretap. Each player may add 1 secret counter to a board member to find a Justice ally. We do like allies, especially because of Cirque on turn 1, we can guarantee. Each player may add 1 threat to search the deck for a Justice ally. That's going to be really, really good. I've no doubt that's going to be sick for us. Getting a really expensive Justice ally on turn 1, we can get that guaranteed if we draw well. Okay. Thanks so much for hanging out. This so far has been Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And while obviously we have a difficulty issue here, that's very easy to fix. My first playthrough with the pre-constructed deck, just to show you can do it without any deck building, is definitely a start for sure. I really want to play more of this. The problem is I probably want to do it on stream. Maybe I won't. I'm a big Marvel Champions fan and getting a new thing. Maybe we will. I'm not sure. We should have a video coming out on the channel tomorrow where we're continuing with some pre-recorded stuff with Nightcrawler, which has been really fun. I just want to cut the stream here because in 15 minutes, if you go over to youtube.com/Eternal Super League, they are starting their stream in, again, 15 minutes. So if you want to watch some really cool Netrunner, Eternal Netrunner, which is explained really well, and some very flashy and exciting games, do check that out. So that, again, is in just about 10 minutes, so you don't really have to go anywhere. I think that's it. So far, Maria Hill, yeah, I understand. I've heard conversations online when she sets up. It's like really hard to make a 6-cost card that doesn't scale ridiculously because the downsides don't seem to be real downsides. Great stream. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, HFT. Thanks so much for dropping by. Everyone hanging out. If you want to leave a like on the video, that helps a heck of a lot. I've been having a good time here just setting up Marvel Champions and playing it. We have some bunch of pre-recorded stuff, again, going on the channel. I have 2 videos already edited. One will be tomorrow. One will be in a couple days. We'll finish all of the Nightcrawler stuff, and then we'll come back to doing some deck building and playing through this on Expert. I don't know if we're going to play through the rest of the scenario of the campaign. I think on Standard, this seems a bit boring. So I'll probably finish my Standard playthrough today or on my own off camera, and then come back playing Expert once I'm set up and I've built decks, because yeah, this doesn't seem like it's putting up a lot of a fight, which is fine. You can make the game more difficult. Thanks so much for hanging out. Go enjoy some Eternal Super League or the rest of your weekend. If you're dropping by, watching after the VOD, hope you're well, and we'll see you in the next one. Ciao.